ruins, bodies strewn across the floor, fresh blood glistening. None of the people there escaped the hand of fate. Jin, sword still dripping blood, casually climbed the steps with more bodies behind him than he could count. Jin's face darkened as he advanced, his hand tightening on the sword he held. Baengak stood opposite, taking a defensive stance against the young man before him. He panted heavily, tension written so plainly on his face it couldn't be hidden. Jin said coldly, "Your name must be Baengak, right?" He asked warily, "How the hell do you know my name?" He replied nonchalantly, "Seems you don't remember me, huh? Fair enough, many have passed through Golden Tiger Stronghold, so I can understand that. But I must say I'm a bit hurt. I've been waiting for this day for so long." Baengak thought to himself that if he'd been through here before, he must have been a prisoner. This one was dangerous. He glanced around the scene, knowing he had to find a way out quickly. But Jin gave Baengak no chance to turn the tables. A look of stunned disbelief crossed his face. For Jin had already swung his blade down without mercy. Fresh blood gushed out, and he felt a pain that pierced to the sky. Jin warned, looking away, "That makes me sad. You haven't even let me finish. Next will be your arms and legs, so you'd better think again, think hard about what happened 12 years ago." Baengak realized that 12 years ago, it must have been the escort master from the Yunseong escort agency. Jin's gaze deepened, he frowned at the mention. On that day, their band of bandits had raided a convoy on the road. They even captured the boys in the house. Jin, though still young then, was tormented by them. Back then, Baengak had heated a knife in the fire, looking at him with venomous eyes. The hot blade was pressed straight against Jin's chest. The burning heat seared through his chest, making him cry out in pain, his face going pale. Now Jin looked at him with eyes full of hatred, then lunged straight at Baengak to continue his attack. Another sword strike fell. He felt such pain that veins stood out across his face. His limbs were severed, blood spraying in torrents. His body lost momentum and collapsed face first to the ground. A scream of agony echoed through that dark night. Jin repeated, "This is your last chance. Do you remember the name Samajin?" Baengak, on the verge of death, still spat, "What nonsense are you talking about?" His tone calm. 12 years ago, during an escort mission, that man was ambushed by you and taken prisoner. Only then did Baengak remember. "Yes, right, now I recall." He admitted, "It was my fault then." Jin placed his hand on his chest. "The man you sold into slavery was a warrior of the Yunseong escort agency. Don't forget that when you go to the afterlife." Channeling his inner strength into the man's chest, he growled, "And my name is." That name was uttered with utter bitterness and sorrow. Samajin. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. Baengak's life had reached its end, the area stained with the enemy's blood, then vanished into nothingness along with the rising smoke. Jin admired his handiwork, watching the corpse already start to dry and stiffen. He sheathed the sword in his hand, it made a soft click. He turned to look at the battlefield behind him. The hatred had been laid to rest, and Jin's heart felt light. This would be the last time his hands were stained with blood. From now on he'd live a normal life. At that moment, an explosion tore out violently, sending earth and stone flying. From behind the demolished brick wall, a proud figure emerged. "Is that Chiaolu done already?" he calls out to Big Brother. Jin turned and silently listened as Chiaolu reported the situation. He pointed back, a group of people was emerging, and the prisoners we had captured had all been released. Jin praised him, "Good work, kid." Chiaolu asked impatiently, "Big Brother, how does it feel to have taken your revenge?" Before he could answer, Chiaolu laughed, looking at those at their feet. "Aren't these the ones who sold Big Brother to the slave market?" Big Brother was a slave. Only then did Jin realize it wasn't the relief he'd expected. "It seems the camp owner isn't here." Chiaolu waved it off. "Never mind, we'll find him later and deal with him too. So shall we head back home now, Big Brother?" He looked up at the high sky and said thoughtfully, "At last we can return. The blood-soaked path of the blood-soaked demonic supreme sword. From here on out ends." The next day a new day began. Chiaolu trailed behind Jin as they left. He asked curiously, "Are you really okay with me following you?" Chiaolu replied, "I told you, I have nowhere else to go. Besides, I'm curious to see what Big Brother's homeland looks like." Ma Qin remembers clearly. "I remember you said your first memory was training at the demonic cult, right?" Thiet Vu admitted. "Yes, escaping the place where you struggled your whole life feels like a dream." He shared the same thought. "So do I. Even now I can hardly believe it." Night fell and the heaven demonic cult was lit with lamps. Footsteps echoed through the quiet late night. It was Jin returning to this place. He went to see a man, the leader of the heaven demonic cult, Guan Hyo. On the table lay several dishes and wine. Guan Hyo sat there, his gaze fixed intently on the man opposite. Jin clasped his hands and paid respects to the leader. Guan Hyo frowned but remained silent. First, he poured wine into the small cup on the table. Then he raised the cup and said, "I had hoped you wouldn't come here." The cup floated suspended by his internal energy. It flew toward Jin across the table. He gently caught the cup, a few drops of wine spilling out. Jin tilted his head back and drained the cup. He spoke, "The first time we met at the Black Dragon Valley, you promised us that if they sold their lives to the Heaven demonic cult for 10 years, you would grant freedom to our subordinates. The 10-year term had long since passed, and the condition the leader set for your subordinate 3 years ago has also been fulfilled." Guan Hyo lifted the cup Jin had just poured to his lips, then asked about that promise. He set the cup down with a clack, then continued, "Although it's said the demonic world has been unified and the Heaven demonic cult has been restored, it's still not perfect." Jin exposed the truth. The condition the leader assigned wasn't to unify the demonic world, but to defeat the demonic 10 strong, the ones who manipulate the demonic world. And all of them have knelt before the leader. Guan Hyo admitted that this was indeed the case. He thoughtfully raised the cup to his lips and took a sip, thinking to himself that among the children raised at the Black Dragon Valley, he truly stood out above everyone, but back then he hadn't yet reached this level. In terms of pure martial skill, he might even have been weaker than Qiaolu. However, he had completely changed since he destroyed the Guiman clan and returned. His aura then was entirely different from usual, a dense murderous qi always surrounding him. And his martial skill had become so formidable it was unimaginable whatever had happened at the Guiman clan. Jin lowered his eyes and said, "I apologize." Guan Hyo angrily smashed the cup down and shouted, "Your words are not sincere at all. Go, you've worked hard all this time. For you this may be a terrible karmic bond, but for me it's a good fate. I will absolutely not forget your merits." At these words, Jin replied, "Thank you, leader." He turned and left. "Please take care." Lord Quan, displeased with this attitude, reached for his sword. "Impudent wretch, how dare you?" But Guan Hyo stopped him. "Hold your hand." Jin maintained his composure without a change of expression, despite everyone behind watching him intently. He did not stop walking, moving toward the wide-open door. A new head poked him from outside. Qiaolu waved his hand. "Everyone stay strong and well." Jin thought to himself, even though Min had completed seemingly impossible tasks and barely escaped, would his family still recognize someone who'd been steeped in blood and death for over 10 years like me? The next morning at the ancient tree, Qiaolu pointed at it curiously. "I see it. This is the guardian deity you always talk about, big brother. It's huge, no joke." He thought to himself, the guardian deity. A slight joy appeared in his eyes. Jin recounted, "Every year my parents and the village elders gather here for a ritual. Whenever we had free time, my siblings and I would climb and play on it." He touched the tree trunk with nostalgia. "I'm really back." He laughed in disbelief. "Big brother had a time like that too. I thought when you were little you were as stiff as a log." Just then a voice called out, "Hey, great uncle." The two were startled and turned to see 3 unfamiliar children. A bold little boy pointed at the guardian deity and warned, "That tree, outsiders aren't allowed to touch it casually." He explained, "I'm not an outsider, you're from the Peach Blossom, right?" The boy, surprised, asked, "Great uncle knows our village." Jin smiled gently. "Of course this tree is the Peach Blossom's sacred tree. I used to live here when I was a child." Little Dong gaped in surprise upon hearing that. He continued, "There's a small pond to the north of the village, right? A bit to the left of it there's a thatched hut. That's where my home was." The boy asked in disbelief, "Really?" Jin's eyes curved into a smile. "Of course." Little HWA suddenly snapped, "Don't lie." He was taken aback, not understanding. "Lie about what?" The girl criticized, "That place is a Du's house. A Du doesn't have relatives who look like mountain bandits." Qiaolu didn't expect little HWA to picture him as some raiding thug. "What, mountain bandits?" Little Dong interjected, "Maybe he really is some uncle of his." The girl clearly wouldn't listen. "Have you ever heard him mention an ugly uncle like that? These two are lying, come on, let's go." Hearing that, he angrily planted his hands on his hips and shouted, "Which stinking brat called me an ugly mountain bandit?" Jin was stunned when he heard that name. "Adu, I've never heard that name before." The peach grove beside them was ripe and pink. Qiaolu casually picked a fruit, and he brought it to his mouth to take a bite. The sweetness spread in his mouth and Qiaolu exclaimed, "So sweet, really sweet. Now I see why this place is called the Peach Blossom." He called to Jin to try one. Big brother frowned and refused. "I won't." The day Jin returned was beautiful, the sky clear blue. The house imprinted in his memory appeared across the river, backed against the mountain. Jin quietly approached to admire the familiar scene before him, thinking it was the house he'd longed for even in his dreams. An unnamed emotion rose in his heart, unchanged from before. Qiaolu asked curiously, "Is it this place?" Jin confirmed yes. Suddenly a shout rang out, freezing them in place. Who goes there? He turned and glanced at the person who had just called out. Uncle Jang scowled as he stared at the two unfamiliar young men. Behind him, the villagers held spears, poles, and clubs. Little Hwa watched them closely. It was she who had led them here. Representing the villagers, Uncle Jang asked, "This is Adu's house. What business do you have here?" Jin was suspicious. "Adu, that can't be. This is Sama's house, the ancestral home our family has lived in for generations. Who are you people?" He vaguely guessed, "Wait, could you be Uncle Jang? Are you Uncle Jang from the village head's household?" He was stunned. "Yes, that's me, but who are you?" Jin was so moved that he grabbed the old man's hand. He cheerfully introduced himself. "Uncle, it's your nephew, Sama Jin, the one who used to live in this house." Uncle Jang still didn't recognize him. "Sama Jin, who's that?" A flash of memory crossed his mind and he stammered. "If it's Sama Jin, could it be that boy from long ago?" He confirmed, "Yes, it's me, your nephew." The old man widened his eyes as if he'd heard something unbelievable. Impossible. Jin brushed his bangs aside to show Uncle Jang. "Do you remember now? This scar was caused by a wook. He suddenly hit me with a rock after losing that fight." He was astonished. "Good heavens, yes, little wook of our village did that." Uncle Jang was so overjoyed he burst into tears, hugging him tightly and calling out, "Jin, where on earth have you been and what have you been doing all this time? What on earth happened to you?" Jin pressed his lips together awkwardly, unsure what to say. Not until nightfall did his old house light up. Uncle Jang poured a cup of tea and asked, "You really are Jin, the one who vanished 12 years ago after joining that escort convoy, right?" Jin lifted the warm cup and replied, "You warned me many times that becoming a fighter for the Yunseong escort agency was dangerous." He voiced his true thoughts. "Since childhood you've had to bear the weight of the household, so you were always so resilient. I thought you must have met some misfortune and died doing that work. Indeed, how have you been living all this time?" Jin hesitated. "Over the years A memory rose once more in his mind. One dusk, corpses lay strewn along the mountain path. Behind Kyoyak, countless people had perished. He had worked himself to the point of coughing up blood. Facing him was Jin, standing proud and unbowed. Kyoyak had been hit by one of his strikes. He declared, "It has been 300 years since the heavenly demon passed and the demonic have been scattered." The old man sneered at the boastful ones, claiming they'd unite the sky-defying demon cult, preaching they'd bring together this fractured demonic path. But it turned out to be true. Rumor had it that, aside from the old man, the demonic 10 strong had all been defeated, and each fell to a single person. Jin said coldly, "You are the last one. Defeat you and I'll be free." Kyohyuk laughed coldly, "If you're so brave, then come at me, if you can defeat me. Then you'll be the #1 demon sword, the strongest in the demonic cult." With that, he lunged toward him, drawing his sword. Countless sword intents sliced toward Kyohyuk. The blow sent him flying backward. In the choking dust, a weak rattle cough sounded. Kyohyuk, exhausted, had to prop himself on his sword to avoid collapse. His voice grew hoarse. "I didn't expect you to be this strong." Before long, Kyohyuk fell. Jin exhaled, relieved. The end had finally come. The golden sunset shone over his solitary figure. Back in the present, Jin knew that even if he told the truth, Uncle probably wouldn't believe him. So he found a more believable excuse. "I was sold to a mercenary band, wandered everywhere, and only recently managed to escape." Uncle Jang didn't doubt him. Indeed, he had suffered much. He raised the cup, took a sip, and then slowly asked, "So where did your family move to?" He revealed that Jin's siblings had gone to Sohyong. Jin froze at the name, Sohyong. Uncle Jang recounted, "Yes, about 6 years ago. After you disappeared, they did their best to hold things together and stay here. But then you uncovered the truth. Is that how it happened?" The next morning, a new day began. Jin and Chialwu left the wooden house, followed by Uncle Jang, as he was preparing to depart. He thought to himself about what was said last night. He said, "Jin, your mother. I heard she passed away last year." The mountain beside the house was shrouded in a pale, ghostly mist. Alone, Jin sat on a rocky outcrop and knelt, facing the distance, his whole body trembling as he choked back sobs. "I have committed an unforgivable sin against my mother." Their faces appeared in Jin's mind, and he nearly collapsed. How could such filial failure be forgiven, mother? After that, the two of them went to Sohyong. Jin's steps halted at a small, dilapidated old house. Could he bear to show pity in his eyes at a place as shabby as this? Chialwu beside him asked innocently, "What's wrong, big bro? Don't tell me you're scared. It's been ages since I've seen you like this. Not long ago, you were walking among swarms of enemies like it was a stroll." Jin replied, "How can that be compared to this?" He thought there was nothing special about it. "Just throw the door open." He cautioned that it wasn't that easy. "I'm wondering what face I can show to meet them again. How much hardship must they have endured to move into a place like this?" Chialwu's logic was simple. You earn money and buy a new house. With you here, anything's possible. Let's go in, and Jin's mind cleared. Yes, his brother had a point. As he knocked lightly on the door, he vowed to himself that from now on he would never abandon his family again. A voice from behind made his wrist freeze. Who's there? The two of them glanced back in unison. Since when had a young lady been standing behind them? Jin glanced, surprise showing in his eyes. She was a youthful, pretty maiden. He privately recalled carrying his little sister on his back to roam everywhere long ago. Jin slowly formed an answer. Could it be? Is it? Xiaolu beside him marveled. Who is so terrifyingly beautiful? Jin was still stunned by his flirty words. Her small but powerful fist struck Xiaolu squarely on the cheek. He stepped forward and asked, Jin, you're Sama Jin, right? She was surprised. How does a gentleman know my name? Jin suddenly grabbed Jin's hand. You've grown so much, I'm your big brother. The moment he touched her hand, he sensed something unusual. A strange energy flowed from Jin's palm. While she was still startled by his sudden action, he realized an intense accumulation of yin energy in Jin's body. What on earth had happened? Jin pulled her hand back in fear and shouted, let go, or you might accidentally fall to the ground. He flinched and stammered, I was behind when I heard a loud shout, hey you bastards. The two Sama siblings dropped their basket and hurried over. Who are you people? Their arrival once again left him dumbfounded. Jin shouted, third brother. Jin took note of that form of address. Hot-headed Guangho rushed up, ready to teach him a lesson. How dare you touch my sister? Jin was stunned. Third brother. He casually leaned aside to dodge the attack, then quipped, so your brother is that idiot, huh? Guangho confirmed, yes, I'm Guangho of the Concordant Mind Association. He charged at Jin once more, throwing a flurry of punches. How dare you touch my family? Those lowly blood axe scum were all easily dodged by you. Jin assessed inwardly. The Concordant Mind Association blood axe, is this brat acting like a street thug? Even little Channy and mischievous Guangho from back then has grown up so much now. Guangho drew his spear, teasing my sister wasn't enough. Now you want to make a joke of me? I'll kill you. A hand quickly stopped his reckless action. Hyun held him back. Ahao, stop. What are you doing on Mother's Memorial Day? He realized it was the memorial. Could this be a Hyun? Guangho, hot-tempered as ever, move aside. He shouted, why did you rush to draw your sword without knowing the full story? Joining those thugs has turned you mad. Jin hadn't yet recovered from the shock. Have they all grown up so much? While Guangho kept trying to prove a point. Honestly, I told you he's not a thug. Hyun interrupted. How many times have I told you to stop? He closed his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief, grateful everyone was safe. Guangho saw an opening, broke free of Hyun's grip, and reached for a knife to stab. Xiaolu intervened, grabbing the dagger blade with his hand, twisting the blade as if it were a toy until it was crushed. Guangho, seeing his nonchalant demeanor, was terrified. Demon, did a demon steal your house? A demon? Xiaolu raised his fist threateningly. Yes, I am the great Jumgangyacha. He ground his teeth in anger and demanded, I don't know what that title means, but what do people like you lack that you have to steal from my home? Those words made him feel insulted. What, first bandits, now thieves, how am I like a thief? As Xiaolu's blood boiled and he prepared to teach him a lesson, Jin stopped him. Wait. He stepped in front of the three brothers, fumbling for words. I am. Guangho stared past Jin and exclaimed, blood axe. Sensing people approaching, he glanced back. A group was strolling over, and Jin silently observed them. The leader, a swaggering ruffian, asked arrogantly, what's this? These folks look strange. I've never seen them around here before. Their arrival put everyone on edge. The man asked, who are you? No one answered. Huang, used to bullying, stepped forward and slapped Jin hard on the shoulder. He repeated, hey you deaf, I'm asking who you lot are. Huang, not fearing for his life, went up to Qiaolu and asked, and what the hell is that big guy? Guangho couldn't help but shout, this is territory of the Concordant Mind Association. What are you blood axe doing here? Jin held back from acting. Blood axe, are these really the blood axe? Huang declared, from now on we'll take over this place. You're Guangho, right? He snapped angrily, cursing at them. You bastards, using that petty bandit name to come steal from my home wasn't enough. Now you come here to hunt us down and finish us off. He warned them that if they cooperated, he'd end this matter quietly. No sooner had he said that than the sword Huang wore at his back slid from its sheath. With a casual flick of his hand, Jin guided the blade across the man's throat. Blood spurted and Huang's head fell, and the whole crew that had followed him stood dumbfounded at the sudden turn of events. Only after a while did they regain themselves and all grabbed their sword hilts, ready to attack. Huang barked, what the hell was that guy? What did he just do? Where are the others? Kill them all. He exchanged a look with his sworn brother. Qiaolu, finish cleaning this up for me. Qiaolu immediately understood what that look meant, right? Yes, boss. Qiaolu stepped forward to block the onslaught of those men, while they, full of arrogance and ready to teach him a lesson to remember, were beaten nearly to death by Qiaolu's raw, powerful fists. His punches struck their weak points, and before long the whole group was down. He hadn't even finished enjoying it and snorted coldly, truly a bunch of worthless shrimp. Seeing their pitiful state, Qiaowu hesitated. Had he maybe gone a bit too far? The Sama brothers were frozen at the scene. What just happened? He knocked those vicious thugs out in an instant, but weren't those men hired by them? Qiaowu pointed to the people behind them. So, do you still think we're the same gang as those guys now? Guangho hadn't figured out their background, so who are you? Then Jin spoke up, we're not thieves, a Hyun, a Guangho, and Jin as well. As before, he swept his hair aside to reveal the scar on his forehead. Don't you recognize me? Hyun was astonished. That scar, could it really be Big Brother? Is it really you? Jin confirmed, yes, I've returned. Hearing that, he burst into tears and rushed forward to hug him, calling out, Big Brother. Jin felt very guilty. Sorry, I'm so late, aren't I? Hyun anxiously asked, so what happened? Where have you been all this time? Jin replied calmly, I'll tell you everything slowly, it's a long story. Later, hearty laughter from Qiaowu echoed in the shabby house. He'd grown fond of the kid's personality. A few simple dishes were laid out on the table. Qiaowu casually draped an arm over Guangho. We used to have many people like this under our command, right, boss? He blushed a little shyly, asking, I've been wondering, why does Qiaowu call Big Brother boss? He explained, when I was little I challenged the boss and he beat me senseless. I owe him a few lives. Guangho was surprised. Really? He signaled quietly, reminding him not to speak nonsense. Qiaowu fell silent. Jin continued, he's bragging, he just doesn't want to call me Big Brother, so he says that. So how have you all been getting by lately? Hyun reported, I've been working as a martial disciple for the Pearl Sea Escort Agency. He was surprised to hear the name. An escort agency, he replied. Didn't Uncle Jang mention it to you? Right now I'm apprenticing under a wook under the escort agency's steward. Jin guessed that their mother must have opposed it fiercely. Hyun admitted, yes, mother objected far more strongly than I had imagined. Guangho interjected, of course, Big Brother went missing while working as a martial attendant for the escort agency. From the start, it's second brother's fault for stubbornly insisting on doing that job. He retorted, that's someone who only dives into dark alleys like you has no right to lecture me. He argued back and forth, only that, anyway, I still earn more than you. Hyun wasn't convinced. Earn money by draining the blood of helpless civilians. I've already said I don't need that filthy money. Guangho, annoyed, snapped back, who's draining people's blood? How many times have I told you we don't do those things? To prevent another shouting match, Jin slammed a freshly cooked dish down on the table. She shouted, cut it out, Big Brother's only back after 12 years and all you do is bicker. No sooner had she spoken than Jin raised her hand to her mouth, and fresh blood welled up. The sight frightened Jin, and he hurried over to steady her. Jinnai, I can't believe it, what is this? Why is the yin energy in your body so dense? Guangho was surprised. How did Big Brother notice? Jin turned and asked, have you taken her to the clinic? What's wrong with her? Hyun recounted, I've consulted every renowned physician in the area, but none of them knew. Only one doctor gave the most plausible diagnosis, and he said exactly what Big Brother did. Her cold limbs and pale complexion are caused by that. Jin, trying to be brave, reassured them, I'm fine, I can still endure it. She quietly stepped outside, not wanting them to see her current state. The door clicked shut for a moment, and inside the house, Hyun continued the story. The reason they left their hometown and moved here was because that doctor was in Sohyang. Guangho added he prescribed yang-restoring tonics, so Jinnai has been able to stay alive until now. Otherwise, Jinnai would have. Jin worried, is there any way to cure her completely? He replied sadly that he didn't know about a complete cure, but he'd heard the condition could be suppressed, though it would be extremely expensive. To be honest, even now the costs are not small, and living on my wages alone can't possibly cover it. If not for the money Guangho earned, we probably couldn't manage, so I have no right to scold him. After saying that, Hyun broke into tears. Guangho called out with concern, second brother. He stepped forward and put his hand on his two younger brothers' shoulders. Jin comforted them, no, of course I bear responsibility. What kind of brother would fold his arms and watch his siblings go astray? The one unworthy here is me, for only returning now. I'm sorry, brothers. Hyun, it's not Big Brother's fault. He decided, thank you, brothers, don't worry about money anymore. Tomorrow we'll take Jinnai to the clinic and see. Hyun stood up, yes, everyone's probably tired, rest a bit. He stepped out the door but gave them some space. Behind Jin, who was lost in thought, Chialwu regretted, saying that seeing the scene now, we should have looted and taken some of it with us. Jin replied, take what? The valuables of those mountain bandits. He confirmed, yes, they'd hoarded quite a lot of wealth, it's just that the boss said to leave it be. Jin answered, that wealth should of course be returned to those who were captured, and also sent to the families of the caravan guards and others who perished in the merchant convoy. Honestly, I don't even want to touch that bastard's money. Didn't we still have that item we took from the demonic Buddha before? Sell that and we'd have plenty of coin. Leader, what do you make of Jin Nai's condition? You just took her pulse yourself. Jin frowned and poured a cup. I'm not sure either, I'm no physician. He asked if there really wasn't a single clue. You replied that the chi balance in Jin Nai's body has been completely shattered, with yin energy overwhelmingly dominant. Xiaolu doubted it, so just infuse yang chi into her, right? If we use the master's deep internal power, how hard could that be? Jin was a bit uneasy. I think it's not that simple. I tried to transmit a bit of yang qi as you said, but it was completely ineffective. I couldn't even see a channel for the yang qi to enter. He wondered what it meant that it wouldn't take. You summed it up. If things stay like this, Jin Nai won't be able to hold on much longer. The next day, they traveled to Chingsim to have Sama Jin examined, and everyone stopped in unison to look at the signboard ahead. Outside Chingsim, it was packed. The clinic staff had to coordinate the crowd, lining people up neatly and telling them not to push. Jin muttered, what a long line, we must be a bit late. We left at dawn and it's still this crowded. Looks like the physicians here are very skilled. Guangho explained it's because they're famous throughout the region. Wait, hold on a moment. With that, he stepped forward alone. Guangho clasped his hands and bowed to the group. Greetings, elders and brothers, thank you for your hard work. Qiaowu was curious. What's going on? Who are they? Hyun answered, they're people from the Concordant Mind Association. They use the pretense of keeping order to collect protection money not just here but at many shops. He asked, so that's what they mean by maintaining peace. But why do they seem so obsequious? Wasn't yesterday they claimed to be some sort of pillar? Hyun replied, pillar my foot, they're just small fry. Qiaowu laughed at that. Everyone has to rise from the bottom to the top after all. Guangho called back, enough chit-chat, let's go in. Qiaowu urged brightly, looking very trustworthy. Come on, boss. They all entered the clinic, and he assessed that not only were patients numerous, but the physicians were plentiful too. Hyun chimed in that he'd traveled with the escort agency to many places, don't mention Sohyung. Even surrounding areas have nowhere bigger than this. When they first arrived, there was only one small infirmary and only that Sasoma as physician. Yet thanks to his medicine, in just a few years it's grown to this scale. Jin noticed the name, Sasoma. Jialu was certain he wasn't a quack. Boss. He thought sadly to himself that even such a skilled physician couldn't cure Jin Nai's illness. Guangho went forward to pay respects to someone. Oh, master physician, greetings to you. The man was surprised. Oh, young Lord Sama, it's not your appointment time yet, why have you come? He answered offhandedly that a matter had come up and asked him to inform the chief physician. The master agreed. I understand, please wait inside a moment, I'll fetch the master right away. Inside the main clinic, patients waited. When their group entered the consultation room, Jin was sitting on the sickbed and a voice rang out, may I come in? HWA Jiang continued, hearing you're here startled me, there should still be the previous medicine, has her condition worsened? He bent down to examine Jin, luckily it seems that's not the case. Guangho confirmed, yes, it's not that. My elder brother wanted to see the miracle doctor, so I took the liberty of coming early. He stepped forward to introduce himself. I am Sama Jin. The other returned the greeting. I am HWA Jiang. I've treated your family for many years, though I only just learned you have an elder brother here. Jin mentally noted, good looks, modest too, however. A physician who also knows martial arts. Qiaowu silently updated his impression. A physician with nimble hands, boss, you have to admit, he does look quite capable. Jin then spoke, I've wandered in foreign lands for a long time. Now I'm home and heard Jin Nai is gravely ill. I rushed here because I heard the miracle doctor treats patients with great care. HWA Jiang replied courteously, if it's treatment you seek, then in any case it's good you've come. He lifted Jin's wrist and took her pulse, and the room fell so silent you wouldn't dare breathe hard. HWA Jiang said sadly, your sister's illness has weighed on me heavily. It makes me blame my own limited talent and strength. Hyun comforted him, don't say that, sir. Jin Nai is alive to this day because of you. Without you, she likely would have passed long ago. He answered, hearing you say that consoles me somewhat, but in truth I have only slowed the illness, trying to avoid the worst outcome. Jin thought to himself, the worst outcome, Jin Nai's life. He spoke up, I heard that if better medicine is available, it would be more effective. HWA Jiang confirmed that the current medicine has some effect, and using a higher grade variety would likely yield somewhat better results. Jin immediately asked which herb is needed. He revealed to neutralize the yin in her body. I've been using herbs with strong yang energy. With the chief ingredient being the fire spirit herb, it has shown definite effect, so if something similar or stronger can be found, it's likely to help more. The best is the 1000-year fire spirit herb, the supreme grade of fire spirit herb, expensive and nearly extinct. There's also the cold cleansing stone nectar. You asked if Cheng Sim had any of those. Hwa Jiang denied it. How could we? This place doesn't have such precious herbs. Honestly, keeping them is dangerous. Jin realized it's true. Everyone in the martial world is desperately searching for that herb. You need more information, so where can I find it? He suggested, have you ever heard of the Suryong Trading Guild? Hyun knew a little. Wasn't that the trading guild in Hangzhou? Hwa Jiang confirmed. Yes, it's a major trading guild famous across the Central Plains. Not long ago, the guild master's son unfortunately contracted a heat-cold disorder, and they urgently invited me to treat him. At that time, the guild master showed me a kind of herb, saying it would help the treatment, and I was astonished. Jin concluded, so you used it then? He denied it, not at all. Using the cold cleansing stone nectar for a heat-cold disorder, any physician would laugh me out of the hall. I said we didn't need it, but the guild master joked this one line. You cut to the chase and asked how much. Hwa Jiang answered, 300 taels. He said they'd sell it for 300 taels of gold. This news astonished the Sama brothers. 300 taels of gold. Jin seemed to have accepted her fate. Hyun worried, 1 tael of gold is already Jin Nai's medicine for half a year. Xiaolu asked a very blunt question. They won't let us buy on credit, right? Jin cut him off irritably. I'm just asking. He reminded them that the money they had was probably not enough to fill a tooth. If we sold that thing, it should be enough. Hyun hurriedly asked, what is that thing? He whispered through Chi, are you planning to shout to heaven and earth about it if we keep it? Xiaolu revealed, when I was a mercenary at Mount Mandiok, I happened to pick up an object, thinking it was just a glowing stone, but it turns out people say it fetches a high price. Jin added, right, I heard it's valued up to 400 taels. Folks nearly fainted. The two brothers were astonished. 400 taels. This news moved Ma Chan deeply. Big brother. He reassured, don't worry Chan, I'll definitely bring it back for you. I'll buy that cold cleansing stone nectar, he said to the miracle doctor. Please arrange an appointment. Hong Chin agreed at once. I'll contact them right away. They proceeded to Biryong's residence. Inside the room, Jin and Xiaolu stepped before the old man. He bluntly refused, I will not sell. Jin was surprised, what did you just say? Biryong repeated, do you want me to say it again? The guild will not sell the cold cleansing stone nectar to you. He grinned, a gold glint flashing from a false tooth. Hear that? You still press for an answer. Why is that? Biryong replied, this place isn't valuable enough yet. Jin frowned and stared coldly at him. He probes, do you think it's a fake? If you wish, you can have it thoroughly inspected. The old man denied it. He was the head of the Suryong Trading Guild and had a discerning eye. Certain it was a true luminous pearl and moreover visibly top grade. Jin still didn't understand, so why not sell? Biryong fell silent and hesitated for a moment, then finally answered, although I told Sasoma I'd sell it for 300 taels of gold, in truth, I never intended to sell it. Haven't you heard why I took it out? You know, I heard your young master had malaria, so you brought it out to treat him. He confirmed it was the toughest, hard-to-treat strain of fever. Only reluctantly did he bring it out. The cold cleansing stone nectar is rumored to revive the near-dead, so rare it's like plucking stars from the sky. If the world knew our guild possessed it, this place would become a target for attack. So I intended to keep it a secret item reserved only for important figures in the guild. Even after Sasoma refused, I explained my reasons and demanded secrecy. Of course, I know he's not the sort to break his word easily. With his character, he'd only blurt it out while desperately trying to save a critical patient. And judging by the situation that critical patient is, Jin remained silent, waiting for him to continue. Biryong exclaimed, as I said, I have some eye for people. Once news leaks, lookers will soon appear, so I had to get rid of it. But I couldn't just hand over such a precious elixir at a cheap price. Besides, in trade, the rarer the item, the higher the price. He began to inflate the price, 500 taels of gold. That exorbitant price shocked Xiaolu. What? Biryong picked it up and judged this luminous pearl to indeed be top quality. But its size is quite small, so it's hard to fetch 400 taels unless you meet the right buyer. At best it'd go for about 300 taels, plus a 100 tael distrust fee and another 100 tael demand surcharge. Add 200 more taels and I'll hand over the cold cleansing stone nectar. Xiaolu couldn't help but curse loudly. That doddering, sly old man, does he want to die? Mind your tongue a bit, will you? Want me to flatten this trading guild for you? Jin frowned and warned, stop. Why do you always lose control and start smashing things? How much do we have left? He answered. We brought about 120 taels. With that, you negotiate with Biryong. I'll add 100 taels, leaving just enough for living expenses. You say you have an eye for people. What kind of people do you see us as? The old man frowned, pondering inwardly. Fai Long guessed, though they're young, he could see the world weariness of men who'd been to death's door. Jin confirmed that although we weren't willing, we had once walked the demonic path and had killed countless people. Not long ago, after escaping that place, I promised myself that I would end a life steeped in blood and live a normal life with my family. But that family is dying piece by piece. I don't have the luxury of time to keep that vow. In this situation, what do you think I'll do? Biryong understood the threat implied in his words. He thought to himself, daring to recount a dark past and calculate finances so precisely. This surely isn't a lie. Biryong agreed. All right, our guild will show leniency. In return, you must do me a favor later. Jin accepted without hesitation. Fine. By the time dusk fell, smoke curled up in the evening sun. In the forest, his group sat around a fire roasting meat. Xiaolu swore, those bastards, if it weren't for you stopping me, I'd have smashed their heads in. He felt guilty. Sorry, it's our money after all. Hearing that, he scolded unhappily. What are you saying, big brother? Saving the youngest's life, why haggle over money? I'm just angry at the merchant's attitude, knowing our situation and still gouging prices. No, shall we just go back and steal it? Jin disagreed. Nonsense, spill blood on the medicine that will save Jin Nai. Xiaolu pondered and admitted, you're right, that's not wise. He reminded them that what they'd done, whether kidnapped or driven by survival, those they'd killed were still people of the demonic. But the truth is our hands are stained with blood, the blood of countless forces, including figures among the 10 powers in the name of unifying the demonic. Now that we're out to integrate into the secular world, we must abandon our old ways. This Central Plains has the order of martial societies and clans. For now, we must adapt to it. As I said, give 100 taels now, keeping only enough for living expenses. I think that's appropriate. Save Jin Nai, then find honest work. Though late, I'll fulfill my duty as head of the family and live a normal life with them, hopefully a belated atonement for our deceased mother. Of course, I'm not forcing you. You can leave any time if you wish. Xiaolu hurriedly said, no, big brother, sorry, I've been hot-headed. We paid dearly to escape from there, after all. He pondered, for my brothers, I can't live the old life anymore. Suddenly, I remembered the old days. Jin didn't quite get the other's meaning. What happened? Xiaolu answered, the cold cleansing stone nectar the boss got from the Guiman clan and gave to me. If we'd rationed it back then, we wouldn't be suffering like this now. He replied, ration? What ration? It was only 1 dose, given your constitution, that wouldn't do much anyway. He grinned brightly, fair enough, but it was small and you managed to train your diamond body from it. And your nose got keener for the metallic tang of those scumbags' blood. Glancing at the movement behind them, Xiaolu was curious. What's that? He picked up his pack absent-mindedly, but I had a bad feeling. Go check and you'll see at once. Ahead, a band of horses was charging at full speed. They galloped like the wind toward the two of them. All at once, they surrounded the two in the middle. The horses stopped and the riders dismounted. They looked rough and fierce, faces scarred, staring at the pair. He sighed, things really weren't going smoothly. They drew swords, one spoke, these beggars run fast, and another chimed in, almost lost the trail. The two brothers looked at their opponents silently, and this one sneered, shall we cut off their legs first? Jin spoke, you chased after us. He replied, hand over the goods obediently, and we'll give you a quick death. The blackguard warned, if not, we'll make your life worse than death in this living hell. Thichvu, puzzled, asked what they wanted. He answered, the thing you took from the Suryong Trading Guild. He thought to himself that the Suryong Guildmaster said to keep it absolutely secret. Sure enough, you can't trust anyone. Jin ordered, get lost, I've seen enough blood, leave now and I'll pretend this never happened. He sneered, don't try to play innocent. We confirmed you took the cold cleansing stone nectar from the Suryong Trading Guild before we chased you. The other two piped up, if it were me I'd vomit too. Our boss is worried that old man might swallow it all himself, so he's anxious, you know? Right, if we're a few days slower, no matter the magistrate or guards, we'll scale the walls and take it. They kept threatening and mocking, we're going to die anyway, might as well die happy. Hand it over and I'll let you go peacefully. What's with that big bear, ugly mug, really? Xiaolu smiled coldly, bear, huh, interesting, so who are you lot? The two others replied, do we need to say? We're all about to die anyway, so why not tell you? After all, answering a dying man's question is a code of chivalry. You've probably heard of the 1,000 killer ruling the Knights of Hangzhou. We are the heroes of the 1,000 Killer. The blackguard, losing patience, shouted, "Shut up, all of you. I'll count to 3, decide quick. A quick death or one more painful than death." Xiaolu picked his teeth with his finger and said, "Or you could just die already." That attitude offends him. "What did you say? Dare to mock me, do you? Fly away. If it wants a taste of hell, we'll indulge it." The blackguard's henchmen all prepared to follow orders at once. Xiaolu skeptically pointed at them. "What's so valuable here that you'd risk your lives for it?" "No choice, I've warned you already." He's very professional, he smelled it right away. A strong metallic tang of blood, heavy murderous intent. "You must have stained your hands with many people's blood, huh?" The blackguard leveled his sword at them. "That insolent brat, gouge his eyes, cut out his tongue for me." A whole bunch of men brandishing swords looked at the two like they were prey. Xiaolu stepped forward, waved them off and called, "I'll return that line to you intact." Then he lunged. Only then did Jin speak up to stop him. "Wait," he asked, turning back curiously. "What's going on?" Seeing figures in the distance, Xiaolu froze. Chuangyin and 2 others were walking toward them. Xiaolu gasped in confusion, eyes fixed on them. The blackguard's men were stunned too. Who are they? She judged they looked like unlucky merchants who ran into bandits, terrified out of their wits. Poor souls. "Looks like you're in trouble, need a hand." Jin was curious. "Helping strangers, who are they?" He admitted it, they claimed to be from Hangzhou's underworld. Qiaowu exchanged a hush opinion. "Boss, these guys have some skill." Jin agreed they were fighters, then corrected himself. "Calling them masters is a stretch, but they're more than enough to handle these guys." He pointed out that the real expert was that female commander, awkward, but let's leave it to her to deal with it. Jin asked, "Can you lend us a hand? These bandits are pointing their swords at the 3 newcomers." The 2 companions realized the bandits might attack them too. "Miss, what's your move? Scum daring to radiate killing intent before me." Chuangying warned kindly, "Be sensible and leave now. I won't make trouble. Let's call the earlier matter forgot." The blackguard thought to himself, "Are those armed men bodyguards? They look of high status, but the main thing is getting the cold cleansing stone nectar." He shouted, not knowing his limits and daring to act superior. "Ah, fly away, kill them all." A group of bandits took the order and charged in unison. Jinu drew his sword, the blade flashed with a keen light those vermin. He threw the scabbard forward as 3 bandits kept rushing in. Every downward slash they made was parried by Jinu. When the scabbard plunged into the ground, those attackers collapsed, all covered in blood. Men horribly wounded. One man with the last of his strength croaked, "Boss, a master." Jinu let the blood smear his face, eyes glinting. Jin and the other exchanged a silent assessment. "Not bad." Seeing his men all down, the blackguard cursed, "Bastards." He leapt from his horse and charged. "Damn it." This time Jinsen greeted him with a swift slashing stroke. Then he teleported to the opponent's back and turned back to say, "When the young lady showed mercy and told you to leave, you could have kept your lives. But this is more fun." The blackguard, clueless about fear, lunged in a furious charge. Damn him. Jinsen casually tilted aside to dodge, even praising, "Not bad." That agility and quickness left him gaping in astonishment. The blackguard could only swing his sword like a machine, until he was counterattacked and stabbed by the man. Fresh blood spurted down his back. He fell to the ground, blood gushing from the corner of his mouth. Bastard. Jinu was a bit displeased. Why was his friend so slow? Jinsen sheathed his sword. The leader truly had some skill. You looked at him with such contempt. The rest hurriedly dropped to their knees. The newcomers had some presence, and with prisoners captured, cutting down a few more would have made them drop their weapons immediately. I wanted to cut them all down to settle the score, but the young lady said to spare them. Jinsen knows her well, that's just how she is. Jin thanked them. "Many thanks, sirs. Because of you we kept our lives." Chuangying modestly, "Don't be polite, it's just what's right, helping people is enough." He replied that he should properly thank his benefactors, but he had urgent matters to attend to. She smiled brightly and said, "What benefactors? Don't be formal, just go, we'll handle these guys." Jin clasped his hands politely and said, "Many thanks. Please leave your name. I am Sama Jin. If there's a chance in the future, I will repay your kindness." Qiaolu scoffed, following him. "Repay one day, boss, that gives me goosebumps." Makin barked to shut him up. Jinsen and Jinu remarked that these people were strange and rude. "No matter how rushed, if it's your mess you should clean it up before leaving." Chuangying didn't mind much, they'd apologized. I agreed, to be honest, I was scared earlier. Her gaze flicked to one side. Jinu asked curiously, "What is it, miss?" Only then did Chuangying realize they showed no fear at all. Those two didn't exhibit the slightest fear. The 2 listeners blinked in surprise. She noted that no matter how many bled or died, their eyes never wavered. Their aloofness made it seem like it wasn't their concern. It was as if they were leisurely watching a play. Early the next morning at Chingsim, Jin had arrived early. He entered the room. Behind him there was a sound. Ma Qin turned to look. Hwa Jiang hurried over and asked, "Did you find it?" Jin took out the pack. Fortunately, it had been retrieved safely. He clasped his hands remorsefully. "How shameful, I should have gone with you." Jin interrupted, "What do you mean? Just pointing out how to find the cold cleansing stone nectar was enough." Hwa Jiang sighed in relief. "Thank you for understanding. Where is the junior who accompanied you?" He replied, "I sent him to fetch the younger siblings." Jin added, "I told him to hurry. He's almost here." He exclaimed, "I see." He thought to himself that maybe they only think of themselves. They must be in a real hurry. Jin clasped his hands. "My apologies, because we have the medicine. I wanted to treat her immediately, so I was a bit hasty. I'll return when the physician is less busy." Hwa Jiang blushed. "You've misunderstood. It's not because we're busy or annoyed. Actually, the real reason I couldn't accompany you to the Suryang Trading Guild was different. A distinguished guest from my family was visiting." Ma Qin blinked. "Your family?" He covered his mouth with his hand and cleared his throat awkwardly. Hwa Jiang suddenly asked, "Have you ever heard of the Fire Immortal medical family?" He replied, "Aren't they the famed medical clan said to revive the near-dead? I never expected the divine physician to come from them. Since you treated my little sister when no one else could, I already thought you extraordinary. The reputation is well-deserved." Hwa Jiang recounted, "You flatter me. I only held things together. I didn't cure her. Your sister's illness is so strange that I sent letters many times asking my family to send someone. My family has been very concerned. But unfortunately, in recent years, epidemics have raged across the Central Plains, and they have no extra physicians to spare." However, Ma Qin asked excitedly, "A physician from your family actually came here?" Hwa Jiang confirmed it. That person was heading to Hangzhou and stopped by Sohyung on the way. He promised to return after finishing his business to examine your sister. That physician's medical skill ranks among the top in my family. Someone like me who only picked up tricks dare not compare." He stood up and bowed deeply. "Thank you, divine physician. I don't know how to repay this great favor." His tone made Ma Qin flinch. "Repay? That's a physician's duty." He said he'd try to finish his business quickly and return, but didn't know exactly when. Jin answered, "It's fine, so long as she is cured. A little waiting is nothing. I'll wait however long it takes." Hwa Jiang hesitated. "No, I mean." Seeing his expression, "Why are you worried? Is there a problem?" He thought to himself that illness is never something you can guarantee a cure for, but seeing him so cheerful, he couldn't bring himself to say anything. After a while, Ma Qin left. "It's nothing, I'll be in touch later." At the Sama household, the kitchen smoke was rising. The brothers in the yard were each busy with their tasks. Jin carried a plate of food out and carefully set it on the table. He asked Hyun, "Where are you off to?" He answered while scooping rice, "Wuxi." Jin warned, "If it's Wuxi, you'll have to head quite a distance north from Hangzhou." Hyun acknowledged that yes, but if nothing special happens, he should be back in about half a month. He cast a careful glance at his younger brother. Jin began, Hyun, I've wanted to talk to you about this. Do you still want to keep working for the escort agency?" He confirmed, "Yes, I still have to keep working there. You know I don't like that job, it's dangerous. I worked that job for 12 years before I could return, if even you." Hyun interrupted, "Big brother, I started at the escort agency when I was 17. It's been 5 years now. No one can promise there won't be danger later, but if you keep fearing things that haven't happened, you'll never get anything done. Besides, the pay there is better than other escort agencies." Jin counseled, "I've saved up some money. With that amount, you could live without working for the escort agency." He was surprised. "Big brother said he'd spent it all, didn't you? I clearly heard you used it up to buy the cold cleansing stone nectar." Behind him, Chiaolu suddenly went pale and shouted. He forced a smile. It's because his brother asked too many detailed questions, so. Hyun asked, puzzled, "Why did you do that with Chiaolu? Are you planning to hide it from us? Besides, even if you still had leftover money, there's nothing concrete to spend it on. You denied it, why not buy out the whole orchard then?" He continued, "By the way, do you even remember how to farm?" "Can't remember, can you?" "Me neither. When we were kids, we did odd jobs for pay, but only trivial tasks." Jin suggested, "Then how about trading?" Hyun immediately rejected it. "Trading? That's even harder than farming. Without a head for it, you'll just bankrupt yourself." At that moment, Jin cut in, "Everyone come eat." Guangho from the back spoke up, "I cast a vote for trading. If Big Brother wants, I can find you a prime spot." Chiaolu doubted, "Where do you get that authority?" The Concordant Mind Association, is that feasible?" He answered, "Looks aside, I do have a bit of clout. Chiaolu wasn't very convinced. Really? I saw you the other day, never mind. Hyun reminded them, why rush? Big brother has only just returned, and we still need to monitor the treatment of the little sister. If you're truly worried, come work with me. Judging by Chiaolu's looks, the boss will surely rush out to greet him warmly. Chiaolu refused. I won't be a martial enforcer for the escort agency. If I work, I'll only be a guard. Jin still hesitated, but returning to work at the escort agency felt a bit off. Hyun counseled, take your time, don't decide hastily, just look into it slowly. Jin stayed silent and didn't intervene. He agreed, I was too impatient. For now, I'll think this over carefully and slowly. In return, you should consider it seriously too. I won't force you to quit now, but I hope you'll think about it earnestly. Hyun agreed, I understand. I will seriously consider what you said. The two nodded to each other. Everyone go eat. Cut to the bustling streets crowded with passers-by. Jin and Chiaolu strolled along the road. He was complaining, this is tough, really tough. Boss, let's rest for a bit. You go find us a place to rest then. Chiaolu went to a roadside bun shop. Let's stop up ahead for some buns. Sitting at a table, he called the waiter for 2 meat buns. Do you have wine? The waiter hesitated. Sorry, sir, our shop doesn't sell alcohol. Chiaolu instructed, then just bring the buns. The waiter replied, 1 moment please. He turned back and asked, what do we do now? Boss can't find any job that suits the two of us. Jin admitted, I feel the same. Though I told Hyun so, people like us who scrape by on the edge of a blade find it really hard to secure an honest job. Chiaolu brought up that matter, why don't we actually try trading? Jin was surprised. Are you really planning to ask a Gwangho for help? He answered, yes, give him a chance to make the family proud. Jin couldn't refuse after handling a Hyun. I even planned to drag a Gwangho out of that scoundrel circle. Now asking him for a favor feels a bit undignified. Besides, with your temper, would you sit quietly and trade? Not punching a customer in the face would be lucky enough. Chiaolu found Makin's remark unanswerable. That was true. The waiter set the tray of buns on the table. Here are your buns, sir. He picked up his chopsticks, eat first, decide later. The small steaming bun was picked up by Chiaolu. He sensed its deliciousness. The flavor was indeed quite good. Jin tried one too. It was really good, much better than the buns we had yesterday, especially the filling, which was truly excellent. He asked the waiter curiously, this is pork, right? The man confirmed, yes, it's finely minced pork stuffed inside. Jin pondered, could that shop be using rotten meat? Same kind of meat, yet the flavor differs worlds apart. The man boasted, I don't know where you ate buns before coming here, but I'm afraid no place uses pork of better quality than my shop. Curious, he said, aren't all porks the same? Chiaolu chimed in, maybe it's because different cuts are used for the filling. The man denied it, no sir, the difference isn't which cut is used but who slaughtered the pig. Jin realized, so there really is a special butchering technique. The waiter explained, the method is the same everywhere. It's the skill of the butcher that makes the difference. He blinked, I still don't quite get it. Suddenly Chiaolu sprang up, dangerous. Jin turned alertly to look toward the source of the commotion. Tetsu stood up and intercepted a pig that was running toward them. He knocked the pig to the ground until it was unconscious. Chiaolu turned back and asked, boss, are you all right? Jin replied, thanks to you, I'm fine. Much obliged. He wondered how on earth a pig had appeared out of nowhere. A few people hurried over to them. 2 of them out of breath asked, young heroes, are you all right? Chiaolu pointed down. We're fine, but it seems that pig over there isn't doing so well. Sorry that I accidentally killed it, but this happened because of your negligence, so you won't make us pay compensation, right? They were surprised. No, of course not, but how did this happen? Suddenly someone stepped up from behind, and they all turned to look. Oldso angrily shouted, you fools. He scolded them, pathetic, how many times has this been now? They bowed, sorry boss, Oldso admonished. You should be apologizing not to me, but to those young gentlemen over there. They apologized to the 2 young heroes. Jin replied, it's fine, nobody's hurt. The old man fretted, I'm terribly sorry, I let the pig escape while those applicants were trying to catch it. Thanks to you stopping it, a big problem was avoided. What a relief. He was surprised to hear them mention applicants. Oldso revealed that he owned the butcher shop over there and was looking for someone to inherit it. Those people were the applicants. Jin had a vague inkling. So, master, are you the one who slaughtered the pig used in the filling of these buns? Oldso calmly admitted it. Yes. Jin asked politely, may I take a look at your butcher shop? The old man was curious, what's there to see? It's hardly a spectacle worth nodding. He protested, but added that it wasn't something seen every day. Oldso thought for a moment, then agreed. Suit yourselves. He led them to a shop by the roadside, then moved on to a farm out in the distance. Inside the house, Old So looked down at the pig at his feet with disappointment. He said, "That applicant is out of the running. What a waste. That pig was caught with great effort by those guests." Old So turned to the two applicants and asked, "Why do you think the pig slaughter failed?" They spoke in turn. The chisel placement wasn't accurate. He should have aimed for the center of the pig's crown. The hammer strike also slipped. Old So dismissed them. "What you say is all correct. However, it was already wrong from the basic start. I've made it clear the top priority is to make sure the animal doesn't notice it's being slaughtered." They forced a laugh. "How could those beasts understand that? Do you mean we should, chat with them?" Old So glanced at them, his look more commanding than angry. Beside him, a pig was eating its feed. He picked up a sharp stake, sat down in front of it, and opened his eyes wide to stare closely. One strike touched the pig's head, and it showed no sign of defense. An applicant was astonished, unbelieving. Earlier it went berserk just at the sight of the chisel. What on earth is going on? Old So explained that it was because the pig couldn't sense the killing intent emanating from him. They were bewildered. Killing intent? Old So revealed that no creature is as sensitive to killing intent as livestock. Even the slightest hint of killing intent will make them feel threatened immediately. He continued to demonstrate like this. When the sharp iron withdraws, the pig looks up. Xiaolu was amazed. What kind of wizard is that old man? He revealed killing intent in an instant and then immediately erased it. "Boss, could that old man be a master?" Jin denied it. "No, there are no signs of martial cultivation on him, yet his skill is terrifying. Only when one reaches the state of not revealing any aura before the pig can the preparation be considered complete." A hammer fell with a single blow, echoing through the room. Everyone present froze. The pig's head was already bleeding. Old So reminded them, the next important point is a killing blow that ends it all, strikes so fast it doesn't even know why it's dying. Xiaolu marveled, "This is insane. See that, boss, it died without even a cry." Jin replied, "I saw it, a mighty, decisive strike." Old So barked at the three applicants. "What are you standing there for? Only after severing breath does the real work begin." He stood aside to wipe his hands and instructed, "Quick, bleed it out first." Xiaolu twiddled his ear. This old man's tone is no joke. Was it necessary to be so intense? A sweeper nearby explained, "It's understandable. He has no children and is looking for someone to inherit the reputation of the butcher shop he built, so he's particular. He thought slaughtering cattle and pigs wasn't a big deal. Just rotate people through, right, boss?" Jin saw it differently. Not exactly. If someone has devoted their life to something, it's understandable. Remember Master B1EA5T Thoi, he turned away countless people before you. Isn't that the famous anecdote in the Black Dragon Valley? Xiaolu replied, "How can that be compared? But Master does have that thunderous voice just like this, it's true." He rated Master B1EA5T Thoi not only for his loud voice, but also for his formidable physique. "That the Master favored me so much is probably because I'm built large like him." He laughed. He'd heard such lines until they were worn out. Jin decided, "All right, I've decided that we will take over this butcher shop." He was surprised. "Us, you confirm? We've been searching everywhere all day, but no place would hire us. Of course, if we picked up swords things would be different, but I want an honest job so I can hold my head high when speaking to my younger siblings at home. Hiding my past has been difficult enough, and I've almost slipped up a few times." Sojin called to Old So, "Uncle, my brother and I would like to apply for the position if we may." The old man asked curiously, "Both of you? It seems that after seeing what I did, you think this job is easy, don't you? Excuse our customers, but please." He kept a humble tone. "Not at all, sir. After witnessing your single decisive strike, how could I dare think otherwise? That so-called killing blow is the skill that most perfectly conveys the weight of years." Old So fell silent upon hearing this. He agreed. "Wait here a moment." Old So herded another pig forward. It now stood directly in front of Jin. He demanded, "If you want to take over this place, at minimum you must know how to butcher a pig, right? Can you show me what you can do?" He replied, "Although I've never slaughtered a pig before, I'll give it a try." Jin grabbed the hammer and knelt before the pig that was eating. The sharp iron rod touched the pig's forehead. Fresh blood spurted everywhere, and immediately after, the pig collapsed under So Elder's stunned gaze. The old man was utterly shocked. The technique he'd spent a lifetime training for, how could you do it so easily? Have you truly never studied martial arts? Jin explained, "I only tried to imitate what you did, sir." He turned back and reminded Xiaolu, "What are you standing there for? Hurry and hang it up." He stepped over to the pig. I know already." So Elder's eyes widened once more. He grabbed the pig's legs with both hands and lifted it, giving the old man a fright. A pig that 4 or 5 men couldn't carry was hoisted up as if it weighed nothing. As Xiaolu tied the pig to the post, he asked, but do we really have to use those tools? So Elder froze, not understanding what he meant. He opened the door and stepped outside, making the old man even more perplexed. The neighboring pigsty erupted with their ear-piercing squeals. The two hurriedly turned to look, so Elder couldn't wait and ran outside. Xiaolu was carrying a pig. After all, isn't the point just to butcher it? The old man was rendered speechless at this point. Eventually, so Elder said, "You are indeed no ordinary person. Are you a martial artist?" "You gave a perfunctory answer that you'd once practiced, sir." He worried, "If you are from the martial world, why would you want to do this job?" Jin replied, "I only want to try living a normal life." So Elder was curious, a normal life? With enough determination, there are plenty of other jobs to do. "I've tried many things myself," he added, pausing, "but that truly isn't easy." He thought to himself that these youths' lives hadn't been smooth sailing, it seemed. At last, so Elder breathed a sigh of relief. He mused that sadly his own time was limited. Jin clasped his hands. "Please teach me more." "You will not be disappointed, sir." Elsewhere, someone was so angry they snapped the brush they were writing with. Yonghajung frowned and asked, "The Imperial? Did you just say the Imperial?" Dangbik confirmed. "Yes, I heard a royal physician from the capital returned home to Hangzhou and fell gravely ill. It seems the court personally requested the Gajung medical family to treat him." Yonghajung Zhang continued, "But the Imperial doctors en route to Hangzhou had a clash with the Gajung people. Strange, Imperial personnel would have no reason to start killing indiscriminately." He revealed, "I heard it's because that Gajung fellow targeted the non-blue stone elixir." Yonghajung was shocked. What, he dared target the non-blue stone elixir? What a pity. The non-blue stone elixir is a rare wonder drug worth a fortune, impossible to buy even for 1,000 gold, and yet it was to be used on an aging royal who was near death. Dangbik reported that it still hasn't been used to treat that royal. The true owner of the non-blue stone elixir is someone else, so we still have a chance. He was surprised. The owner is someone else. Isn't that supposed to belong to the Imperial? He admitted it. Yes, from the start Gajung clashed with the Imperial while pursuing that person. He barked an accusation. "Why didn't you say who it was earlier? Who is holding the non-blue stone elixir?" Dangbik revealed, "His name is Sama Jin from Sohyung. I heard he bought the non-blue stone elixir that the head of the Suryong Merchant Guild had secretly stored to treat his younger sister's illness." He grinned. The Suryong Merchant Guild? I never expected that greedy old pig to stumble upon the non-blue stone elixir. He thought to himself this was a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity. If he got the non-blue stone elixir, he could cure the most favored child of the Yongho clan. Yonghajung slammed his cup on the table and declared, "Use any means necessary, bring it to me." If he already used the non-blue stone elixir, even if that woman who drank it returned here, she likely hasn't absorbed the full effect yet, so the medicine's potency should still remain intact in her blood. Back at the pork shop, Jin had put on gloves to butcher the pig. The old man behind him leaned on his cane and stepped forward to watch him work. So Elder observed his movements. "Your skill has reached a truly masterful level. He heard you once lived by the sword, so no wonder you picked up these butchering techniques so fast." "Amazing, there's nothing left for me to teach you." Jin humbly replied, "It's thanks to your patient instruction, senior, thank you." The old man smiled and said, "I should be the one to thank you. Even if it's just an obsession, I've always hoped the butcher shop I devoted my life to would keep its good name. If it couldn't, I thought it'd be better for it to disappear forever." His hand trembled as he raised it. He clasped that hand, and so Elder was overjoyed. "Because of you, this old man's wish has been preserved. Now I can die in peace. Thank you from my heart. You're still humble. I don't deserve it, sir. When returning to my homeland, I was very troubled about what to do. Thanks to you, senior, I can settle down. So the one who should be thanking is actually me." Xiaolu, hot-headed, carried the butchered pig on his shoulder. "Damn it, just hang it up and sell it. That's enough." "Big brother, do I really have to learn this too?" So Elder sighed and glanced over. "Don't give him a knife, just have him do the heavy lifting and chores." "Ah, but at least he can kill a pig, so that's something." Xiaolu happily praised, "Old man, you finally said something right after a long time." They went to the table to rest and drink. He spoke up, "Do as the senior says, big brother. Indeed, the sword isn't for you." Jin agreed, "Suit yourself." Xiaolu, relieved to be spared, replied, "Thanks, big brother." He was about to pour a cup for the old man. "Senior, why don't you have a drink too?" He slapped his arm hard. "What nonsense are you saying, kid?" Xiaolu persisted, "After all, we're leaving soon. Having one cup won't hurt." Jin was speechless, so Elder won't hold it against him. Your brat is really fine. Even if he drinks and dies on the spot on a day like this, we can't skip a drink. Come on, pour. Now that's quite the commotion. When Jin arrived, he was astonished. He stared at the shop in front of him, dumbfounded. Jin came out and called, "Second brother, you're here." Hyun hurriedly snatched the broom from her hand. "I just arrived, you're still so frail. What are you doing?" Jin replied, "Just tidying up a bit." "Yes, our big brother has taken over the butcher shop. He heard the news, I've heard about it on the way here." Jin replied, "Just tidying up a bit." "Yes, our big brother has taken over the butcher shop. He heard the news, I've heard about it on the way here. Is business going well?" Jin answered, "Not yet. The old owner just passed away and big brother only officially reopened a few days ago. Expecting booming trade already might be a bit much." Hyun asked curiously, "That senior has died?" She confirmed, "Yes, I heard that on the night big brother took over the stall, the man passed away peacefully in his sleep." Jin came out, saw him and asked, "When did you return? I was worried your escort run might be delayed." Hyun reported, "I just arrived, see, I'm perfectly intact." "Big brother really causes trouble, huh? I was only escorting for a short time, yet your speed at making trouble is lightning fast. You must have heard about what happened here, right?" He put the meat on the table and asked, "Something you're unhappy about?" Hyun explained, "It's not that I'm unhappy, just a bit puzzled. Who would have thought you'd take over this butcher stall? I wouldn't even dream of it. But is it going to be okay, big brother? This butcher shop has quite a reputation." The old former owner wasn't ordinary. If skills slipped even slightly, he'd be criticized before he could blink. Even doing well would only break even. Jin reassured, "Don't worry, I have some confidence in myself. Besides, if we want food in our bellies, we have to work hard for it, all of us." Just then someone called, "Big brother, big brother." Seeing the panic in his manner, he asked, "What's wrong? What's happened?" Gwangho rushed in out of breath. "They're here, they're here." Jiaolu couldn't help but pinch his ear. He scolded, "Don't babble, show your credentials properly. Why are you making such a fuss?" Gwangho was genuinely annoyed. Jiaolu let go. "Why are you so rough?" he chided. "That's just a sign of affection. Have you never seen real violence? Want me to widen your horizons right now?" Gwangho covered his ear. "Please, you said that last time too." "Look at this fellow's head. He met someone sent by the Chingsim healers." Jin was surprised. "What?" He said, "I heard the physician who went to Hangzhou has returned. They sent word to bring the little sister there. When do we depart?" He immediately took off his apron. "Right now." They would soon arrive at Chingsim. HWA Jiang came out to receive them. "Please come in. We've been waiting for you." Jin clasped his hands apologetically. "Upon receiving the message, I came immediately. Hope it's not too abrupt." He denied it. "Not at all. The physician from our place is eager to examine the patient as soon as possible." Then HWA Jiang introduced the person behind him. "This is H. Huangin." Seeing her arrive, he immediately recognized her as the one who had saved him that day. H. Huangin happily said, "So it turns out we have such a connection between us." Jinu Jinsen added, "Indeed. Now I understand why the 1,000 killer would risk life and death for the young hero." HWA Jiang bewildered. "Could it be that you all are old acquaintances?" He replied, "When I went searching for the non-blue stone elixir, I was targeted by a group of people. At that time, this young lady came to my aid." He realized, so that's what happened. Fate truly is remarkable. Jin always remembered, "I was always troubled that I had to leave in haste without properly thanking the benefactor. Allow me to express my gratitude for your help then." She sympathetically replied, "I cannot accept such thanks. Because my sister was ill, you worked so hard to obtain that rare non-blue stone elixir. It must have been a very desperate situation then." Jin turned and called to Jin, "This is the senior who will examine my sister. Greet them quickly." She blushed and introduced herself. "I am Sama Jin. I entrust my sister to your care, honorable physician." H. Wangin praised warmly, "Truly as lovely as a fairy. Miss Sama, I should be the one asking a favor of you. Illness cannot be cured by the physician's strength alone. It requires the patient's cooperation alongside the doctor to overcome disease." Hearing her, Jin replied, "Yes, sir." Her cooperative attitude pleased H. Wangin. "Very good." She asked the two to step aside for a moment. They went outside to wait. Half an hour later, the three were still standing outside the door. Jiaolu, curious, asked, "Why is it taking so long?" Only then was the door finally opened. Jin stepped forward and asked, "How are things?" She answered, "First, it seems I have identified the name of the illness." He hurriedly asked, "What illness is it?" H. Wangin revealed, "Miss Sama was born with the heavenly yin meridian." HWA Jiang was surprised. "The heavenly yin meridian, isn't that the 9 yin death vein?" She explained that while they appear similar, it's actually a completely different condition. "Just before I left my family, by chance a patient with identical symptoms came to us. At first we thought it was the 9 yin death vein and began treatment, but then noticed something off, a subtle difference between the two conditions." If I hadn't found records about the heavenly yin meridian in our family archives, I surely wouldn't have recognized Miss Sama's illness. Qiaowu worried, can it be cured? Imperial physician Huangjing couldn't be certain. Frankly, the young lady herself cannot give you a definite answer. The patient I mentioned had already missed the best treatment window. However, according to the records, our family's acupuncture techniques show clear efficacy against the heavenly yin meridian. So, he changed his question. What was the outcome for the patient Huangjing mentioned? Did they survive? She hesitated and said, as for that. Night fell and darkness spread everywhere. At a pavilion there was someone sitting. Jin sat there silently listening to the person beside him say, will everything be all right? Asking again, of course it must be all right, no mistakes are allowed. Guangho anxiously asked, when will there be results? Qiaowu reminded him, not even half a moment has passed. He looked worriedly toward Jin, who remained silent. His gaze grew intense as he thought back to the events of that morning. Was Huangjing at a loss for words then? Well, Jin had an ominous premonition. Had they failed? Huangjing answered, yes, it failed. He asked, do you wonder why it failed? She explained, first, the window for effective treatment was already too late. When that patient returned to our house, they were 21 years old. The yin energy had penetrated to the bone marrow, and even the rarest herbs were powerless to save them. Second, although the symptoms look similar, the stream of yin energy flowing in someone with the heavenly yin meridian is far more violent and potent than the yin energy of the 9 yin death vein. Pathologically speaking, it can be said to be much more severe. Hwa Jiang was surprised. The heavenly yin meridian is more severe. Isn't it the other way around? Among those with the 9 yin death vein, none survive past 18. Yet you said the one with the heavenly yin meridian lived to 21. Huangjing explained that it was thanks to the non-blue stone elixir. Because of that elixir, the person managed to cling to life past their 20th year. Jin felt gloomy. They used the non-blue stone elixir and still couldn't save them. Huangjing hesitated, but if, at the time they used the non-blue stone elixir, it had been combined with our family's acupuncture techniques, the outcome would certainly have been different. He lowered his head and replied, in any case, we put everything on you, miss. Please save my little sister. She, seeing this, didn't quite know how to offer comfort. At present, Jin still sat quietly like a statue. He thought to himself that although he put on a brave face, he couldn't dispel the unease inside. If really something happened to her, what would he do? Guangho sighed, damn it, I thought an hour had already passed. Qiaowu suddenly turned to look toward some movement on the other side. He spun and glanced in one direction. Qiaowu immediately struck Guangho once, rendering him unconscious. He called to the eldest. Jin answered once. He glanced over. It seemed an uninvited guest had arrived. The two of them headed toward the bamboo grove. It was still quiet there, as if nothing had happened. But hidden within was a squad of people. One of them asked, where are they? The other reported, in the central infirmary area. We must hurry. Dangbik ordered that the top priority target was the non-blue stone elixir. The Imperial team would be handled by me along with the deputy captains of Group 1 and Group 2. He called roll for the leader of Group 3. That man shouted for his subordinates. Dangbik demanded that not a single one escape. First, secure the main gate. Move at once. The man obeyed, understood, men ready. They began to depart. A shout rose and set them in motion. Qiaowu entered the bamboo grove and called out, hey, you timid rats. These men were stunned by his sudden appearance. Qiaowu casually brought his hand down and killed one of them. Dangbik watched him appear and growled, asking, who are you? He wiggled his ear. That question should be the other way around. Who are you lot? What are you, forming gangs and dressing all in black? What monkey business are you up to here? Dangbik glanced at his subordinate who had fallen and thought that with a single strike having brought the team to this state, the man must surely be a top-tier expert. But judging by his appearance, he didn't seem to be the Samajin we were looking for. He assigned a task. I'll go kill that Samajin. The one here is handed to you to deal with. Subordinate obeyed. With that, he shot off at once. Qiaowu watched the direction the others departed, saw him fly past overhead, and muttered, that guy sure has quick feet. The subordinate across asked, it seems you don't intend to stop him, do you? He replied, what, me stop the one using lightness skill? The man confirmed, that's right, your comrades might be in danger. Qiaowu found it ridiculous. Now you're worried about my eldest. Want to bet with me? Let's see whether it's your leader or my eldest who dies later. He warned, your arrogance is truly something else. There's no personal grudge between us, my apologies in advance, he beckoned. So chatty, come on, all of you, rush him. The whole group charged at Qiaowu at once. Each one of them was eager. He gave a cold smile as he watched these men heading to their deaths. A flash of light blazed in the darkness. Dangbik was surprised by the commotion over there. He thought to himself that indeed it seemed they were in trouble over there. They must quickly kill Samajin, seize the non-blue stone elixir, then come to assist. Just then Jin appeared before him and asked, what are you so busy scheming about? Dangbik, startled, tried to draw his sword yet showed no aura. When did he get here? He coldly asked, who are you? What is your purpose here? He sized Jin up. This must be Salma, Jin. I'd heard they butcher pigs for a living and thought they'd be puny brats, but turns out they're a bunch of monsters. Damn. Seeing him charged and exclaimed, it seems you don't intend to answer then. He leaned aside to dodge the incoming sword tip, a slash that missed the air. Dangbik seemed to realize he'd provoked a master. His mouth fell open in astonishment. Countless sword strikes came, but were all evaded by him. One of his moves struck the wrist holding the sword. The sword fell into Jin's hand. He drove it straight into Dangbik's instep. Dangbik screamed a piercing cry, his face going pale. Dangbik collapsed to the ground, no longer able to resist. Ma Qin spoke up, I'll ask again, where did you come from? What are you after here? Ching Sim, the Imperial, or the non-blue stone elixir? Seeing his expression change drastically, he immediately knew they were here for the non-blue stone elixir. You knew I had it. There isn't much of the elixir. Where did you hear about it? He bit his lip. Damn, is this the end for us? Jin set a condition, answer my question and I'll spare your life. But the man had already fallen before him, foam frothing from his mouth. Jin realized he'd bitten and crushed a poison pill hidden in his mouth to commit suicide. He needed to tell Qiaowu to keep a few survivors alive. Just then he turned back. Eldest, are you done? He had a bad feeling had his brother wiped them all out. Qiaowu replied, of course. Jin's expression immediately darkened in an instant. He looked back at the bodies in regret, thinking that if he'd known, he'd never have sent his brother. Qiaowu asked, what about him? Is he dead? Jin confirmed, yes, I didn't get a chance to act. He killed himself. It was my oversight. I didn't expect he'd have a poison pill in his mouth. He understood, with the eldest's mind focused over there, a lapse was to be expected. Still, it's a pity we couldn't find the mastermind. Who knows when those flies will swarm back? You deny it, there won't be any more. There's no non-blue stone elixir left now. Jin's voice turned cold. If they keep coming, they will meet the same end as that one. Qiaowu rubbed his chin and grinned. Having someone come looking isn't bad. It's a bit of entertainment for these bored days. He frowned and asked, displeased, entertainment? After seeing so much blood, you still want more? Sensing that annoyed tone, Qiaowu forced a smile. No, not exactly. He replied, I really hate it when our peaceful life is disrupted. And Qiaowu added, me too. Jin ordered, enough talk, clean this place up. Qiaowu surprised, me alone. You caused this mess, didn't you? I'm leaving first. Looking at the clutter of bodies around, he sighed. When will this ever be cleared? Later, Qiaowu finally finished the task. At last it was done. Jin had been waiting inside the house for him for a long time. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully, noticing a burnt smell. Don't tell me you set the whole grove on fire. Qiaowu explained, some bamboo was so soaked in blood. They're still not finished inside, it's taking too long. Jin hoped it would be fine. He was optimistic, with the Imperial's people stepping in and no more non-blue stone elixir to fight over. What was there to worry about? Jin noticed that right away. HWA Jiang opened the door and stepped out, exhausted. He hurried over to ask how things were going. He replied that the gold needle acupuncture performed today had gone smoothly, and the condition had certainly improved. The two of them were stunned to hear this. Jin steadied himself, took HWA Jiang's hand, and said thanks. Truly, thank you, doctor. He cautioned, please come inside, I'll explain in detail. When they opened the door, hot air and an unpleasant smell rushed out from the room. He held someone back when he smelled it because Wangin was sweaty all over. It's a bit foul, right? That's from the expelled poison gas being driven out of the body. Jinsen worried, Ti letter 1EC3U2, quickly circulate your chi to calm it. She's still resting, I'm fine, it's not necessary to go that far. Even though they'd used the non-blue stone elixir and our family's gold needle techniques to treat her with all their effort, unfortunately, they still couldn't cure her completely. Jin was surprised. What? The doctor just said it had improved earlier. Wangin admitted it had indeed improved. Her health was much better than before. But I cannot cure it entirely. I'm truly sorry. He added that it wasn't the young lady's fault. He said that during this needle procedure, any carelessness could do great harm even to the doctor. All he could do was offer deep thanks to the young lady. Wangin dismissed the notion of harm. Rather, this was a fortunate opportunity for him to encounter a rare illness and to use the non-blue stone elixir. Besides, healing and saving lives is the duty and moral code of a doctor. Qiaowu listened silently to these words, his expression changing. He spoke up, from the moment I heard everything had failed, I sensed something was off. The two Jins frowned at that attitude. Jin turned and scolded, get in line, your rambling is just pointless bluster. Lucky Ha, damn it, what a thrill. The two Jins couldn't hold back and shouted, how dare you speak like that? How dare you insult the young lady and us? Qiaowu grew even colder. Where did I speak wrongly? The two were startled as a surge of aura rushed in. Wangin and HWA Jiang were horrified. A killing intent radiated from him. Jin had likewise called out in anger. Xiaolu regained some composure and raised an eyebrow to look. His eyes blazing red, his voice low, apologize now. She thought inwardly that while the big brute's aura had been impressive, this presence was even more terrifying. He bowed his head very deeply. Sorry, out of anger I spoke rudely. Jin interceded, please forgive my little brother's rudeness. I also apologize to you all. Huangyin waved it off. It's fine, you needn't do that. If anyone should apologize, it should be me. Although they expected no major problem, they couldn't entirely rule out the possibility of relapse. Hwa Jiang objected, saying nonsense, anyone could see the acupuncture technique was performed flawlessly. It couldn't have been done better. It's just that this illness is more stubborn and dangerous than the 9-yin blockage, and the diagnosis had a slight error. Jin was stunned, not understanding. An error. He answered, I was overconfident in the efficacy of the non-blue stone elixir. What are you shocked about? Hwa Jiang added, the non-blue stone elixir still isn't strong enough to suppress the excessively powerful yin energy of the heavenly yin meridian. Xiaolu couldn't help swearing. Damn it, if even the non-blue stone elixir isn't enough, what kind of miracle medicine do you need? Huangyin added, it's not that it's insufficient, but rather that you need a different kind of elixir. To my knowledge, few elixirs surpass the non-blue stone elixir. However, unlike the non-blue stone elixir's perfect yin-yang balance, medicines that are strongly yang or strongly yin, specialized for a particular type of energy, can outperform the non-blue stone elixir in that specific aspect. Jin vaguely realized the doctor meant Jin's condition required such a remedy. She confirmed the outcome was indeed like that. He needed an answer. What medicine? Huangyin hesitated. It's the Great Perfection Pill of Shaolin. They returned to Old So's butcher shop on the street. At the table, they discussed things. Xiaolu proposed, so what's the plan? Raid it. He replied, raid what? He lifted his cup and drank. Where else? Shaolin, of course. You're not really going? Jin pondered. Let me think it over. After all, Jin's condition has improved. He was certain that sooner or later you'd go. He denied it. No way. Xiaolu doubted. Really? Jin confirmed. Really. The physician Huang had said she'd be stable for now, so there was no need to rush. I just returned home not long ago. I still want to spend time with my brothers. If we go, it'll be a long trip. I need to secure the butcher stall first. The stall, if both of us go to Shaolin, there'll be no one left to run it. Xiaolu decided the stall must keep operating after we leave. I have to train them properly first. He frowned and asked, train them, train who? He answered, a Hyun and a Guangho. Guangho's already pretty competent, but a Hyun, weren't you going to tell him to stop grabbing at everything? Jin admitted, yes, that's what I was thinking. Xiaolu suggested, then the trip to Shaolin will have to be postponed until those two can manage the stall on their own. A Hyun is honest and hardworking, so he's not a worry, but little Guangho, when you mention Cao Cao, he shows up like Cao Cao himself. Guangho was now rushing back, calling out, big bro. Calm down, what's the matter? He brought bad news, second brother has been kidnapped. Jin was horrified on hearing this. What? He asked to be sure. Kidnapped? What are you babbling about? Guangho reported that the other day second brother went with an escort convoy of the Pearl Sea Escort Agency and was taken by mountain bandits. Xiaolu laughed coldly. Who dares to do something like that? Jin took off his apron. First, let's go to the post where Hyun works and see. They went to the escort agency where he worked. Hyun led them over. Over there is the Pearl Sea Escort Agency. The three of them stepped into the escort agency, which had gathered into a crowd. The townspeople were loudly asking, what happened to those kidnapped guards? Is my son all right? The leader reassured them. Everyone stay calm, we're negotiating with the kidnappers. The others were surprised. Negotiating what? Banjung replied, I cannot disclose details, but our escort agency always puts hostages' lives first and is doing everything to resolve this. Please trust us and wait a bit longer. We guarantee to bring all hostages back safely. They gaped at this news. Guangho was dissatisfied, saying it sounded vague. Let me go ask. He asked if they had any other plan, like sending a rescue team, for example. Van Trung wondered, rude, who are you? He introduced himself. I am Sama Guangho. My second brother Sama Hyun is among those taken. He spoke perfunctorily, it's your elder's affair, I'm very sorry. For now, we plan to try negotiating with them to settle it peacefully. In any case, we're doing our best to bring everyone back safely. Please trust us and be patient. Having said that, Banjung turned his back and walked inside. That attitude made Xiaolu realize the man had no sincerity. Guangho felt uneasy. There's a fellow disciple over there. I'll go ask him. You want to speak with an acquaintance, Senior Jiang Xiang. The man greeted him. You're here. Guangho cut to the chase. Don't be polite. What's the situation? Are they really negotiating properly like that guy said? Jiang Xiang reassured him, of course, everything is proceeding smoothly. Everyone will be returned safely soon. Don't worry, just wait for news. He pulled someone to follow him for a moment, panicking, "Hey you." Jin called to Chiaowu, who was standing behind. "Let's go follow and see." Pulling him aside, Guang Ho asked, "Cut the empty talk, honestly now, what's the real situation?" Zhang Xiang said straight, "They're demanding ransom and the amount is terrifying, they must be mad." He was curious how much. Hesitating, Zhang Xiang said, 100 taels of gold. That figure was enough to make Guang Ho blanch. A voice from behind made Zhang Xiang spin around to look. 100 taels, he said evasively. "You guys are here already, why aren't you going inside?" Jin replied, "We were about to, but the little sister suddenly fainted." Zhang Xiang worried, "Jin, what's wrong with her?" He explained that she must have heard something shocking. He sighed in relief. "I see, is she better now?" The other nodded once. "She's fine." Zhang Xiang patted his chest. "That's a relief." Xiaolu returned to the original topic. Where would this tiny post office dig up 100 taels of gold to give them? Zhang Xiang bristled and corrected him. "Don't belittle the Pearl Sea Escort Agency like that, they're actually fairly sizable around here." He called them out. "Cut the bluffing, you're planning something else, right? Sending a rescue team." He was surprised. "How did you know? Everyone's been trying to keep it secret." Xiaolu assessed the scene. "From the vibe I guessed, but is it feasible? With the Pearl Sea Escort Agency's strength, I doubt it." He revealed that they'd reportedly asked for outside help. Apparently they've sent people far and wide to seek aid. Xiaolu had anticipated that. He didn't know if it would succeed, but they had surely foreseen this move. Jin wondered, but who did this? I recall the escort agency in Green Forest had an unspoken rule. Don't poach another's waters, right? Zhang Cheng angrily agreed. That stronghold was already smashed once, and apparently they still don't know how to be afraid. He paid attention to that point. The stronghold was destroyed, huh? He said yes, that was Golden Tiger Stronghold, a fairly notorious camp in the area. Not long ago it was razed to the ground. Everyone was quite pleased about it. Jin said low, "You mean Golden Tiger Stronghold has been rebuilt?" Zhang Xiang hinted that rumor had it the camp leader, who once fled, has now returned. He mulled over what he'd heard, then called to Guang Ho, "Hey Guang Ho, I've left Jin with Aunt Yuck next door, take her there to care for her." Guang Ho asked curiously, "Yes, where are you going, brother?" Jin said casually, "I have to go take care of something for a bit." So sudden. He had a bad feeling, but in this situation, Qiaolu reassured him, "We have many connections, there will be a way to rescue a Hyun. Don't worry too much, stay home and take care of your sister." In the chief's office of the Pearl Sea Escort Agency, Hajing asked in astonishment, "Is that true?" Banjung confirmed. The Blaze Escort Agency sent word. The news is entirely accurate. He felt as if his heart was celebrating. "That's great, truly great, heaven has helped us." "Is it true the Namgung clan masters will come to assist?" Banjung replied. "Yes, I heard they've already departed for Golden Tiger Stronghold." Hajing brightened. "So fast, right, the Blaze Escort Agency was attacked before us too. We must hurry, there are still many people waiting to be rescued." He obeyed orders. His men would prepare immediately. In the mountainous region shrouded in mist, inside the mountains where the bandits keep strict watch, sitting inside the house drinking was Jumho. He asked, "Have the Pearl Sea Escort Agency made any move yet? How many times have I had a captive's ear cut off and sent back?" The subordinate reported, "This is the 4th time, sir." Jumho snarled in anger, "So 4 people have been maimed and they still haven't responded." Hassan replied, "Actually, they've just sent a proposal. They say they currently can't raise the full ransom immediately and request to pay half first." He lifted the wine gourd and drank. "Interesting." And then Hassan recounted, "They said if we release half the hostages now, they'll scramble to gather the rest as soon as possible." Jumho cursed, "Damn it, this road was famed across the land and it's come to this. I was only away a short while and Golden Tiger Stronghold is already in such ruins. Still no clue who did this." Hassan answered, "I've mobilized the entire guard, but still no." On hearing that, he crushed the wine gourd in anger. Jumho, blazing with fury, "I want to find that bastard myself and carve him open, but rebuilding Golden Tiger Stronghold is the top priority. Because for the greater plan, I must bow to Green Forest to receive support from the Chief Inspector and the Elders, so we need to grab as much as we can while we can. No delays, speed it up, gouge eyes, cut ears, send them to me." Hassan obeyed the camp chief's order. Just then Yusun led his men in, suggesting, "Next time just send the heads to make it tidy." Jumho was stunned to see the man. He stood and saluted, "You've arrived." The chief inspector, if he acts rashly, might face fierce resistance. The noble families and sects allied with the escort agency could mount a punitive expedition. Yusin grinned, that's precisely what I'm hoping for. So what if a punitive force comes? We have elders and top masters of the 18 camps stationed here, after all. Two men behind chimed in, the chief inspector knows how to flatter, but he's not wrong. Unless imperial masters intervene, no one can touch us. Jumho accepted this, understood subordinate. He ordered Hassan, go chop off their heads and send them to me immediately. The man replied, yes, sir, orders received. Suddenly, the wooden wall was kicked and splintered. Kim H. Letter 185 spun to look, his gaze full of menace. Seeing Hassan fall, someone exclaimed, what the hell is that? Chiaolu stepped in, I remember smashing this place to bits. How did it get restored so quickly? Jumho pointed at him and demanded, who are you? Are you the rescue team sent by the Pearl Sea Escort Agency? He was surprised. Rescue team? Are they even the rescue team sent here? Yusin sneered, not a rescue team. Then what the hell are you? Ma Qin asked their identity. We're just small shopkeepers from the market. Nothing for you to be curious about. You're the camp leader of Golden Tiger Stronghold, right? He taunted, so what if I am? You answered bluntly, then die, isn't that the point? Jumho drew his sword and shouted, you insolent lot. Yusin stopped him, wait. Camp leader Jumho, hand him over to us. The elders are bored out of their minds. Jumho sheathed his sword, clearly relieved. Yaseng said with interest, good. Just when we were bored, we got a chance to mess with you. Chiaolu asked, big brother, you have a score to settle with that bandit boss, right? Leave the small fry to me. Aren't you just itching to get your hands dirty? He grinned, convenient for both sides anyway. Jin agreed, suit yourself. With permission granted, Chiaolu stepped forward to block them. He raised his fist and moved to strike first. Yaseng tilted his body to dodge the blow. The tobacco pipe in the old man's hand pointed toward him. A strike aimed straight at Chiaolu's chest. At that moment, Yaseng sensed something was off. He staggered back as a layer of blue vital energy wrapped around Chiaolu. Yaseng thought to himself, a strike carrying over a suit of inner power, and he only used body protection energy to block. This one is no ordinary person. He then circulated his inner power. His aura began to radiate. Chiaolu flexed his hand. Old man, you're interesting. At least about the level of a demonic clut expert. I better take this seriously. Yaseng thought inwardly, seeing that calm composure despite my presence, truly an extraordinary master. Seeing him remain motionless, Chiaolu taunted, not going to jump in. That contempt in his tone made Yaseng lose his temper. Bastard. He aimed the pipe at Chiaolu's protective shield and delivered a strike straight to his chest. He thought smugly this will hit die, but the tobacco pipe shattered into pieces. Yaseng couldn't believe it. What the? One punch from him sent the old man's teeth flying everywhere. The elder was astonished. He hadn't expected his comrade to be beaten so badly. He hurried to support the man. Elder Peng, are you all right? What's going on here? Yu Chuang whispered, urging him to be careful. Elder Yo thought to himself, Peng Yaseng, one of Green Forest's top masters, and he's taken down in a single move. What kind of monster is this? Chiaolu tugged his ear, cursing, damn, my body protection chi got broken. Boss, is my skill rusted or is that old man just too strong? Jin guessed for sure it's rusty skill. He was shaking with anger. God damn it, I've really lost my touch. Training with those pigs was useless as hell. Not good, everyone charge at once. Yusin panicked, what do we do? Elders, the elder instructed. They aren't opponents we should spare face for. I'll create an opening. You and the others strike with everything you've got. A whole crowd of men waited above for the order. Jiaolu appeared before the leading elder, his fist raised. A flurry of blows rained down on the elder's face, and the leading elder was knocked flying backward. The ambushers above all surged down. Yusin pointed his sword forward and ordered the whole force to attack. Every blade broke the moment it struck his protective aura. Jiaolu sneered coldly, what a noisy, troublesome lot. Yusin, seeing trouble, shouted, get out of the way. A single punch from Chiaolu produced a spreading shockwave. The bandits were swept away, and the entire room collapsed into rubble. The man stood frozen, unable to accept the sight. Impossible. Elder Yo rushed forward, praising him. Still won't give up. Good credit for the spirit. He flushed with humiliation and anger. Shut up, I'll admit you're strong. Elder Yo landed and launched a punch, his whole body erupting in blazing flames. But even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Jiaolu warned, that's just what you think. He used a straightforward punch of his own to teach the opponent a lesson. The two fists collided and power exploded. Elder Yo couldn't keep up and was sent flying backward. He unleashed a punch that went clean through the elder's head. Yusin gaped in shock as he took in the scene. The floor beneath the man shattered when the elder fell. Yusin backed away in fear and leaned against a pillar. Chiaolu stepped up, you sly bastard, who knew you'd dodge and survive on your own. The man hurriedly protested, wait, my father is the chief camp leader of the Green Forest, if you spare me. Too much noise, and he grabbed Yusin's face and twisted it. Noisy, occasional entertainment like this isn't so bad. With everything settled, Boss Jin understood. He then glanced at Jumho. Only you remain. He thought to himself that Green Forest's top masters had been taken down in an instant, and the other hadn't even acted yet. Reluctantly, they'd sacrifice the guards to escape and wait to avenge the day. Jin asked again, reminding himself, you just asked who we are, right? Is the ones who leveled this place an adequate answer? Jumho was at a loss for words at that contemptuous remark. He asked coldly, you dare do this to Golden Tiger Stronghold? Murder gleamed in Jumho's eyes. I will kill you. Outside in the wild mountain forest with mist swirling, a group of people were moving through the mountains. They made their way through dense thickets. Namgung Min of the Namgung clan scowled at the thorny branches blocking the path. More briars. Hu Yugon of the Pearl Sea Escort Agency explained, sorry, to avoid enemy eyes I took the quickest shortcut so the route is a bit rough. He laughed it off. Just kidding, we're on a campaign against bandits. What's a bit of rough road? Namgung Jeong of the Namgung clan stepped forward to smooth things over, asking the vanguard to understand he's still young and inexperienced. He turned and warned, remember this well. The punitive campaign is important, but the hostages' safety is the top priority. Do not be careless and put them in danger. Jeong glanced into the distance, his expression solemn. He urged, then continue on. Min behind him asked curiously, what's going on, little master? Jeong hid behind the bushes. There was fighting ahead and he was surprised. Fighting. He confirmed it, but it seemed to have ended already. Min wondered aloud whether another force was acting besides them. Apparently, the Pearl Sea Escort Agency had been calling for help everywhere. He replied, maybe, but it looks like we need to hurry up. Over at Jumho's side, the situation was very tense. Jin clasped his hands behind his back, calmly dodging. In contrast, Jumho went mad, repeatedly slashing with his sword. Jumho couldn't contain himself and shouted, you bastard, all you do is dodge. Jin still tilted his head and asked, so hurt by grievances? I mean, are you so aggrieved that this den was smashed to pieces? He growled, my life's work destroyed by that squeaky-mouthed brat. How could I not be mortified? I'll wipe out your whole 9 generations and flatten your village. You found that utterly laughable. A lifetime of building up, a lifetime of bullying commoners, abducting and selling people to feed this den, and you begrudge losing it. Jumho was unrepentant. That's what bandits do, isn't it? What business is it of yours? He felt a surge of aura rush in. His whole body went limp as if about to crash face first to the ground. The tiger head spike slammed straight into the floor. Jin said indifferently, what does it matter? 12 years ago I was captured while escorting for the Yunxiang Escort Agency and sold to the demonic cult like livestock. He coughed and struggled to lift his head to look at him as he continued. There I was treated worse than animals, surviving death 100 times over before I could escape. A firm cavalry boot stamped hard on the man's forearm. The family's breadwinner was gone, the household plunged into misery, and finally my mother died from overwork. His foot swept in and kicked him. Jumho was kicked against the wooden wall behind him. Jin continued, I didn't even get to be by her side when she died. He was astonished. He hadn't expected one of those sold that year to survive and return for revenge. He stepped forwards, not only that, you even dared to kidnap my little brother again. So now do you see how it concerns me? Jumho begged. I know I was wrong, hero. Please spare my life. Jin denied him. No, I will make you beg to die. And then, if you willingly reveal the hostage's location, I'll grant you a peaceful death. His finger, carrying a surge of power, touched the man. Arc of electricity crackled forth, his whole being filled with killing intent. Jumho screamed in pain, his face drained of color. Trying to endure the electric shocks coursing through him, Jin frowned and continued to increase the power. Just then, Jeong arrived and ordered him to stop. He froze, surprised that more people had shown up. Xiaolu turned around annoyed. What's this? Who's that old man? Jin ordered, bring him out and help me a bit. He glanced at the newly arrived group. All right then. He charged forward with his sword. I told him to stop. Xiaolu blocked the strike with a punch. Fancy yourself stopping me, do it then. Jeong stared dumbfounded at the incoming punch. He raised his sword and hacked back to avert disaster. 2 currents of force clashed in midair. Jeong stood stunned, unable to believe his eyes. He pressed on with a flurry of sword strikes, hopping to stop the boy's QU letter 1EF3 NH kick. He thought to himself, I haven't used full strength, yet my sword energy was so easily undone. Xiaolu praised, you dodged that, not bad, old man. Much more interesting than that other guy. Jeong glanced at the corpse. He was Peng Yaseng. Narrow-minded and cruel in temper, but a top-tier martial artist. His hand tightened on his sword. This needed to be taken seriously. This time Jeong employed the Heavenly Spear ultimate chi technique. Xiaolu rated his opponent highly. No wonder he wasn't an ordinary old man. From now on I'm serious. He shouted the 12 cloud swords, a blade streaking bright as it slashed forward. Xiaolu used his fist to block. The The punch faintly radiated power. Jeong ducked to avoid it, his punch missed. Then he used his sword to parry. The two of them lunged, falling short of their target. He spread his legs wide to brace himself, but blood spattered from his mouth. He was shocked. How could this be? He'd expected at least to have seriously wounded him. Jiaowu touched the light scratch on his neck. He was intrigued. It's been a while since I've seen this move. Those accompanying him were stunned. The elder's death-defying technique only left a light scratch. Where did that monster come from? Min drew his sword and ordered protection of the elder. They formed a guard with Jiang in the center. Across from them, Qiaowu still smiled, utterly dismissive of his opponent. He sneered that you weaklings only know how to pile on a man, but that doesn't work in every case. He warned him to fall back. The job's not finished yet. Min worried, but the elder. Jiang grew angrier. You want to smear the Namgung clan's honor? Step down at once. Jiaowu cracked his knuckles, praising the spirit. That's the attitude. Behind him, he grabbed Jumho by the collar and stepped between. Hold on. Jiaowu turned back, curious. What's up? He was startled. Boss, your face. Jiang opposite was dazed. He slowly dragged the trembling Jumho toward them. Jin, with an old scarred face, asked, Are you of the Namgung clan? He looked at Jin in disbelief. Could a single sentence really have subdued such a master? He confirmed his identity. Yes, I am Namgung Jiang. So you were probing? Pardon my rudeness. What business brings the Namgung clan here? He glanced at the man on the ground. Could that be the head of the Golden Tiger stronghold? Jin showed no hesitation. Yes. Jiang asked, We're here to avenge Blossom Escort Agency and to rescue the Pearl Sea Escort Agency's family. And you, who are you, and what are you doing here? He revealed, he's our target too, not personal vengeance. It's just we've received too many commissions and pleas from everywhere. He wondered silently, commissions, a cleanup crew, with that skill and yet doing this job, strange. Jin added that besides eliminating the gang, the evil this man caused was substantial. Countless people came asking for help. Jiang hurriedly stopped him. Wait, hold on. He grabbed Jumho's head. They wanted him to pay for his crimes with death. Jiang panicked. What are you doing? Jin replied calmly, he's just paying his due. Everyone knows he's helpless, but first we should interrogate him about the prisoner's whereabouts. From the looks of it, the bandits here seem all wiped out. He reassured him, don't worry, he already confessed where he kept them while begging for his life. It seems those are the people you're looking for. Jiang was surprised. Really? Where? Jin recounted. He said there's an entrance to an underground hideout behind the large tree next to that ruined building. Please, elder, come see. From the prisoner's quarters came cries of joy. Someone's come to rescue us, we're saved. Jiang admired. You were right, he bowed. Thank you. The Namgung clan intervened personally. Without us, they'd have been safe anyway. We will take our leave. He offered an invitation. Aren't you going to see the faces of those you saved? Jin answered, we never intended charity, so there's no reason to meet them. It was just coincidence. We take our leave. Seeing the two depart, Min was curious. Who on earth were they? He replied, hard to say. I've never heard of such figures on the rivers and lakes before. He mentioned that hearing the word commission, it fit the role of a troubleshooter, but Jiang understood that his martial skill was far above someone in that line of work. Min continued, when I saw that big guy block one of Grandpa's strikes and come out unscathed, I was utterly amazed. He shared the thought, same here, perhaps he's trained an invulnerable Vajra body, or at least his external skill has reached an equivalent realm. He was astonished, an invulnerable Vajra body. Jiang still regretted it. What a pity, I should have tested myself against him to the end. Qiaowu still had concerns. What's the reason? Boss Jin asked, puzzled. What? He explained that the face-off nearly startled his younger brother. Then he remembered, right, I still haven't switched back, have I? Jin put his hand to his face and removed it. It's just a nuisance. Jiaowu hadn't foreseen what kind of nuisance. He was extremely cautious and likely wouldn't be involved with them again. But life's uncertain, better safe than sorry. Imagine rumors spreading that some meat sellers in some backwater wiped out Golden Tiger stronghold and then ran into Namgung clan masters. What do you think would happen? Qiaowu dimly understood. That would be troublesome indeed. He added, not only that first-level trouble, what if our past gets dug up during all this? He agreed, makes sense. This world is full of beastly, demonic people to the bone. What about you, little brother? One man facing them helps what? Jin had no choice. If I could swap places with you, it'd be great, but by then it'll be too late. At least it lowers the risk a little, he said, and a quick switch would even look natural. Qiaowu urged, anyway, Ahayan's been released. Let's hurry home and prepare to welcome him. They returned to their lodgings. Hyun has returned, I'm back. He hugged his younger brother. Good that you're safe. He felt very remorseful. Sorry, you were all so worried, weren't you? Jin feigned ignorance. I trusted you'd come back safe. I heard the Namgung clan rescued people. Hyun explained. They weren't the ones, though they helped a bit. He was curious, not fully understanding. What do you mean? Hyun ate as he explained. Namgung clan fighters did go to Golden Tiger stronghold to clear the bandits, but the group who wiped out the bandits was someone else. Jin let his brother finish his bowl of rice. He frowned, a little at a loss for words. The three of them sat pondering, no one spoke. Even the lively Chiaolu rubbed his chin in thought. Hyun continued eating. Majin looked at him with indulgent eyes. Hyun set the empty bowl down on the table. He slowly took a cloth and wiped his mouth. He knew it was time to get to the main point. Hyun asked directly, so can I start apprenticing at the butcher stall now? Gwangho laughed, let him, I'll teach him. He thought to himself he'd unleash everything Chiaolu had done to him. Chiaolu pinched an ear. You haven't finished your own work yet and you want to teach someone. Gwangho protested at being dragged outside. What if my brother teaches? Let him, put him at the stall and yap at customers. Let's see how he runs the place while we're away. Hyun turned pale at that. Do I get treated the same? He denied it. You don't need to hold a knife, Gwangho, and I will handle the butcher's cleavers. Why was he so curious? Jin answered, to be the boss, this duty would make Hyun quite happy to hear. Cut to the Yongho clan residence. Inside a room someone was painting. Outside the door a voice announced, Jaewagging reporting. The person inside ordered them to enter. Hajung asked about progress, has it been verified? Jaewagging replied, yes sir. Hajung frowned, so what the hell happened at Sohyung? He recounted, the report says the Black Cloak Corps was defeated. The entire force slaughtered and buried. Hajung was stunned. What? Who did this? Was it the Imperial? Jaewagging denied it. I can't be certain, but it doesn't seem to be them. He was puzzled. Why? Jaewagging reported they'd left Ching Sim looking as calm as ever. If they'd fought the Black Cloak Corps, there'd be no way things turned out like that. Hajung confirmed, indeed, I wouldn't raise an ineffectual bunch that could be routed by the Imperial. So who then? Did Jin buy non-blue stone elixir? Seems not him either. Jaewagging revealed that investigation showed it was a butcher. Hajung couldn't believe it. A butcher? Ridiculous. How could a slaughterman afford to buy non-blue stone elixir? So what deity or saint is he? Jaewagging didn't know. Apart from him being a third party who intervened, they had no other leads. Hajung fell silent, pondering these words. He ordered, no, send people to the Forest of Death and Blood at once. Jaewagging asked to confirm, the Forest of Death and Blood. He replied, yes. Entrust them to uncover the truth and bring that man's head back here. Jaewagging obeyed, understood, sir. Hajung suddenly remembered something. Also, that butcher, if he hadn't stood in the way, the non-blue stone elixir would already be in my hands. I must vent this fury, he said, half-jokingly cruel. Put his head up as a reward, he added. At Jin's butcher shop, the day's business was opening. Inside, Hyun was carefully trimming each slice of meat. He wiped the sweat from his brow, truly absorbed. She always thoughtfully brought over a bowl of water for him to drink. He praised the neatly cut slices. Well done. A chip off the old block, much better than that slippery fellow. Hyun understood perfectly. No need for his brother to console him, he knew just how poor his own skills were. Now he understood why his brother wouldn't let him touch the knife earlier. Jin looked in, don't get me wrong, I said that because the butchering only needs the two of us. But in hindsight, that was a pretty wise decision. Hyun curiously asked, how should I handle this part now? Chiaolu reminded him, hand it over so I can trim it. He didn't see Gwangho and grew curious. Why hasn't that slippery guy shown his face? Lately he hasn't been home much either. Hyun guessed he would have asked what was going on, but he stammered and wouldn't explain. It seemed the Concordant Mind Association was having some trouble. Jin asked suspiciously what happened. He recounted that Blood Axe and the Concordant Mind Association had always been at odds, but recently their clashes had become more frequent. She always suggested, then shouldn't we teach that slippery fellow a lesson so he quits the group? Jin agreed, yeah, do it. Break his leg even if you have to. Maybe that'll make him give up that thug habit. Jin went out worried to fetch her. Didn't I tell you to go buy books? Chiaolu asked if she never got bored of reading day and night. It was hard for her to recover, so she should go out and walk more. She scolded the lot of them. That isn't important now. About the trio, what are you planning? Jin wondered what happened. Jin worriedly said there had been a stabbing near the bookstore. People had fallen, blood everywhere. The three of them fell silent, stunned. And you were the one to comfort them. Don't worry too much, nothing will happen. What if the trio got hurt? We'll go check it out, you go home and wait first. Hyun relied on his brother for this. Hyun reassured them, yes, leave it to the big brother, we'll head home first. He thought to himself that with everyone around it would probably be fine. Then he blurted out, so we're counting on the big bro, huh? Jin was taken home by Hyun. Xiaowu probed, "Are you really going?" He decided to follow Jin's advice. What if something unpredictable happened? He shut the shop and grinned. At this rate, the Concordant Mind Association will vanish from the world. Night fell and the moonlight shone down. The place of the brawl lay in ruins, bodies strewn everywhere. The floor still pooled with congealed blood. Mulim panted, his face smeared with fresh blood. Across from him, the Ma brothers wore smug smiles. He demanded, "You're not Blood Axe," Massang sneered. "Looks like your eyes aren't completely blind yet, huh?" Mulim asked in confusion, "If you have nothing to do with Blood Axe, why attack us?" The man explained, "Only if you disappear can Blood Axe monopolize Sohyung's underworld." Hearing that, Mulim flew into a rage, grabbed his sword and lunged, the blade aimed straight at Massang's face. The man casually stopped the sword with 2 fingers. Mulim's eyes filled with horror. Impossible. Massang lifted his foot and kicked him squarely. Get lost, Mulim's body was flung outward, sending lanterns tearing off and flying with him. Just as he was about to fall, Chiaolu caught him with his hand. He stared in surprise at the person he had just grabbed. What the heck is this? The Ma brothers stood on the upper floor looking down. Chiaolu glanced at them and asked, "Isn't that the Concordant Mind Association leader who used to run with that slippery eel? Did you guys do this?" Madding wondered about the 2 who had suddenly appeared. "Who are you?" He looked around. "Wait, that's not important. I don't see it nearby." "Seems like it's not here, right, boss?" Jin looked and truly couldn't see it. Chiaolu set Mulim down. With their leader like this, the Concordant Mind Association was basically finished. He eyed the 2, "You from Blood Axe, clean work, your swordsmanship's pretty decent too." They denied being Blood Axe. This skill level couldn't belong to some back alley thugs. The blade was cold and precise, aimed at vital points with no wasted movement. When the 2 of them stepped inside, they stood facing the other pair. Jin realized, why is the cave empty like this? Something's off. What are you planning? Where are the Concordant Mind Association people? Both of them tensed, thinking the same thing, masters. Xiaolu threatened, "If the next answer is still dumb as a clam, I'll assume you've had enough of living." Jin asked again, where did the Concordant Mind Association go? Madding blurted it out, "To the Guandi Shrine in the east." He was surprised. The Guandi Shrine, why go there? He explained it was one of Blood Axe's strongholds. They went there to launch an ambush. Xiaolu realized it was a tiger luring its prey down the mountain, baiting the lackeys away to make handling the ringleader easier. He thought to himself that a Guangho was likely there too. If it were just low-level thugs fighting, fine, but if people like these got involved. Then he asked, "Were there people like you over there?" He denied it. "No, only the 2 of us in Sohyung." Massang held back. "Madding, don't do anything stupid. Don't let any information slip." Before he could finish, Chiaolu's punch flew out and sent the guy's head spinning. The thug's body toppled backward, his head flying off. Madding froze, unable to dare glance at his comrade's corpse beside him. Chiaolu flicked his ear, annoying fly exterminated. "Keep talking, boss." Jin continued, "Judging by your reactions, you're not just mercenaries for Blood Axe. What's your objective?" He trembled, knelt, and confessed they used Blood Axe as a screen to destroy the Concordant Mind Association, then take over Sohyung's underworld. "We need more information. Where did you come from?" Madding confessed, "From Hangzhou, sir." Jin guessed, "Hangzhou, are you from the Thousand Killer?" He stammered. "Yes, that's right." Xiaolu pinched a knuckle. "Had enough of living. I told you to tell the truth, not lie. The Thousand Killers' bosses are all dead. Who do you think you're fooling?" Madding dared not. "We wiped out the remnants of the Thousand Killer and seized Hangzhou." He concluded, "So who are you? Which organization do you belong to?" He confessed, "The Flying Dagger Society from Nanjing." Jin knew of them, the Flying Dagger Society. "These guys are dangerous, their operations mysterious and unknown. One slip and the whole plan collapses. Good thing I borrowed the Flying Dagger name to hide my identity. We must report that Sohyung has such dangerous elements." After extracting the information, Madding was dealt with. Jiaolu turned and asked, "Shall we head to the Guandi Shrine?" Jin agreed, "Hurry up and let's go." He muttered, "Isn't taking Hangzhou enough? Now they want all of Sohyung too? Truly bottomless greed." Jin felt the situation was far from good. He ordered that a Guangho be brought back immediately. Suddenly a familiar voice called "Boss," which made him stop in his tracks and look over in one direction. Over here, Jin immediately shifted to that spot. He caught his junior and asked, "What's wrong? Why are you here? Could it be that Jin rushed back to his home in the middle of the night?" He flung the door wide and loudly called for a Guangho. He was bandaged on both legs and arms, surprised. "Big bro." Jin sighed in relief seeing Guangho still alive. He was curious why his brother had. And then Xiaolu gave him a tap. He scolded the useless one. "Where do you go that you always get beaten like an idiot? Guang Ho retorted. Who wants to get beaten? Because those blood axe dogs dragged outsiders in, otherwise the leader would still be fine. Jiaowu declared he's gone to sell salt. Guang Ho went pale and let out a sound. The next day at the butcher's shop on the street, he sadly returned to the shop. Jiaowu, cutting meat, asked, "You're back?" He stared blankly and asked, "Where's Big Bro?" He revealed that at the slaughterhouse there had been a huge order last night, so they were swamped. Guang Ho was surprised. A huge order. Jiaowu bragged, "Since opening the butcher shop, we've never had an order this big. 3 cows and 10 pigs, can you believe it?" He really was dejected. That attitude made him put the knife down, then he let slip another bit. Want to hear something better? That massive order was placed by the Blood Mansion. Guang Ho was stunned. What? He's angry. Why are you doing business with those dogs? Xiaolu, annoyed, flicked Ma Hao's forehead. Where do you think the money for your medicine comes from? If you like causing trouble, don't get yourself hurt. From behind, Jin pinched him hard. Jiaolu cried out in pain. He stammered, "What's wrong, Jin Nai?" She reminded him, "Third brother is rotten with sadness. Do you have to torment him like that?" Jin, noticing his mood, turned to look at her and asked with concern, "Still not better? Is it because of that Chin fellow?" Guang Ho, surprised, "How did you know about that?" Jin said bluntly, "Third brother talks in his sleep every night. Only the deaf wouldn't know. He was surprised me." "You confirm, right, that he's the one who helped third brother flee, aren't you?" Guang Ho lowered his eyes sadly as he recalled the memory that rewound to that night. Guang Ho gripped the butcher's knife and looked at the scene before him in alarm. Ahead, the two sides were locked in fierce combat. Someone turned back and urged him, Guang Ho, run." No sooner said than the person was pierced through the chest by a sword. Guang Ho cried out, "Big Bro." He burst into tears. "Yes, since joining the Concordant Mind Association, he's always taken care of me." Jin called from behind, "So what do you want now? If you want to seek revenge, we'll help." Xiaolu, hearing this, brightened. Really? Since when is boss suddenly so kind? Guang Ho hesitated for a long time, unable to decide. He thought to himself that if it were Big Bro and Xiaolu, maybe they could do it. When second brother was kidnapped, those two gathered people to rescue him. But the Flying Dagger Society are masters who could single-handedly kill both a leader and his guards. Would that be safe? More importantly, the two brothers worked hard to leave their mercenary lives. They shouldn't be dragged back into bloodshed. Guang Ho declined, "No, forget it, it's past." Jin worried, "Are you okay?" He remained depressed as before, only answering yes. He patted his shoulder comfortingly. "Then forget the Concordant Mind Association, give up those dangerous jobs." Guang Ho rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "So what should I do now?" Jin suggested, "If you don't fit selling meat, go work on a farm." He asked curiously, "Why suddenly a farm? You mentioned old Jian often sends meat to your stall." Xiaolu wondered, "That old man is odd. Is he ill? I saw him the other day and he seemed fine." Jin revealed the old man said he'd farmed his whole life and was tired and bored, so he planned to sell it. Guang Ho doubted where would the money come from to buy it. He estimated the old man set a cheap price, so with saved money plus this big order, they'd almost have enough. He began to consider, after all, he's not cut out for selling meat. Then he agreed, "All right." Jin happily patted his shoulder. "Good thinking." Hyun came back leading someone. "I'm home." Guang Ho went pale as he turned to look. Jin Hong spoke up, "I heard you were hurt. I was worried sick, but it turns out you're unharmed, huh?" He was astonished. "Big Bro, what are you doing here?" Hyun slapped Guang Ho. "Damn, you cried like a baby over someone who's clearly alive. You had me terrified you'd do something reckless. Oh my god." Xiaolu pointed toward him. "So this guy is some Chin, huh?" Hyun replied. Of course, this idiot was bawling before he even knew the whole story. Hearing that, his expression darkened to the extreme as he glanced at Guang Ho. Jin, busy at the back, took up a broom and stepped forward. And she was equally annoyed. "You idiot," so he got beaten up. The piercing screams echoed. Before long it was evening. Night fell, and inside the house there were two coffins holding the Ma brothers. Heads of the Flying Dagger Society. Yang Hacheng asked, "All taken down with a single strike?" Joryong, the faction leader, answered, "Yes, both had shattered skulls." He glanced at the thug bodies. One of them had his head blown off. And he thought to himself, their ribcages were smashed like dry twigs. The shock shattered their hearts and lungs. Are there fighters of this caliber in Sohyung? Joryong assessed that both deaths had the same cause, one strike to the head. Hacheng marveled. They were excellent members of our Yong-ho clan's hidden dragon unit. Never expected Sohyung to harbor such a master. He ordered a discreet investigation around the area to determine whether it was a simple accident or someone plotting something. Hacheng asked in surprise, "Do you have any leads?" The T-letter 1ED long unit has a name, the Black Crow unit. It seems the reports of their annihilation were true. If that's the case, the one who wiped out the Black Crow unit is. He confirmed very likely the same person. Jaryang glanced at the people behind him. The whole group of masked men froze at his command. He ordered his subordinates to hold position and halt all outside activities until the perpetrator was identified. The next day, a new morning began, sunlight streaming brightly over the butcher shop on the street. Xiaowu waved his hand over his flushed face, the heat practically melting the fat. He handed him a bowl of water. "Drink this." Xiaowu gushed, "Where did you get ice in this heat?" Jin replied, "I brought up a slab from the cellar. I wanted a cold sip because everything's so hot you can't swallow." He tossed his head back and downed it, then asked, "Nice, but does Hyun have no objections? If he knew he'd jump up in a fit." He answered, "He's not here. He's out collecting debts from Blood Axe." A call sounded outside. "I'm back." Xiaowu turned and struggled to help his uncle. His voice fell silent when he saw Hyun's appearance. His face was swollen and bruised. Enough with the stones. He was still worried that the two of them had dragged stones from the storeroom to use. "How many times have I told you not to take more stones? At this rate, how will we survive till winter?" Jin fretted, "Is that what's important now? What happened to your face and eyes?" Hyun tried to hide it. "It's nothing really." Xiaowu didn't need to guess. This had to be the work of Blood Axe, right? He denied it. "Not them." He snapped angrily, Not them. I told you to go collect from them, didn't I? Damn those dogs." Jin cut in, "Order, please. Hyun, tell us straight what exactly happened." Hyun recounted, "They demanded the rest from me and then beat me up a bit." Xiaowu annoyed, "I knew it. So how much did they pay?" He glanced at the thin pouch that was only half full. He picked it up and saw that losing half wasn't such a big hit. Hyun warned, "Accounting for the effort, it's a glaring loss." Xiaowu was about to take off his hat and apron to settle it. "What boss? Those guys meant to stiff us from the start. Let the boss send me to collect." Jin stopped him. "Wait, what are you going to do?" He froze. "Go collect the money, what else?" He glanced at Hyun sitting beside him, then whispered to Xiaowu to find out who was backing Blood Axe. He replied, "The Flying Dagger Society." "What can those few shrimp-sized guys do?" Jin carefully warned, "The people we saw at the Concordant Mind Association aren't merely Flying Dagger Society hires. There's a bigger hand behind them. Tangling with all of them would be serious trouble." Xiaowu simply thought, "What's the fuss? Kill them all and be done." He was warned, "Kill them all and their allies will come after you, then you plan to keep killing." He pondered, "True enough." Hearing Xiaowu, Hyun stood and asked, "What nonsense are you spouting?" He continued, "It could happen." Jin put it aside for now. After all, it's not a huge loss. Just chalk it up to bad luck from a rabid dog bite. Xiaowu had to swallow his anger. "Damn it, a mad dog deserves a good thrashing to learn." Jin advised, "Let me fetch some liquor from the storeroom. We'll have a few drinks to drown our sorrows. Liquor cools the fire." He agreed at that and relented. "If the boss says so, I'll hold back, but what if they get aggressive again?" He accepted on that condition and then, "Just as I said, pick up a stick and whack them." At that moment, the butcher shop door was kicked wide open. Horieo led people in, thinking they'd be hiding somewhere, but it turned out they were holed up right here. Hyun was surprised. "Blood Axe?" Xiaowu asked them again. He panicked. "Did they follow us all the way here?" Jin ushered Hyun into the back room. "Hyun, hide inside for now and let us receive guests." Xiaowu entertained them. "What breeze blew you here?" The man demanded. "You got the goods money, right? Spit out the protection fee." He didn't understand what tax we'd already paid the magistrate. Horieo arrogantly said, "Who's talking about magistrate taxes? This is the fee you pay us." He exclaimed, "So it's extortion." The man twisted words and spoke rudely. "To be clear, your peaceful business runs because we provide protection. It takes effort to guard this place, so be decent and pay up. Think of it as mutual give and take, helping one another." Xiaowu cut him off. "Too much fancy talk, so you're demanding protection money." He confirmed it was the protection fee before he bothered to speak plainly. He stepped forward, "But we don't need protection." "Open your eyes and look properly. Do I look like someone who needs protecting?" Horieo flinched. "Just a lowly butcher. How does he carry such an oppressive aura?" He grabbed a chunk of meat, seized the man's head and berated him, "You useless lot," then hurled the piece of meat straight into the man's face. The whole gang was sent flying out of the shop. Xiaowu stood at the door, blocking the cold, barking, "If any of you dare show your face here again, I'll snap every neck." Watching them limp away, he chuckled with satisfaction. Jin inside set snacks on the table and asked, "That feel good, huh?" Xiaowu sneered, "Those ragged wretches demanding protection fees. It's laughable. We planned to stomp those bastards to death, but worried the kids might see, so I shooed them out gently, think they won't dare come back." He found it funny, tossing people out the door and calling that gentle. He considered that being overly kind. They're lucky they could even crawl away alive. Fair point. "How's Hyun?" he answered, still not himself. I doubt they expected us to be holed up like this. Word is those dogs have been running wild the past few days. Xiaolu grew worried. Is this okay? They're acting openly like this. Jin frowned, a thought flashing through his mind. He urged, no good, grab a stick and let's go, little bro. Night fell, moonlight pouring down below. Blood Axe was heavily guarded. But from Xiaolu's vantage, hiding on the roof, those two shrimp-level punks were pretending to act like they ran a Mulim faction. What to do? His big bro replied, let them be, deal with them quick and leave. The two of them flew into the backyard and landed lightly on the ground. He exclaimed, what a perfect night for business. Jin agreed. Yes, clear moon, cool breeze, visibility's perfect. I think it's over there. He glanced at the building ahead, strike fast and brief. A few guards in the backyard were yawning lazily. 3 small stones zipped toward them, each aimed precisely at their temples. When all 3 slumped unconscious, the 2 finally revealed themselves. Jin ordered, in case of trouble, clear them out. He dragged the 3 men away, seeing these guards confirmed this was the place. With so many deaths recently, didn't they notice? Jin added, if they were sensible, they wouldn't have taken this spot to begin with. Xiaolu casually tossed the 3 men over the wall. He stepped into that room. Come on in. Inside, Imhong was snoring loudly with 2 beauties by his side. He watched the 2 sleep so soundly even kings couldn't match them. Jin's finger unleashed a pulse of inner energy. The 2 women nearby were struck. He instructed, all right, wake him up. Xiaolu stomped on that man's groin. Imhong woke with his eyes rolling in pain. He screamed, veins bulging on his face. Xiaolu grabbed the man's hair, then ruthlessly hurled him to the ground. He turned and admonished, hey, however jealous you are, don't hit there. He shrugged, feigning innocence, just a slip of the foot. Imhong shouted, guards, where are the sentries? Jin stepped forward, but it was useless. The sound here was sealed off from outside. Are you the leader of Blood Axe? Xiaolu took a swig from the nearby wine flask. Answer smartly before I turn you into a cripple. Imhong dropped to his knees, bowing his head to the ground. Yes, it's me. Xiaolu sat opposite. You found the right seat, huh? Do you know why we're here? The man kowtowed. No, I don't know. Xiaolu flung the wine cup toward Imhong, full of swagger. The cup smashed hard against his head and fell. Jin used inner power to lift the cup, then crushed it. The cup shattered into fragments and fell. Imhong trembled uncontrollably. Xiaolu warned, don't play games with us. The man was sweating buckets. So who exactly are you? Jin declared, first of all, I'm not interested in Blood Axe or the Concordant Mind Association. Nor do I intend to steal your seat. I just want to live peacefully, dream of an ordinary life like everyone else, but these irritating things keep bothering me. The man Tuan L letter 1EC7NH said, you name it and I'll deal with it right away. I just want to live peacefully, dream of an ordinary life like everyone else, but these irritating things keep bothering me. The man Tuan L letter 1EC7NH said, you name it and I'll deal with it right away. Don't beat around the bush, I'll be blunt. Recently you've been collecting protection fees from shops, right? Imhong was surprised. Yes, we are collecting. Jin continued, I'm not forbidding you to collect, but have some restraint. Just take what the Concordant Mind Association used to take and there won't be a problem. The man hesitated at that. Xiaolu coldly asked from the side, is that so hard? Want me to make it easier for you? The man was embarrassed. I'd like to follow your orders, but it's not my decision to make. He grabbed the man's head and forced him to look up. What kind of barking is that? You said you're the boss, Xiaolu said. Well, yes, but not everything is up to me to decide. Jin understood immediately. It's the Flying Dagger Society, right? He added. Flying Dagger Society, the bunch we saw the other day. No wonder those gloomy types have been lurking around the market lately. Imhong thought to himself that they even knew about the Hidden Dragon unit. This was definitely them. Jin asked bluntly, are there still Flying Dagger Society people here? The man reported, they've all withdrawn, but we still have to pay tribute every month. You order them to reduce it. The man gasped in shock. Jin repeated, cut down your share, it's more than enough to get by. Lam H letter 1ED3NG hesitated, but Xiaolu squeezed his head. If you don't like it, fine, there are plenty who can replace you. Imhong quickly complied, no, I'll do it, I'll follow your orders. Only then did he release his grip. You're getting smarter. If you try any tricks, your head will roll across the ground. Right, boss, and you should collect the old debts too. Jin stepped forward. You just held a banquet not long ago, right? That ate up quite a bit of meat. Imhong blurted out, yes. He frowned and warned, if you feasted like that, you should pay properly. Planning to stiff us. The man went silent, not daring to make a sound. Jin looked around. They must be hiding somewhere nearby. He glanced in one direction, that one. Xiaolu walked over to check it out. He punched straight at the painting hanging on the wall. Imhong ground his teeth in fury. He stared at the displayed jewels inside. Xiaolu cursed the lunatics. They live in mansions like this and still raise protection fees? Fiend warned. Forget them, just take our share. He stepped forward and grabbed a few sacks. This is the meat money. Imhong gaped, sweat pouring down like rain. Meat money. Xiaolu tossed down a few more sacks. and here's the accumulated interest up to now. The man trembled with anger but forced himself to stay composed. He stuffed them into a large sack. Boss, include medicine money too. Getting beaten while collecting debts would be unfair. Jin brought over a pearl. Right, this is the medicine money. The shelves had been emptied. There were 2 more pearls up high. He thought to himself, these bastards still had quite a bit. This should be enough. Jiaowu grabbed Imhong by the collar and hurled him toward the storage cabinet. Jiaowu sneered, count your life in 2. Imhong, terrified, took down a bag. About now it's. He threatened, if you're short any coin, I'll chop off limbs to make up for it. So both chests were tossed into the sack. Xiaolu was satisfied. This one sure values his life. Jin called, that's enough, let's go. Imhong stood frozen, staring at the empty shelves. A voice spoke up, you best clamp your mouth shut. Do that and you'll keep your life. If you leak today's events outside then. He heard that and turned pale, not daring to utter a word. Something whizzed by. It was a leaf embedded in the wall. Seeing it made him shake all over. On the way back, you guessed we were being generous and that there'd be no more entanglements, right? Chiaolu replied, what a smooth talker. If he dares talk back like you said, replace him and that's that. Once we deal with these people, it's like clearing out all the nuisances, right? Jin thought they'd be safe for a while. The next day at Tongshan Demonic Cult, there were guards posted outside the gate. On the side of the Muchin Pavilion, someone had just been thrown into a house. The person flew to the middle of the room and stopped. Guanong clicked his tongue a few times and stepped forward, saying if he'd been obedient and kept out of trouble he wouldn't be in this mess. We're acquaintances. It makes me uneasy. He clasped his hands in greeting. Long time no see, uncle. Watching Guanong's actions, Guanhio frowned, thinking to himself he'd anticipated this somewhat, but hadn't expected Lord Hachun to be defeated so miserably. Guampi demanded, how dare you? Do you know where you are to cause such a ruckus? Guanong smiled coldly. I've seen it before. You still lack the knack for reading the situation, huh? Still don't understand what's happening? Now's not the time to gape and spout nonsense. Worry about keeping your old life. Guampi lunged forward in anger, cursing, you rootless. A sword pierced through his chest. Guanong glanced at the fallen man. Rootless? You say that and it saddens me. Tongshan demonic clan rightfully belongs to me. I am the son of the previous sect leader. Not your uncle's. You seized the throne the moment my father fell ill, didn't you, uncle? Guanhio fell silent at these words. He did not want to argue. I have nothing more to say. Anything you say now would just be a feeble excuse. He laughed, quick learner. Indeed, your uncle is nothing like that stupid fool. The old man spoke up, but I want to ask one thing. Guanong invited, go ahead, uncle. Guanhio wondered aloud, though I am a tiger come down to the plains, I'm not so weak as to be felled by you in an instant. Why did they betray me? He glanced at the people behind him. It's simple. The leaders of the loyal demon and the front demon have long been my men, and a third of the elders sided with me from the start. All thanks to my father's arrangements. To bring the remaining old men around, I had to enlist the help of a high master. Your acquaintance, the uncle's man, is known to me as well. That person stepped into the main hall, then hoisted up the figure lying on the ground and hurled him forward. The man's entire body landed on the floor right in front of him. Guanhio angrily grabbed the man and snarled, all right. The opponent pulled off the hood. I'm not dead yet, no need for a fuss. He was shocked at the other's face. You're Kyohyok the sword fiend, how come you are here? Kyohyok replied, you think this will end that easily? Then you greatly underestimate me. He bore a deep grudge against you. Samajin hasn't yet paid his debt to me, so there's no way I'm dying. Not even the king of hell can touch me. The sword in Kyohyok's hand rose up, and in one stroke slashed toward Guanhio. He screamed in pain. Guanhio collapsed right before them. Guanong grinned, at last. With the sect leader and the elders dealt with, taking over the sect is only a matter of time. Just then a subordinate ran in to report. He knelt and reported. Kyohyok asked if the remnants had been wiped out clean. The man reported most were dealt with, but he heard a few slipped out of the hidden vaults and fled with the token. Guanzu was astonished. What? The celestial devil orb? The subordinate confirmed. Yes, sir, I tailed them, but it seems the one carrying the token split off and ran in a different direction. He knew it was the relic of Tongshan Demonic's founding ancestor, the sword symbolizing the sect leader. Possessing it is necessary to legitimately become the successor of Tongshan Demonic. Who was that? The subordinate answered. They say it was Nojian of the Divine Demonic Unit. Guanzu speculated the Divine Demonic Unit. Could he be heading to Samajin? Someone from the butcher's stall said, this is getting complicated. Hubo asked curiously, so who runs this butcher stall? Jin replied, sir, it's managed by the elder brothers of this young miss. He murmured, is that so? What can be done now? As he turned to leave, Hubo accidentally bumped into Chiaolu. He apologized sheepishly, oh dear, sorry about that. Chiaolu smiled brightly. No problem. Jin stepped forward and said, "Excuse me, sir. It seems we don't have the kind of meat you need here." Hubo replied, "I didn't come to buy meats." He was surprised if not to buy meat then. Jin revealed that members of the Hahu clan had come, saying they wanted to invite the executioner. Jin stepped forward and asked, "Are you here looking for Elder So who used to live here?" He answered, "Yes. Every year around this time, our family sends a red-clothed daughter to this tavern and invites the elder back to host the feast. It's been over 20 years, yet we didn't expect he'd passed away." Ma Qin asked curiously, "You're here for the ancestral banquet, the master's 70th birthday, right?" The servant was surprised. "That's right, but why you?" Jin explained that Elder So had once instructed that people from the Hahu clan would come, and told them to give their full support. Hearing that, he brightened. "Really?" Jin ordered Chiaolu to fetch that letter, then hand it to Habu. This is the letter he left, instructing that it be shown to members of the Hahu clan. He opened it and read. The heir he chose was carefully selected, skillful to the level of the elder himself. Trust them with the task. And he inwardly sighed with relief, hearing they were capable indeed. Habu emphasized that although a birthday feast is held every year, this year's scale is entirely different. The amount of food and meat to consume will be beyond imagination. "Are you confident?" Jin replied, "I will do my utmost." He thought to himself that though it sounded like empty words, he somehow felt reassured. Habu instructed, "The feast will be on the upcoming full moon. Be there on time." In Taishan, Zhejiang, flags were hung everywhere along Jinhua Street. And inside the Hahu clan grounds, Chiaolu saw the interior's ornate expanse. This was no mere house. Calling it a fortress wouldn't be an exaggeration. Jin marveled, "Good heavens, in my life I never imagined a place larger than the Red Flame clan. Truly an aristocratic clan." He admitted the family lived up to its name. Spectacular, indeed. The boss, merely a gatekeeper, radiated such formidable presence that it gave off a creepy vibe. Jin was puzzled. Who is it? Chiaolu named one, Nojian. He recognized him. Yep, spot on. The face, the build, even the way he holds his sword against his chest. If you said he's a blood brother, I'd believe it. He suddenly felt a pang of fondness for him. Every time that guy mouthed off, he ended up getting a few good kicks. Fun memories. I wonder how the others are doing. Entering, Chiaolu watched the crowd and admitted how packed it was. He said this was already a large city and the feast scale wasn't small. Merchants from around had flocked here. Chiaolu figured a 3-day feast must mean there'll be plenty to eat and see. "I heard there's even a grand martial tournament. Want to enter, little brother?" Jin suggested. "What are you saying? Sounds tempting. Planning to wipe out the whole tournament." He begged, saying a light match would do. "No way," he firmly refused. "Look at your build, how could you hide it?" Chiaolu scowled. "Fine, sulk then, I'm not helping anymore." He went to the stall by the road. The owner gave him a skewer of candied hawthorn. Watching Chiaolu eat the candy, Jin scolded him. "You're not a child, are you?" Across the way, someone blocked their path, a bit rude in their approach. Jin politely asked, "Is there a problem?" Nogang asked, "Excuse me, may I ask where you folks are from and what business brings you here?" Chiaolu complained, "If you're apologizing, stop before you finish speaking. He plugs your mouth. We come from Sohyong. We've heard this banquet needs someone to perform dissections." He frowned and assessed them. Nogang thought to himself, "The deputy steward warned me before. Look at that fellow, eyes like a bandit, but he seems to know nothing of martial arts." In front of him, Jin was scolding. "I told you to fix that hot temper of yours." He replied, "Sorry, boss." He's already finished confirming. "All right then, please come in." They were led into the kitchen area. On the way, someone sighed. Hahu clan, the 3 oddities of the martial world, the sword oddity. Hahu Gok grumbled, "I was going to drag that old man to drink and then curse the host who babbled and made me referee the tournament." Yet, Hahu Yon advised, "Don't be too upset. If Old So recommended him, his skill must be outstanding." He barked, "That brat, do you think your granddad is upset over a piece of meat because of him?" The other wondered, "Well, if not." Hahu Gok said sadly, "My friend is dead. He was my bosom buddy. How could my heart be at ease?" Yon thought inwardly that the two chatted so cheerfully, but it didn't look like they were true bosom friends. Their social status differed too greatly. He asked, puzzled, "Do the words friends sound strange to you?" The other admitted frankly that yes, he didn't think they'd spent enough time together to truly understand one another. Hahu Gok explained that time isn't what's important. What matters is the hearts turned toward each other. Besides, you met him for only a few years and claim that I spent 20 years with him. 20 years is long enough for mountains and rivers to change twice. Yon retorted, "Wasn't someone just saying time doesn't matter?" He was annoyed. "Shut up with the nonsense and follow me." Entering the kitchen, they saw Jin sitting before a cow. Hahu Gok was curious. Is that the man old friend recommended? Let's see if he's really as talented as the old man said. Is this the final farewell feast? That old man mentioned the same thing. At that moment, he lifted the hammer in his hand. Watching the movement, he judged that the fellow had been properly trained. The cow soon collapsed before Jin. Yon marveled, too skillful. He saw it wasn't just skill, the way the knife moved, so neat it gave him goosebumps. Jiaolu stuffed the cow into a large crate and then hoisted it up. He admired, the strength was terrifying, truly the might to split mountains and wield the world's edge. Yon thought that he believed mere strength alone couldn't achieve that. Hahugak agreed, absolutely not. Then he suddenly launched a palm strike toward them. From his palm, a crimson aura of chi radiated. Yon thought inwardly, the merchant's intense chi realm is indeed like the Grandmaster. Would he merely dodge or counterattack? That aura rushed toward Jiaolu. He casually used his hand to smash that attack to pieces. They were stunned, couldn't believe it. That was the Grandmaster's Kai, the one nicknamed Mad Sword among Mulim's 3 oddities. Hahugak curled his lip in a smile. Interesting. Jin warned, please stop this jest. I'm not sure I can hold my patience much longer. He stepped forward and asked, so you were holding back on me, should I be thanking you? The youth replied, I only said that because I'm worried the work here will be delayed. Hahugak said coldly, no matter. It seems you're not an ordinary executioner. Who are you people? Jiaolu folded his arms and asked casually, your old man's got quite the mouth, huh? And you are what exactly? Hahugak was momentarily stunned by that remark. The old man was 58. He had taken up a sword and walked the Jianghu, and by 50 had proudly inscribed his name on the martial roll listing Mulim's top 100 masters. Since earning the title Mad Sword, this was the first time he'd been treated like this. Jiaolu replied, Mad Sword or a lump of gold, I don't give a damn. From that petty trick earlier, I already know your level. Best we both quietly let it go, or if not, let's see this through. I don't care either way. He was cut off when Jin clapped a hand over his mouth. He turned and asked, you folks are from the Hahu clan, right? We don't mean to cause trouble, nor do we want to fight your senior. We only ask that you let us do our work. Hahugak frowned and said angrily, do you expect me to believe that? A lowly butcher who can casually parry a strike loaded with my power? Who exactly are you lot and what did you come to my place for? Jin bowed modestly, just some meat sellers from Sohyung. As you see, we're only slaughtering pigs, we just want a normal life. Fate pushed us here somehow, so please turn a blind eye. He asked sharply, and if I refuse? The youth stayed calm, what do you want then? Hahugak led the way, what else does an old man who has spent his life tasting blood on a sword's edge want? Follow me. He led them out to the edge of the woods. Hahugak bent and picked up a small branch. He announced, let's begin. Jin also bent and picked up a small branch. Jiaolu gripped his wrist and advised, wait, boss, this isn't right. Jin eyed him suspiciously, what do you mean? He answered, there must be proper rank and order. How can a shrimp-level fighter challenge the boss? You remind him, are you kidding? Of those we've faced, how many reached that level? Most of them were handled nicely by me. The number of people the boss truly took seriously could be counted on one hand, like that Kyohyok sword specter. Jiaolu mused and then remembered, I still have a debt to settle with that old man. I wonder if that crotchety lecturing old fool is still alive. You know his life won't be easily ended. He's probably hiding somewhere, bidding his time to strike back. He pleaded, then fine, that way I can send him off to meet his ancestors, right? I'll take care of this old man. Jin frowned. Why did you steer the conversation that way? He thought fighting a strong opponent would sharpen his craft and give some excitement. Lately, he'd felt rusty. Jin agreed to leave it to him, though he doubted the old man would consent. Jiaolu was confident he'd make the old man submit. Hey old man, you heard what we said, right? Hahugak replied, heard bits of it. I didn't expect to be so disrespected, it feels truly unpleasant. He relented, I only stepped forward because I saw you had skill, don't get the wrong idea. I'll take 3 strikes from you, use your full strength. Hahugak laughed in anger, delirious. Very well, old man will take that as filial respect and gladly accept. The branch in his hand flared with fire, the universe-eating divine art enveloping Hahugak. Jin thought to himself, the overwhelmingly yang aura reminds me of the Red Flame clan. Jiaolu, excited by his opponent's power, flared his own vital energy. That's more like it, sorry in advance, boss. Hahugak rushed forward with momentum, brazen. How dare someone mock the old man? Jiaolu stomped and ran up to meet him. Before either could do anything, a stream of fire leapt forward. Jiaolu's steps retreated back. He braced his body and stood firm, completely unharmed. Hahugak was surprised. I poured over 90% of my power into that. Are you made of iron? Jiaolu praised, not bad old man, but not quite what I hoped for. If that's all you've got, I'm disappointed. He was shocked at that externally trained power, but even so, how could? Hahugak, refusing to yield, summoned the 9 Dragons sword technique. 9 dragon blood, and charged once more to see how you'd parry this move. Qiaowu fearlessly met him. A barrage of chain punches burst out from him like a storm. The two fought fiercely. Hahugak was driven backwards by that overwhelming force. He struggled to defend while launching counterattacks. Countless fire streaks shot toward him, 9 dragon slash. Qiaowu snorted coldly and poured his strength into his fist. The collision sent shockwaves through the surroundings. Qiaowu spat a mouthful of metallic-tasting blood. He smiled brightly and wiped the blood from his lip. "Nice, old man, it's been a long time since I've seen blood." Hahugak was amazed. Even without unleashing full power, that strike was over 10% of his strength. Yet it only left a wound. Could he have reached an indestructible diamond realm? But however hard, nothing is truly unbreakable. Thiet Vu teased, "What's wrong, old man? Giving up?" He waved, "Stop meddling and come on. Let old man show how fragile that bronze-turned-iron body of yours really is." Was that a compliment? Sure, why not? Suddenly, Jin noticed something off. Wait, he's using M-letter 1EA1C Kwang Tu La Chi. Is he really that surprised? So Qiaowu used the steel fist first, to Hahugak's astonishment. A whirlwind formed around him, and Qiaowu shot forward like an arrow. Hahugak raised the branch, flames curling around it. Jin worried, this is an internal heavy hand technique. At this rate, someone could die. A violent explosion erupted, fire blasting in all directions. Flames shot high into the sky, trailing thick black smoke. As the smoke slowly cleared, the two faced each other, both astonished. For Jin stood between them, having stopped the blow. He covered his mouth with a cough, and bright blood spurted out. Qiaowu worried, "Are you okay?" Jin wiped with his sleeve, "Not exactly fine, but I'm not dead yet, don't worry." He praised, "Your skills improved a fair bit." Qiaowu laughed, "Because the boss mocked my decline, I had to try harder." Hahugak stood there silent, as if unable to accept the truth. The branch in his hand had splintered. Hahugak demanded, "What are you playing at?" Jin explained, "It was too dangerous, so I had to step in." Hahugak shouted, "You stepped in because it was dangerous. Is there any duel in this world that isn't dangerous?" Jin replied, "A simple probing of strength is enough. There's no need for a fight to the death." "He still craves battle. The first exchange between him and I wasn't even finished." "Calm down. The result is settled. You must feel that too. At this point, it's enough to see each other's strength. That should satisfy your curiosity, right? A good hearty match is enough. Why be stubborn about victory or defeat?" Hahugak scowled. "Stubborn am I?" He couldn't argue back and thought to himself, "A clear sky without a single cloud, just like in the old days. When I slipped away from the family with a sword, those long years weren't all glory. I tasted bitter defeat and countless despair, but I've never felt as pathetic as now." They interfered and stopped the moment. Both sides were unleashing full power. If not for fear of utterly overwhelming martial skill, it would be unthinkable. And it's a duel between fighters of my caliber and his. So young yet having achieved so much. Hahugak recalled what you said, that you only want an ordinary life and merely drifted here while pursuing that wish. So pretend you don't know, so powerful and yet dreaming of a normal life. He stood frozen, staring at his palm. Compared to him, a strange aura radiated around Hahugak's body. Qiaowu exclaimed, "What the hell is this situation?" Jin quickly clamped his mouth and signaled SHH. Hahugak's expression returned to normal. He spoke gratefully. Hahugak's expression returned to normal. He spoke gratefully. Jin smiled. "Congratulations." Qiaowu isn't satisfied. "Damn it, I slave away for this country and fate drops luck on someone else. Anyway, don't forget this favor." Hahugak readily agreed. "Of course I won't forget. I'll be sure to repay you." Jin urged Thiet Vu to get back to work. "Stop standing around. Let's go back." On returning, Yon curiously asked, "Where did you just go?" Hahugak replied, "Why the sour face?" He recounted, "I hadn't even seen the master's duel before my father called me. He said I must enter the Grand Martial Tournament." Hahugak was surprised. The Grand Martial Tournament, the contest at the birthday celebration. "Don't go if you don't want to. When have you ever listened to your father to be so down?" Yon was awkward. "Normally that's true, but this time it's an order from above." He guessed who. Could it be the family head? He confirmed, "Yes, I refused and ran off, but it still feels a bit awkward." Hahugak had to ask again, "Are you really going to disobey the family head's orders?" Yon explained, "I used the excuse of the master. I told them if they want me to participate, they should ask the master for permission." He sighed helplessly. "That kid." Qiaowu murmured and gossiped while working on the side. "Boss, that old geezer looks pretty sharp, but that kid isn't to be underestimated either." Jin agreed, admitting the fellow was interesting. "Power like that isn't trivial." Yon added that the Grand Martial Tournament for the Lord's 70th is something else. The prize is huge. "I remember the prizes were always swords. This time isn't that the case." He revealed this time it's still a sword, but with an extra bonus prize. After my father returned, I met the chief steward. He was holding some weird blades of grass. They say it's an extra gift for the champion. Hahugak guessed it must be some kind of elixir. He was certain whether it's truly medicinal or not I couldn't tell. But just the name sounds ominous. Yon racked his brain. Fire, what was it? Right, fire spirit herb. Millennium fire spirit herb. Jin, overhearing, was stunned. What? The Millennium fire spirit herb? The Millennium Fire Spirit Herb is a supreme grade among fire spirit herbs, priceless and almost impossible to find. Hahugak casually said, Millennium Fire Spirit Herb, huh, now that's a miracle cure. Jin cut in and called out, Senior, I have a request. Night gradually fell. Voices discussed inside an estate. Father, here is the final list of contestants sent by the Northern Masters. In the room, Ha Yusung opened the list to look. He read each name, Nangung Hak, Tang Chiaoyong, Akiedo. At last, these people have shown themselves. They intend to sabotage the grand tournament. Ha Yujong worried. I heard Young Yon refused to participate. Ha Yusung sighed helplessly. What can we do? The outer door opened with the announcement, I'm coming in. Ha Yujong turned warily. Who dares? Ha Yusung's hand stopped him. Hahugak entered and said, no need for formalities. The two clasped hands and bowed, long time no see. Greetings, Grandmaster. He glanced at him. Is that young Zhang? Step outside for a moment. I have something to ask your father. Ha Yujong ordered. Yes, sir. Hahugak sat and said, get to the point. Why must it be Young Yon? Your son is here. Our family isn't short on talent. Ha Yusung recounted that the four great families are deliberately trying to humiliate our clan. He was surprised. You mean they sent out their masters to show face? He confirmed, yes, and not just ordinary masters. The Namgung clan sent the youngest son of the Sword Saint. Rumor says his power surpasses the Sword Saint at his peak. Not only Namgung but Tang clan, Hebei Peng clan, Shandong Yue clan, they all sent their brightest rising stars. Hahugak guessed immediately. The backstab during the previous leader election must have offended them severely. He agreed, I think so too. Among our younger generation, only Yon can stand against those monsters. Uncle Duong has personally trained him for so long. If he has talent, isn't Uncle the best judge? Hahugak replied, those crafty foxes dared to bring up a reason I can't refuse. Fine, I'll personally push Young Yon into the match. Ha Yusung clasped his hands. Thank you, Uncle Hahu. He set a condition, but I have a request. I hear the roster's closed. Can you add one more? He placed an envelope on the table and added one more name. I'll vouch for his strength. Ha Yusung was curious. Who is it? Hahugak headed for the door. You don't need to know. Don't go poking into his background. That person will be very useful to the family and to Young Yon. Ha Yusung opened it with curiosity. Inside were just two words, Erang. He muttered the strange name he'd never heard before. The next morning, as the dawn sunlight streamed in, Chiaolu asked, all set? Boss Jin replied, you wear the disguise mask, I'll handle things quickly and come back. He blinked. This guise is the Golden Tiger stronghold. Jin double-checked, surely no one will recognize you like this, right? Chiaolu wouldn't vouch for that. It's hit or miss. Maybe some hawk-eyed fellow will find it familiar. If that's risky, why don't you change the face entirely? Jin had his reasons. He wasn't used to it yet. Besides, my fire gorge bone-smashing technique isn't that miraculous. He brushed it off with a made-up line. Who'd link a tavern with butcher-like brothers like us? Stop worrying, boss. Just fight well. When you're done, I'll cheer you on. Jin was surprised. Fight well. Chiaolu beamed. They're all the type who go to heaven at the slightest touch. You should be careful and hold back. He turned toward the door. All right, I'm off. Upon arriving at the arena and seeing the atmosphere, Jin thought to himself, quite spectacular. With silver inlaid stone tiles on the ground, non-slip and not glaring. The Hahu clan really knows how to style things, huh? If Chiaolu saw this, he'd sneer and call them nouveau rich, but I rather like this stage. The registrar behind asked, are you here to compete? What's your name? He answered, Erang. He wrote it down. Erang, huh, you're up first. After the opening speech it starts right away. Hurry and prepare. The opponent hasn't arrived yet. If you don't want to forfeit, he'll show up. Jin glanced over the crowd here. No name caught his eye at all. It seemed the tough ones were all over there. Rumor has it the strongest rising star from the 5 great families is participating. This should be interesting. Jin continued observing. 5 judges sat high above. In the center was Hahugak. He raised his hand and waved to him. Hahugak's eyes curved into a slight smile. Ma Qin was at a loss for words at that gesture. Earlier, he had brought good news back. Registration was closed, so it was tricky, but I used a bit of my old man's face to beg for your entry. Jin replied, much obliged. He asked a favor, by the way, could you do me a small task? Jin listened. Go ahead, sir. Hahugak instructed, not a big deal. Seems some great families intend to spoil the celebration. I want you to take care of them a bit. And while you're at it, make that arrogant Yon who doesn't know his place see sense. Jin thought it convenient. I'm aiming for the championship anyway. The old man's wish will come true. The referee announced the first preliminary match of round 1 begins. Aang slowly climbed the platform. Jin calmly stepped up. Let's go. When Basu stepped onto the floor, cheers echoed. Hurry up and fight. They exchanged introductions. I am Aang. I am Basu of the Xian clan. The man twirled his saber in hand and lunged. I'll take you on for 3 moves. The 2 judges above commented the boast was loud. Hard to say. He doesn't look like someone with the skill to back that mouth. Another said that the Xian clan is famed for spear techniques. If he properly trained in lance arts, he's not easy to deal with. Someone glanced at the old man and asked, what do you think, senior? Hahugak casually judged, a lunatic. The other 2 judges looked baffled, as if they couldn't believe their ears. Yes. He added, scolding that one shouldn't crow loudly without knowing the opponent's strength. Jin swung his sword. Then I won't be polite. Basu laughed at that, using that rustic immortal's reveal trick again, huh? Watching his movement, the man sneered inwardly. Interesting indeed. Daring to use the petty street thug techniques of dumb sidekicks. Just as saber and sword were about to meet, the blade hissed past. He bent down and avoided the saber's edge, while the tip of the sword slid up toward the man's throat. Basu ground his teeth, stunned as the blade skimmed his throat. He thought he couldn't widen the distance. A pulse of aura spread from the boy's arm, and Basu's steps began to retreat. He was trying to stretch the gap between himself and the blade. As his whole body was about to topple backward, Basu blurted, "Oh dear," and simply tumbled out of the arena. The place fell utterly silent after that swift victory. Even when Jin sheathed his sword, they still couldn't believe it. What the hell was that? What was that? Just that immortal's reveal move alone. The motion had no wasted movement. While pursuing the opponent, the sword point didn't tremble. I doubt many could withstand that one stroke of his. The other contestants realized his strength. Faces grew serious. The proud noble rubbed his beard. If you're not blind, you must have recognized him. Bastards, things won't go your way. Shouts rang out. You were bragging you'd handle 3 moves. What are you doing now? Don't send those trash. Send someone decent. Seeing him return, Qiaowu was astonished. What already done? As for the next opponent, he replied, the second qualifying round is tomorrow. Today's probably over. He folded his arms angrily. Damn it, I rushed here for nothing. He was puzzled. Ending early is a good thing, isn't it? Qiaowu explained, what a bore. It's been ages since I got to see boss show his skill. Ma Qin advised it's fine to watch tomorrow, go drink instead. He happily returned to treat the boss. Sitting at the tavern, Qiaowu suddenly remembered, wait, why Aang? That's the name of the wolf we raised at the divine demonic unit. Why remember him? He explained he just saw the gatekeeper earlier and it reminded him of the kids. Qiaowu put his cup of wine on the table. He said, yeah, I do miss them. Noji and Sachirin Aang hope they're doing well. Scene shifts elsewhere. Someone is frantically running away. A group is chasing from behind. Stop there. This is a direct order from the sect leader. The man, exhausted, leans against a tree, muttering, these damn pursuers, chasing this far, they should give up already. Looking at the ring on his hand, he realized it was tied to the token. They would never let go if that was involved. He must quickly deliver it to the captain. The masked lot closed in. He who killed Nojian here was exposed and cursed. Damn it. A few throwing knives were hurled out. They stuck fast into the tree trunk. They couldn't see him. They wondered where he'd run off to. A voice called from overhead, over here. Nojian leapt down from above, his cuts crisscrossing like a lotus, striking into their bodies. He landed and successfully wiped out the group. Nojian said confidently, send as many as you like, it's useless. I am the thunderbolt of the divine demonic unit. The next day, the second opponent, Namgung Hak, was also defeated. Jin stood there like an existence that was hard to defeat. The referee's voice rang out. The result is decided. Victory goes to Aang. Aang once more felled his opponent with a single blow, striding proudly into the finals. Below, someone thought in surprise. Unbelievable. Namgung Hak, rumored to have surpassed the young Namgung Sword Saint, was defeated in just 1 move. Murmurs rose. The opponent isn't to be taken lightly. Give it everything from the start. This guy warned Qiaoliang, remember, this duel is to warn those arrogant vassal families. You must win. He worried, it's bad even if I have to use this. When Qiaoliang stepped onto the platform, cheers thundered. He threw out a volley of darts. I'll go full force from the start. You used your sword to block the rain of darts flying past, and at the same time a sword glow arced toward Qiaoliang. Qiaolsung watched, grinding his teeth. Is that immortal's reveal some royal grade sky slice? How dare he use that ordinary royal cleave move against Tang clan martial arts? What an arrogant bastard. Jin continued to intercept the incoming darts. Seeing you safe, Qiaoliang was shocked. Just 1 move cleared them all. When the man let his guard down, Jin closed in. The man nimbly leaned aside to dodge. Qiaoliang's agility was so quick that all your strikes missed. He landed and began to show signs of struggle. Qiaoliang rummaged in his chest. Me, defeated by that ordinary immortal's reveal trick. Now there's no other way. Xiaosong clenched his fist and shouted, "Useless. How could you show that pathetic face to the enemy? Supposed heir of the family, my foot." Seeing the situation, he widened his eyes. "What is that?" Xiaoliang drew out that deadly weapon. From the long tube-like weapon in his hand, small rounds of bullets shot out. They were gradually heading toward Jin's face. Dust and smoke thickly obscured sight. Jin scoffed, thinking it was only a martial tournament, daring to use lethal moves. The man gaped, forgetting to move. He told himself he needed the championship title. Zojin flicked his coat and returned that hidden weapon to its owner. Xiaoliang panicked and stepped back, his legs trembling as he collapsed. The hidden weapon stuck into the ground a short distance from him. His voice trembled in disbelief. How could he stop an entire barrage of thunderous weapons? Before he could clear his head, his collar was yanked up. Jin lifted Xiaoliang's whole body and asked, "Have you had an awakening now?" His foot swept in a wide arc across the man's legs. A cry of pain rang out. Xiaoliang ground his teeth in agony and launched a retaliatory punch. Ma Qin immediately grabbed Xiaoliang's wrist. He squeezed hard, forcing him to his knees with pain. Hao Gok slammed the table, stood up, and ordered, "Enough of this." Jin carried the pitiful fellow like a rag doll and asked, "That's the Tang clan waiting area over there, right?" Then he tossed the man over in that direction. Xiaosong came to catch him and worriedly called, "Xiaoliang. He was practically foaming to eat you alive. How dare you be so bold?" Jin looked unremarkable and coldly stared at Xiaosong. He knew he wasn't a match. Wait, better withdraw for now. As he turned to leave, Hao Gok settled the matter from earlier. "You brought quite an interesting toy. If I remember right, this is one of Tang Clan's famed 10 hidden weapons, isn't it?" Xiaosong bowed. "I'm truly sorry. As you know, this is an inseparable item, absolutely must not leave the person under any circumstance." He replied, "I know how much the Tang clan values it, but absolutely sounds like an excuse. If it hadn't been that young brother but someone else, the outcome wouldn't have been so simple." The judge above added, "That's exactly right. It's a miracle things stopped here. We nearly had a catastrophe. I believe this matter needs clarification." Xiaosong accepted blame and apologized profusely. "He's immature and too competitive, so he slipped up." He interrupted, "Don't apologize to us. Apologize to that young brother over there. He kowtowed before you. My people, in fear of losing, acted rashly and grievously offended the great hero. I am Elder Tang Xiaosong of the Tang clan. On behalf of my family, I solemnly apologize to you." Jin waved it off. "Don't be picky. Be more careful next time. Thank you, great hero, for your magnanimity." Inwardly, he vowed revenge. Damn it, how dare they insult the Tang clan like that? Hao Gok declared, "The results have been decided. The champion of the martial tournament is..." Your pseudonym was announced, Erang. Jin stood there to receive this victory. He clasped his hands in salute to the crowd amid cheers. While inside, he was deeply moved. Finally, I can cure the little one. Must hurry home to give her the medicine. When it was all done, Jin returned to the Sama household. Hyun curiously looked at the item in the wooden box. "How did you get this?" he asked. "You replied, just happened to find it." Hyun didn't believe it. The doctor said the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb is a priceless treasure, not even for sale. And you say you just happened to find it. Jin is just downplaying his luck. It seems the Hahu clan elder and old so share an uncommon friendship. So he gifted this as a present. He suspected it was odd to give away something so precious. Xiaolu stepped in. "Why do you keep nagging? I worked my tail off, slaughtering pigs and butchering cattle, so they took pity and rewarded me. It was originally meant as a gift for Old So." Guangho didn't care much. How it was obtained doesn't matter. What matters is the life-saving herb is here. You've all worked hard, earned some money, and got the precious medicine. But how do we use it? Qiaolu's blunt idea, just chew it raw and swallow, right? Jin was more cautious. "I'm not sure. It's hard to get. Maybe we should ask the doctor how to use it properly." Jin brought bad news. "The doctor isn't home." "You were surprised. He's already away." The reply confirmed it. "Yes, he left for Suzhou yesterday for treatment. I heard he's treating an official in the imperial court, so he won't be back for half a month." Jin worried. "Half a month? Wait, what about my little sister?" Hyun revealed she's been obsessed with studying medicine lately, to the point the doctor wanted to take her as a true disciple. "You supported it. If she wants to study, let her. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." Jin felt a quiet happiness. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. "So what's the plan now?" Jin noticed its color seemed a bit darker than before. It was wilting. The herb, once uprooted, lives by time itself. He sprang up. He couldn't wait half a month. They had to brew the medicine now before its potency faded. A pot of medicine was quickly prepared. Jin carried the bowl of medicine up and drank. Guangho anxiously asked, "Well, do you feel any effect?" She replied, "I still don't feel anything." Jin thought it would take some time for the herb's potency to take effect. He instructed, "I'll go to the butcher shop first. Guangho, stay home and care for the little sister." They obeyed. Yes, brother Jin, Jin warned Jin, travel carefully. Jin walked lost in thought. Who would have thought he'd find the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb? Truly a miracle. Maybe Jin's condition will improve. He paused when he saw a familiar figure ahead. Across from him, Hahugak kept waving enthusiastically. He smiled and greeted, "How are you? I'm rude to drop by unannounced." "You were curious, why did you come?" Hahugak replied. "I had business along the way, so I stopped by." Jin led him into the butcher shop and invited the two guests inside first. When they sat at the table, they first enjoyed tea. You recounted everything. Hahugak smiled and rubbed his beard. "That's good then." Jin lowered his head and asked, "Sir, what brings you to see me?" He grew serious. "I have a favor to ask of you." Jin was surprised. "A favor? What is it?" Hahugak cleared his throat and glanced at Yon sulking beside him. He got to the point. "I'll have to stay here for a while. Don't worry, I'm not asking for servitude." Hahugak placed a bag of money down on the table. Chialwu curiously opened it. "What is this?" he asked. "This size should be more than enough, not just barely enough." Jin declined. "Please forgive me, sir, but I don't think I can help." He asked curiously, "Why not?" "You explained our home doesn't have enough room for 2 guests. Even if there were space, I don't intend to live with you. The most important thing is I don't want to disrupt our peaceful life. We worked hard to get this." Hahugak smiled broadly. "Don't get me wrong. I only want to enlighten my poor nephew out of his shallow knowledge and narrow view. Besides, these old eyes of mine could use the opportunity to widen their horizons." Jin firmly refused. "That would disrupt our peaceful life and make things troublesome. So please, sir, go home." He clung to a faint hope and asked, "Is it really not possible?" Jin flatly refused. "No." Hahugak rose disappointed. "I understand. If you've said so, I have no choice. Not that your house is the only place to stay. Just find some big household nearby to lodge with," he added. Jin was angered by such brazenness. "Are you mocking us?" Hyun stepped forward curiously and asked, "What's going on? Are you having guests?" "This is the gentleman I mentioned. I am Hahugak. You introduced him. He comes from the Hahu clan. I already told you, this elder has a deep bond with old So." He greeted warmly and bowed. "I am Sama Hyun. Thanks to the elixir you gave, my little sister's condition has improved. We don't know how to repay such a favor." Hahugak was curious. "Nice to meet you, but the elixir you mentioned is..." He answered, "It's the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb. The elder said he gave it to him when he came to serve the Hahu household." Jin beside him scowled. The elder realized it turned out the herb was awarded to the victor of the martial tournament. It seems his sister once suffered a serious illness. Hahugak quickly agreed. "No matter how precious the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb is, it can't compare to a life. Its effect is excellent, right?" Hyun replied, "Of course, my little sister has been seriously ill since childhood. After using the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb, she could be cured completely. It's all thanks to your kindness." Hahugak exclaimed happily, "I'm glad it was used for the right purpose." Hyun said, "We don't know how to repay this favor," and the man took the cue. "I'm not doing this for repayment, but since you insist, I actually do have a request." He expressed his sincerity. "Please tell me, no matter how difficult, I will help you accomplish it." Hahugak seized the opportunity. "I want to stay in Sohyung for a while, but I don't know anyone to ask for lodging." So, Hyun agreed immediately. "Of course, aren't we here? Though it's not luxurious, if you don't mind you can stay at our home." He glanced pointedly at someone. "Thanks for the offer, but your elder just said the house is too cramped." He turned to scold. "What nonsense did you say, brother?" Jin scowled, trying to restrain his anger at the man's shamelessness. "Please come rest at our home. We'll arrange to make you as comfortable as possible." Hahugak clapped happily. "Thank you. With such hospitality, how could I refuse?" Suddenly someone shouted from the back, "Danger." Gwangho panicked and reported, "The little sister has fainted." The house fell into silence. Hwa Jiang came to take Jin's pulse. He frowned when he learned of her condition. Jin anxiously asked from behind, "Well, has the little sister's illness relapsed?" Hwa Jiang confirmed it seemed so. Though not as severe as before, there's clearly an issue with her energy. "You said you gave her the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb, right? Do you remember exactly what it looked like?" Gwangho described it. The root was yellow-brown, a bit longer than a fist, with many fine secondary roots, and notably the petals were a fairy pink color. Hwa Jiang denied that. The petals of the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb aren't fairy pink. Jin realized, then the herb Jin drank isn't the Millennium Fire Spirit Herb, is it? He answered, "Very likely so." Hahugak objected, "Impossible. Our family surely checked it many times." Hwa Jiang explained, "The Millennium Fire Spirit Herb is so rare that even among us imperial healers only a few have seen it. Even for the Hahu clan, if you're not a top expert, it's hard to distinguish from similar herbs." He asked curiously, "Then what herb did the girl take?" He replied, "Since I didn't see it with my own eyes, I can't be certain." but I suspect it's the cold, immortal herb. It looks very similar to the fire spirit herb. Moreover, its growth process is similar too. The fire spirit herb over years becomes the millennium fire spirit herb. The cold, immortal herb likewise becomes a spirit herb. It's called the 10,000-year ice spirit herb. Jin grew even more worried. The name alone was no trivial matter. Jin really drank that. Hwa Jiang's expression turned grave. This would be like adding legions of yin energy to an already depleted source. Now there may be no herb that can stop it. If only it were the great restoration pill of Mulim, then perhaps. Jin's voice trembled. It can't be like this. He reassured, we still have some time. I will try to buy more time, and I'll ask my family to lend support as well. Hahu Gok offered to help. I'll mobilize resources from my family to see what can be done. Before seeing Hwa Jiang off, Hyun held a faint hope. Master Healer, is there truly no other way? Guangho begged. Please save our little sister. When night fell, Jin drank to drown his sorrow. Qiaolu beside him asked, what now? The elder replied, aren't you listening? Of course we must find a cure for the little sister. The Hahu clan elder also said he'd have his people help search for medicinal herbs to heal the little sister. He reminded them, the master healer said that won't work. To stop the toxin that's already spread requires a source of energy stronger than before. Now there's only one way left. Have you heard what the master healer said? The great restoration pill of Mulim. Jin made up his mind, he must find it. Jiaolu asked when to wait for orders. You answered, as soon as possible. The master healer will try to slow the disease's progression, but who knows when it might suddenly worsen. Jiaolu lifted the wine flask on the table. He tipped it back and drained it, deciding firmly. Boss, I thought you'd try to buy time so I'd have to hustle and push the deal. But if we leave, what about the butcher shop? We can't entrust it to just anyone. The meat quality will change immediately. You replied, we can't close the shop. Qiaolu worried, what's the other option? Leave it to a Guangho. I'm afraid we'll lose all our customers. Jin already had a prime candidate, of course not Guangho. There's only one person he could trust to take over. Qiaolu curiously guessed, who is it? You evaded with a grin, you know who it is. Hahu Gok upon hearing this frowned and asked again, what did you just say? He couldn't believe such a bold proposal. You want me to do what? You repeated. I'm asking you to watch the butcher shop for me. Hahu Gok asked incredulously, you think I would actually do that? You're dumping the responsibility on me. Aren't you the reason I have to be away? When Hahu Gok heard it, his face darkened noticeably. He protested that he'd never done such a thing before. Jin replied, I'll teach you. With your skills, elder, 1 or 2 days will be enough. Hahu Gok advised, why not just close it? I'll compensate you generously for the lost earnings. You firmly refused. Money isn't the point. What's important is not losing the butcher shop's reputation with customers. Just as Hahu Gok was about to blow up, this guy really. Jin interrupted, fine, I'll indulge you, elder. Every 5 days I'll spar with you. After arranging the butcher shop matters, they set off, both exhausted, stopped to rest in the forest. Qiaolu tilted the water gourd and gulped, it's hot. Has it already been 5 days? Ma Qin just hoped that everything would still be fine. Jin likewise hoped that everything would be okay. Qiaolu, ever the optimist, wondered why worry. There's an old man there who seems pretty good at the job. Jin agreed, surprised that in just 3 days the old man had become nearly as skilled as him. Qiaolu continued, still, you actually trusted him with the meat stall and he agreed to do it. I'm speechless. Then Jin signaled him to be quiet. Wait, someone's coming this way. One wounded person was carrying another, who was unconscious, on his shoulders toward them. As they drew near, the carrier collapsed from exhaustion. Jiaolu stepped forward to check their condition. He assessed the wounds. This didn't look like an animal attack. Luckily, they weren't dead. Jin focused on the other man, who was far more badly injured and seemed to have only been given rudimentary first aid. His condition was serious. Qiaolu waited for orders. What now? You lifted one of them and gave him a bit of water first. After all, the other fellow is ultimately responsible. Then you transmitted a little vital energy into the other's body. The man's body emitted waves of bright aura. Qiaolu asked, how is he? Elder Jin replied, stable for now, he's past the critical stage. You looked back, what about the other one? Qiaolu reported that the other had many small wounds, but nothing life-threatening. He was just exhausted and had fainted. At that moment, a volley of arrows flew in. He widened his eyes at the sudden attack. With a sweep of his arm, those arrows snapped in two. Jin happened to catch one of the incoming arrows. People emerged from the trees behind, exuding a tense, murderous air. The distance between the two groups steadily closed. Qiaolu calmly asked, who are you? They charged without answering. He was annoyed. Were these people insane? A punch flew out to teach them some manners. The attackers were hit by a blast of force. The whole group was driven back in disarray, their weapons broken. What is this? Move aside. A few remaining men raised their bows and fired. Jin flicked his hand. The arrow shattered to pieces. The man kept pulling out arrows, cursing, "You monsters." The leader stopped him. "Wait, it seems we've been mistaken." Xiaolu sneered and lunged in, beating them senseless. "Now you claim it was a misunderstanding? You folks live an easy life, huh?" The group was struck where it hurt and fell silent. "Senior brother, why did you do that?" The senior brother apologized, saying they were assassins sent to kill our master. "They've been pursued these past days, so we were a bit hasty. Please forgive us for the mistake." Xiaolu realized no wonder it felt suspicious. Jin asked again, "What? He looks just like us when we were kids." You felt it was true. The old man had a familiar scent as well. The group shouted menacingly, "If you're not allies, get out now, unless you too want to become enemies of the martial world." Jin was surprised. Enemies of the martial world. Xiaolu taunted them. "Oh wow, your master must be quite a famous figure." The man proudly boasted, "Of course, 80 Blade Sect." The senior brother snapped at him to be quiet. "Please excuse us, our master is at death's door. Everyone is a bit agitated." Xiaolu replied, "What does that have to do with me? You open your mouth with enemies of the martial world like it's something fearsome, yet you're bested by a couple of lowly assassins. Seems you're nothing special." The insult silenced them. One ground his teeth and spat, "How dare you?" He launched himself at Xiaolu. Die. Xiaolu's fist was already raised, ready to give this reckless fellow a lesson. Someone grabbed the back of the attacker's collar. Jin hoisted him up. The senior brother panicked. When did this happen? The man was flung down right in front of the senior brother. Xiaolu, curious, "What's up, boss?" You answered, "That's enough. Their master is dying, they'd lose their temper understandably. I've had enough, retreat." One man angrily asked, "Why are you protecting an assassin?" Ma Qin replied nonchalantly, "They hadn't even seen who shot first. If we were commoners, we'd have been unjustly killed long ago. At that point, you lost any moral right to judge." The senior brother shot them a sidelong glance before leaving. "I understand now." Then the whole group departed. Xiaolu kicked the man resting by the rock. "How long do you plan to lie there? I know you're awake, get up." The assassin sat bolt upright. Jin spoke, "You've heard everything, so you understand the situation, right? We can only help so far." The man bowed deeply. "This great favor I will remember forever." Night fell and the scene shifted to the Namgung clan. The matriarch of the Namgung clan sat inside a room. Someone called from outside, "Brother leader, I'm here." He ordered them to come in. Kung Tine entered and politely asked, "Am I disturbing you?" The matriarch waved and said, "No, I was just about to call you. How about the Hahu clan matter?" Namgung Xian reported that Namgung Jeong had taken a letter of apology and departed with his delegation. He replied, "On a day of celebration you stir up trouble. Now is not the time for the righteous factions to tear each other apart, especially in these circumstances." He asked curiously, "Are you talking about the Tongshan demonic cult?" Namgung Hu confirmed, "Yes, those cult fiends dare to set foot on our land. What on earth is Mulim thinking to allow it?" Namgung Xian revealed that he heard they had kneeled and begged profusely, claiming they came to capture a traitor who stole a treasure. He was surprised. A traitor? Any clue whereabouts? He recounted that the man was said to be marked with a special incense scent, and they were tracking that smell. Seeing Namgunghu's odd expression, Kung Tine asked, "Big brother, what's wrong?" He raised the question, what if their aim isn't that traitor after all? Given the situation, even if they stir up trouble in Mulim, no one can stop them. They can freely spy on the sects and clans nearby. Namgung Xian guessed, "You mean they're scouting to serve their own ambitions? But hasn't the demonic path long been split and chaotic inside?" He confirmed, "Exactly. If you want to quell internal strife, you redirect attention outward. Whenever they unify, the demonic sects never sit still. Issue orders to Chief Chingpeng, use all forces to find that traitor first." Down in the bustling town, amid the crowd, talk rose in the tea houses. "What? It's not a rumor but true. Indeed, they've been rampaging for over a month, the demonic cult acting as if this were their home. What on earth is Mulim doing? Is the Namgung clan just standing by?" Word is Mulim ordered everyone to observe silently. "Absurd, the people who hate the demonic cult grind their teeth, so why is anyone arguing otherwise? Some say there's a rumor they bribed a massive sum, others say they politely asked to cooperate, it's all just hearsay." Xiaolu slammed his wine flask on the table, cutting into their conversation. He owned up, though he hadn't meant to eavesdrop, the story was intriguing. "Share a cup and let's chat." They were very convivial, saying it's nothing major. "Seems they're hunting some traitor, right? Apparently someone caused big trouble and fled." One person spoke up. "Some say the man attempted to assassinate the cult leader. Others say he stole the leader's treasure and escaped. The exact truth is unclear." Having gathered enough information, Qiaolu rose to leave. so it's just nonsense after all, thanks. He returned to his table. Did you hear that? Seems nothing important. Jin sipped wine and asked, a traitor. Most of the major powers have already been crushed. Where would someone capable enough come from? Qiaowu speculated, who knows, don't tell me that bastard Guampi did it. Jin analyzed, Guampi lacks strength and guts. Officials may be clever, but their martial skill is poor. Why care? It's not our affair anyway. He supports it. Right, the most important matter now is Shaolin right in front of us. They continued on the road, and before long the two arrived at Shaolin. He opened a cloth pouch and took out 2 gold ingots. The monk froze at the sight. Donor, this is Jin, he exclaimed, surprised. Was the amount prearranged? Muyo denied it. No, it's just that this sum is so large, little monk doesn't know what to do. He said, it's fine, please accept it. In return, could we lodge here for a few days? He agreed, of course, but since the great abbot is visiting the temple right now, accommodations are a bit inconvenient. Jin agreed, we don't mind. Muyo breathed a sigh of relief, that's fortunate. He guided them, please come with me first. As they walked, Qiaowu transmitted quietly, big brother, seriously, how much was that sum to just hand it over? Do you have some personal reason, like being afraid of theft, so you did it? Besides, I heard that the more you donate, the better Shaolin arranges lodging. In short, money rules. He couldn't help swearing. Damn it, hiding at a temple and doing this. The two silently followed Muyo inside. He turned back and asked curiously, if you don't mind, may I ask why the donor is visiting our temple? Guo answered there was no great reason, just returning from business in Zhengzhou and thought to offer a brief prayer here. Muyo realized that was it. And they were led to a small house. That was the place. Qiaowu looked at the shabby makeshift place and exclaimed, what is this? Jin hurriedly covered his mouth. I was having trouble finding lodging in Dingfeng County. Thanks to you, we're relieved. Muyo apologized awkwardly, because we had to hastily arrange lodging for disciples. Conditions are a bit rough. Truly sorry. He replied politely, I did not come to demand hospitality. Master, please do not worry too much. He stepped aside to give them privacy. Thank you, please make yourselves comfortable, donor. The two watched Muyo's retreating figure fade into the distance, and he warned them to be more careful. Qiaowu was surprised. What? Jin reminded him, you've leaked your aura a few times already, you know. He recounted whenever your presence slipped out, that master's gaze changed. Maybe he hasn't discovered your true strength yet, but he's definitely suspicious. Qiaowu froze. Really? He didn't look like it at all. Jin continued, it shows he hides his perception well. Still, better to be cautious. This is Shaolin, and there are plenty of masters who can see through our true abilities. Qiaowu admitted his mistake. Sorry, I must have been careless. I'll pay attention. Jin replied, yeah, just stay put until the sun goes down. When night fell, inside a certain room, the monks were sitting and waiting. Muyo approached and opened the door to that room. He clasped his hands and apologized. Forgive me, master, I'm late. The other replied, no matter, you've worked hard. It's late already, Muyo, accept the blame. No, master, this is my duty as host of the guest quarters. Gonghu mentioned that lately people coming to the sect have been as numerous as at a festival, leaving him dizzy. Gongsu encouraged him, though taxing, endure a bit longer. After all their guests paying respects to the temple, we must not make mistakes. Muyo bowed his head low. I understand, sir. Gongsu asked about another matter. How are the imperial guards at the White Robe Hall? Have they been causing trouble? He reported, yes, at first they were arrogant, but after the city garrison commander warned them, they've been more obedient. Gongyo asked curiously, they looked very tense, what happened? Muyo reported, while the grand uncle of the emperor is bedridden and ignores affairs, the grand tutor is scheming to seize the palace guards. Currently the commander and the garrison chief, two swords of opposing factions, are both present at this temple. Gongsu speculated so Shaolin could be dragged into the imperial family's covert struggle. Though unwilling, the temple must endure. Gongsu admonished Muyo, saying it's going to be hard work for him. Absolutely no unfortunate incidents must occur. He promised, please don't worry, venerable master, I will do my utmost to prepare. Also, I have one more matter to report. Gongsu listened, what is it? Muyo reported, Naxiang Manor in Kaifeng has donated a large sum of gold ingots, roughly amounting to 100 taels of gold. Gongsu rolled prayer beads in his hand and recited, Amitabha. Gongxiao was surprised. Did they give no further instructions? Muyo didn't know. What do you mean? He thought giving such a large sum for no clear reason was somewhat suspicious. He revealed that although no extra words were spoken, rumors said someone of Naxiang Manor's bloodline was suffering from a strange illness. Gongxiang felt that if someone were ill, the temple could step in to help. Gongyong added that a small restoration pill would be enough to be effective. Don't be stingy, the small pills are precious too. Disciples barely have enough for themselves, let alone spare. Gongsun had to admonish, you must think broadly. Last time, by giving up the last great restoration pill to save a royal princess, we recovered the Hua Lingjai mushroom and the heavenly hand relic. The news shocked them, the great restoration pill is gone. Gongyong confirmed, yes, what are those remaining medicines compared to saving a life? Saving someone brings merit in return. Muyo asked curiously, but master, that wasn't the last great restoration pill. I recall Bodhidharma Mahal still had one. Muyo hesitated about saying it. Gonghu angrily shouted that name. A surge of true chi shot straight upward, instantly piercing the roof. Gonghu looked up and saw them. They'd been discovered. Gongyong panicked. What's happening? Old master commands. Someone is prowling on the roof. Chase them down. The two high monks leapt from their seats, and outside, Jin and Qiaowu had already landed on the ground. Gonghu stepped out to demand who was to blame. They surrounded them. Qiaowu was scolded. You tell your brother to be careful, and yet you were caught. What now? He replied, sorry, I didn't expect to coincidentally hear that the great restoration pill was gone. He perked up. Forget it, this is more comfortable than sneaking around anyway, and while we're here we might as well see the famed Shaolin's strength. Gonghu barked at them, how dare you set foot here? 4 heavenly kings, 8 Vajra, stopped them at once. A group of monks wielding staffs flew out. Qiaowu reiterated, the great restoration pill is our top objective. Jin ordered, act now. He was surprised, what, you don't trust me? Seeing the large number of monks, he didn't want to linger, I believe you, but dragging this out won't help. Qiaowu understood, right, taking on all of Shaolin plus the Imperial Guards is a bit much, even for us. Ma Qin, split the tasks, I'll handle the Heavenly Kings, you take the Vajra, the rest is up to you, just don't kill them. Qiaowu stepped forward to block the monks. Of course, this is for our little brother. He doesn't want blood spilled to bring bad omens. Alright, shall we begin? A first punch flew toward Qiaowu's chest. The monk's face showed astonishment, veins bulging on his temple. He clutched his wrist in pain and stepped back, exclaiming, impossible, he's mocking us, so inexperienced. If an opponent reveals such flaws, you should be suspicious, right? The price for this mistake is steep. A few staffs struck his back, but Qiaowu was unhurt. The monk opposite raised his fist again. He used one palm to block it. The strike was obviously too much for the opponent, and as he retreated, other monks rushed in to support him. The wooden staffs that struck Qiaowu all snapped. He stood there as if detached from the fight. This terrified the monks. Indestructible Vajra, he's a monster. A few monks helped their wounded comrade up and shouted, protect the junior brother. I've heard much of Shaolin's fame over the years, but if this is all you have, it's truly disappointing. Hearing that, the monk bristled with anger. How dare he insult Shaolin's sanctity? They coordinated and lunged in to attack. This was exactly what Qiaowu wanted. Now we're talking. The wooden staffs hitting him were like mere itches. Qiaowu began dealing with them one by one. The monk who took a palm earlier was sent flying into a nearby tree. The other monks were trying to restrain Qiaowu. He was annoyed, forcing himself not to kill them. What a bother. Qiaowu grabbed a staff that had just been swung at his shoulder, and with almost no effort the staff broke. Meanwhile, a monk behind seized the opportunity to attack. He spun and launched a kick aimed squarely at Qiaowu's chest. Countless strikes rained on him. Qiaowu's feet stepped back. He was astonished. Look, my tyrant blood chi was pushed back. However, to force Qiaowu back, the opponent was severely injured. My supreme kick couldn't even scratch him. Instead, my leg was broken. What kind of demonic hard chi is this? Qiaowu praised, not bad, Shaolin lives up to its name. At that moment, the opponent lunged a palm toward his chest. Unexpectedly, Shaolin played dirty. Qiaowu's face darkened. 2 other monks happily said, we've hit him. As for Muhi, that's another matter, but Mayim Junior Brother's 100-step divine palm has truly improved greatly. While they were distracted talking, Qiaowu spat a mouthful of blood onto the cracked tiles. He still stood firm as a rock, which terrified the monks. What the hell is this? Jin's voice rang out from behind. You were negligent in your vigilance. The monks turned in alarm and saw he was standing beside them as if he'd been there the whole time. A palm struck straight into that man's nape. Soon the second man also took a palm, and both fell one after another. Jin, swift as the wind, reached the third man beside him. Seeing comrades fall one after another, that monk couldn't help swearing as he erupted with chi. Damn it, the Heavenly Hand Prime technique was deployed. A surge of chi rushed forward. Jin stood there calmly. He raised his hand and casually shouted that attack. What shocked the opponent? This is impossible. Jin soon closed in on that monk, and when the man fell face first into the ground, all he could mouth was Amitabha. He glanced toward the tightly closed gate beside them. Someone flashed by at incredible speed, so fast their figure couldn't be seen. Jin transmitted mentally, his aura is no joke, be careful. This person is streaking in right behind Qiaowu. A streak of light flashed across his face. Luckily, Jin raised his hand and blocked it with a staff length of space. He froze for a moment and turned to look. Two old monks were standing on the roof. Gonghu spoke, so you're the one hiding on the roof. Jin tossed the staff to him, I'll return this to its owner. Gonghu reached out to take it, thinking inwardly that catching my staff was as easy as turning his hand, though I threw it with full force. The old man planned to unleash a signature move, I'll give it my all. Gonghu sprang off the wall where he stood, and lunged at Jin, simultaneously deploying his staff technique, the as-you-wish staff art. Jin swung his sword in an arc, blade light blasting straight forward. The collision caused a fierce burst of power, an energy column shooting high into the air. And at the same time, a surge of chi shot directly at the old man. Gonghu swung his staff, hopping to block it, but his whole body was driven backward. Gonghu's feet skidded across the ground, cracking the tiled floor. Opposite him, Jin calmly awaited the staff hurled his way. He simply tilted his head to one side to dodge, and slipped behind Gonghu. The tip of Ma Qin's sword was planted into the ground. He used 5 pure punches. One punch struck directly at Gonghu. A powerful force radiated outward from it. This blow was too much for the old man. He could only grit his teeth and endure. Jin continued to condense his chi. A sphere surged into Gonghu's chest, causing him to spit blood. As the punch stopped before him, the old man had to blurt out, what on earth is this? Despairing inwardly, this ends here. Gonghu squeezed his eyes shut, waiting, but the expected pain never came. Only then did he dare to open his eyes a crack to look. Seeing Jin had withdrawn his hand, Gonghu was stunned. He turned and asked the man behind him, why didn't you stop him? Are you planning to just stand there and watch your man die? Gongsu explained that it was because there was no killing intent. Though he's lived many years, he still has the intuition to sense that. He descended from above, then asked, you all seem to have no hostile intent. Am I right, old man? Jin admitted, yes, elder is right, we bear no ill will. We know it's hard to trust the situation, but... Gonghu criticized that of course it's hard to believe. Sneaking onto the monk's roof from the start is a sign of evil intent. He admitted, you are right, I have no excuse for that, but I can assure you of one thing. If we had come here with malicious intent, we wouldn't have held back like this. Gonghu felt truly arrogant. Gongsu glanced at Qiaowu's ongoing skirmish beside them. We must accept the truth, this applies to both sides. If they had really attacked, it wouldn't have stopped at a few surface wounds. Now that it's come to this, let's observe a while longer. He single-handedly held off the group of monks. A powerful palm was raised. Qiaowu struck the weak points of the 3 monks. All 3, exhausted, fell down, leaving only one remaining. This one hurriedly helped the fallen up. Senior brother. Jin admonished, displeased. I told you to go easy on them already. He turned and asked Gongsu's opinion, why don't we stop this fight? Suddenly he glanced to one side, thinking to himself that it had been a long time since he'd sensed such fierce killing intent. Muin was radiating murderous chi all around him, his eyes blazing red. Qiaowu remarked in admiration, surprising, who would have thought a Shaolin disciple could emit such terrifying blood chi? Muin hurled himself forward, filled with hatred, watching the 2 fingers aimed level with his eyes. He was surprised, did this mad brat deliberately aim straight for the eyes by coincidence? Or had he instinctively found the lone weak point of the indestructible body? Qiaowu instinctively leaned aside to dodge. Muin sprang up, drove his knee into his face, and his forearm struck down against Qiaowu's nape. When landing behind him, a strike hit his spine. Before Qiaowu could steady himself, a nameless monk grabbed a staff and leapt up, each staff swinging toward him. The group of monks gaped in astonishment. It's done, Muin is hitting him, something even our full effort couldn't achieve. Can that kid really do it alone? Qiaowu was pressed back. Muin leapt high and brought a staff down. A staff slammed hard into the ground at his feet. Muin finally paused a moment and looked up at Qiaowu. He curled his mouth in a smile, appreciating his opponent. Muin's eyes widened in astonishment. Gonghu and Gongsu observed, I thought he'd been restrained, but it seems he still can't control his killing intent. Heavenly killing nature is ordained by heaven, a curse of the celestial way. An ordinary person cannot truly erase it. I thought he'd overcome it somewhat, but I was wrong. Being pushed to the brink awakened that latent nature. Gonghu said no one can remain calm facing that murderous chi. Yet that man seems utterly unfazed. He truly is formidable. He must have held back briefly just to test Muin's mettle. As predicted, Muin, as if possessed, frenziedly charged at Qiaowu. A punch aimed straight at his chest. The nameless monk was sent flying backward. He fell to the ground looking pitiful. Jiaowu stepped in front of his opponent. He asked, "Is that it? Your killing intent is like a fierce fiend, but your skill itself isn't anything special. It's time to end this matter." Just then someone ambushed Jiaowu from behind. His hand shot up to block that strike. Those attacks reversed and struck back toward the attacker behind them. Before Jiaowu could grasp the situation, his eyes widened in shock. Gongsu was already in front of him, a palm striking his chest. "Is your body really that tough?" A palm pierced through Jiaowu's ribcage. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His heavy body crashed backward. It was time for Jin to move to rescue his brother. The palm shot straight at Gongsu. He used his bare hand to block it, stepping his right foot back. Gongsu thought in amazement, "Even without fully unleashing my power, my Wind Thunder palm was easily neutralized. How has such a top-tier expert gone unnoticed until now?" His eyes narrowed, more wary of him. Jiaowu angrily rose from the pile of rubble and debris. "Damn it, I've gone through hell to make sure I would never be overwhelmed by internal power again, but it's all been for nothing. Damn. Thanks for the lesson, you bloody monk. I'll send you off to meet the Buddha you worship." Gongsu smiled and replied, "You do have a very sturdy body." He raised his staff filled with profound internal power, but nothing in this world is perfect. If something is hard, you just use something harder to break it. Let's see if you can withstand this strike. Murderous intent flared around Jiaowu as they prepared for a life-or-death clash. Both displayed equal imposing momentum. Jin's words were like a bucket of cold water dousing their fiery tempers. Enough. Gongsu reined in his fighting intent. Jiaowu still resisted. "Stand down, big bro," he was warned. "I understand how you feel, but this fight must end here." He was reluctant to obey, but when he saw the warning look from Jin, Jiaowu held back. "Damn it," he muttered, "but it's not truly over yet, because in the end the choice won't be yours anymore." Gongsu confirmed, "Indeed, narrowing it down, the choice still lies with us. Tell us, why have you come? What are you seeking in this temple?" Jin got straight to the point. "I need one great restoration pill." The others exclaimed, "A great restoration pill? That's absurd." Gonghu realized it was true. "The only moment I sensed his aura falter was when that pill was mentioned. No need to say more. We can't hand the great restoration pill over. But can a staff handle this man?" Gongsu asked again, "You say the great restoration pill? At least you should know what kind of treasure that is. Tell us. I've heard it's an invaluable legendary elixir." He admitted, "Then you know well, it is Shaolin's most treasured item. Knowing that, you still want it?" Jin replied, "Yes." Gongsu analyzed, "The reason it's priceless isn't just its medicinal effect, but the difficulty of forging it. The temple currently has only one pill left. If we hand such a treasure to you, what can you offer in exchange?" You all need to be clear with each other, no evasive questions. First state your reason. Why do you seek the great restoration pill? Neither you nor that other fellow seems to need it for yourselves. At the very least, we deserve to know that, right? Only then can we decide whether to hand over the pill or bury it with us. Jin spoke sincerely, "My younger sister is gravely ill. I need the great restoration pill to heal her." Gonghu scoffed in disbelief. "Is that really your excuse?" Gongsu confirmed, "The great restoration pill truly is a miraculous drug, but it's not an elixir that cures every disease in the world. If what you seek is to save someone, then a true master physician is the more important choice. Our temple also has highly skilled doctors, if you wish." Jin said sadly, "Even the imperial physicians were helpless." He was surprised. If even the imperial doctors give up, then truly there is no remedy. Of course, Gongsu's pride won't let him admit that. "As you heard, the great restoration pill is the last treasured relic of our temple. This isn't something to be taken lightly. If we say we cannot hand it over, what do you intend to do?" Jin was resolute. "By any means necessary, I must seize it. Everyone here will resist to the end to stop you. If it's to save my sister, even if I have to jump into hell, I'm willing." Gongsu sighed once. Gonghu declared clearly, "The disciples of our temple have never known fear of death." Qiaolu sneered, "Really? We can always test that. Big bro, instead of dragging this out, shall we take out a few of them first?" Gongsu warned, always hot-headed. "With that temperament, how have you lived this long? Those kids may be ready to sacrifice themselves, but us old fellows think differently. Think about it, for old geezers like us, this rickety life isn't worth much. But what about those youngsters? They are the ones who will lead and shoulder Shaolin's future. Do you really want to cut off the lives of Shaolin's future bearers right here?" Gonghu fell silent. That mattered. Gongsu continued, "The last great restoration pill already has an owner. Not many know this, but we reserved it for the one chosen to be Shaolin's sword." Jin thought, "If it's a sword, you chose the right person. although he hardly fits Shaolin's image. He replied, "That is the role of a sword. Ideally, it never leaves its scabbard, but when the time comes, it must be stained with blood without hesitation. If we hand this pill to you, the sword tasked with protecting future generations will be left to rust. Nothing matters to you more than saving your sister, but for our temple, this is not an easy decision. Our honor is on the scales." Jin demanded, "Say what you want, elder." Gongsu got straight to the point. "I'll give you a chance to save your sister through a bargain, not by theft and robbery like this. Of course, from our side, those forced to accept your unilateral demand, this is extremely unfair and breeds deep resentment." He lowered his eyes and agreed, "Please tell us what you want. As long as it's within our power, we will do anything." He specified there is only one condition, very simple. Because you have let the sword rust, you must become the sword in its place. Jin was curious. "You don't demand any payment or treasure." Gongsu understood clearly. "Anything you bring here would only be stolen goods from someone else. Our temple isn't so poor that a master like you must be indebted. This isn't a bad deal." Jin sighed inwardly with relief. Luckily, they didn't demand money. If it had been the Hahu clan, they'd have asked for a fortune and probably much more. Good that we didn't have to stoop that low. In return, we agreed to their condition, to become a sword that protects Shaolin. Someday that sword will be stained with fresh blood, but that day is far off. At least that's better than forcing us to spill the blood of innocent, decent people right now. Jin agreed without hesitation. "Very well." Gongsu ordered, "Decision made, bring it here." Gonghu acknowledged, "Yes, sir." The peaceful night returned as the tension ended. He handed the box to him. Jin opened it to look. Light radiated from the pill. "This is." Gongsu asked, "Are you satisfied?" He clasped his hands in thanks. "Thank you, I will keep my promise. I'd like to help clean up, but time is extremely urgent, so I must take my leave first." He offered good wishes. "Travel safely." The two of them departed quickly. Over at Shaolin, they were cleaning up the aftermath. "Hurry and move the wounded." Gongsu asked about the situation, not shy of being kept busy. "How are they all?" Gonghu reported, 4 of them have no major problems, but those who fought the monster directly will need full recuperation for at least 3 to 4 months. He understood they had no murderous intent. It seemed they deliberately held back. "What about that kid?" Gonghu recounted. "His injuries are severe but not life-threatening." In the end, he finally realized how lacking he still is. "The loss is too great to be called a blessing in disguise, and we let the great restoration pill fall into their hands like this," he replied. "It wasn't stolen, it was a negotiated exchange after all." Gonghu laid it out plainly that it had been taken, and Gongsu didn't want to argue. "Let my junior brother think whatever he likes." He remained concerned. "Really no other way? Why accept that condition? Let such a person be Shaolin's protecting sword. Doesn't it hurt your pride, nth master?" He answered comfortably, "Pride or not isn't the point. I simply can't bear to see our temple fall into such dire straits that it must rely on an outsider's strength." Gongsu continued, "I too wish it weren't so, but I'm afraid things won't turn out as we hope." Amitabha, the demonic aura from the Blood Wolf spirit, grew stronger. "So, what should we do?" Meanwhile, Jin and the other moved into that grove. Xiaolu asked, "Big bro, let's rest a bit, dawn's coming." Jin agreed, "Let's rest. Here, drink, you've done well." Xiaolu tipped the water bottle and drank. This little thing barely scratched the surface. "How's your body? How are the wounds?" Xiaolu asked bluntly. "I'm completely fine, but getting hit by that old brat still bothers me a lot." Jin fell silent. At least he hadn't used his full strength. Qiaolu was surprised. He hadn't truly gone all out. Jin fell silent. At least he hadn't used his full strength. Qiaolu was surprised. He hadn't really fought at full force. After this, Qiaolu admitted he had been a bit complacent, but that old man's footwork is truly extraordinary. The power of his heavy staff technique could shatter my black iron demon chi easily. It even surpasses the single-handed demon fist. The moment he struck my chest, the face of that old monster Kyohyok, the sword demon, flashed before my eyes. Jin urged, "Don't be upset, the man is after all Shaolin's abbot. Of course he's a top-tier master." Xiaolu warned, "It doesn't comfort him at all. Just one person stronger than you is enough to humiliate you, and that's you, big brother." Jin fell silent upon hearing this. He mentioned Muin, and by the way, that new recruit, big brother, you noticed he's not ordinary, right? You don't understand yet. Who? Xiaolu recounted. That name unleashed a half-baked killing aura and got beaten to a pulp. The one that old man mocked is called Shaolin's sword. As someone they've invested their hearts into training, he's certainly keener and stronger than the others. But there's no way he pierced my protective chi and wounded me this badly. Could Shaolin's martial arts hide some special power we didn't know about? Jin related, "I happened to hear that old man's words. He said that kid was born under the celestial killer star." Qiaolu was surprised, born under the same celestial killer star as the Blood Emperor, and yet he's at Shaolin. So that's why he could break through. Rumor has it those touched by heavenly chi possess special abilities. The murderous chi pouring from his body shook even my black iron demon chi. It's no joke. But Shaolin harboring a celestial killer, what are they plotting? Big brother, isn't that the most twisted pairing in the world? Ma Keen didn't want to think further. After all, it's better he lodges there than runs amok elsewhere. Whatever, it's not our business. The important thing is we got what we needed. Attached to that was a servitude contract. Even so, we should gladly accept. As the old man said, because of us their destined sword was left to rust. If it means saving my little sister's life, I'm willing to bear that condition 10 times, 100 times over. Xiaolu agreed, that's exactly right. Jin looked at the sky, we've rested enough, let's set out. Try to leave this place as soon as possible before the sun gets high. He prepared to go, that was best. This creepy place gets unbearably hot at the crack of dawn. Still, the early morning air was fairly cool and fresh. Then Xiaolu smelled it. Big bro, there's a scent of blood. Jin and Trung also sensed it. How could such a strong metallic blood stench rise out here? Xiaolu wondered, do you think they sent a hunting team? I don't believe it. If they came, would they show up smelling of bloodlight before arriving? Hurry and check it out. The two of them dashed in that direction. The source of the blood smell was behind those tree trunks. When the two of them landed on the ground, before them were scattered corpses. Xiaolu was shocked. What the hell is this? What happened here? Jin guessed it wasn't a skirmish. This wasn't a battle. It was essentially a slaughter, wiping out a sect. He sat down to inspect. Every wound struck a vital spot. The work was extremely clean. These cuts showed not the slightest hesitation. Ordinary soldiers couldn't reach this level of skill. Suddenly Xiaolu noticed something unusual. He looked at their clothing. One person wore a very distinctive uniform. Xiaolu recognized immediately, big bro, they're all Imperial guards. Jin replied, I see it, the numbers are considerable too. He speculated the crown prince might have been ambushed. Jin confirmed, probably. I'd heard rumors the court's in turmoil, but I didn't expect it to come to this. He followed behind and asked, what do we do now? I don't want to meddle in palace power struggles at all. Jin doesn't want to get into trouble, then let's skip it. This has nothing to do with us. Right now, my little sister's safety is the top priority. His steps halted as he looked toward the distant bodies. They were saffron-robed abbots. Xiaolu was surprised. Isn't that the H-letter-1EA5P 10 great technique? It's hard to pretend we didn't see this when it's staring us in the face, right? You said you'd play the role of that sword. Jin frowned and made a decision. Elsewhere, a fierce battle was raging. The Imperial Guards were dealing with the enemies. Deputy Commander Joryong was so exhausted he panted heavily. Before him were numerous corpses. Someone called out, Deputy Commander, are you all right? Joryong replied, I'm fine. The Blood Army of the Blood Cult spoke up, your sword technique is not bad. I've had my eye on you for a while, but I didn't expect you'd be this good. He froze his heart. Impossible, he held the heart up. Compared to him, that bitch was a disappointment. I had high expectations since I heard she was powerful. Then he crushed it. Now it's your turn, entertain me. Joryong thought silently that even Yomwa had failed. What a mess. Hayo Yomgun sneered, already given up, why not struggle a bit more? That familiar voice shocked him. Joryong angrily swung his sword at the speaker. Dongchen, leader of the Eastern Heavenly Order, betray us? I might spare others, but I won't let you off. Dongchen demanded, Elder, finish them off quickly. What are you still standing there for? I told you to kill them. Yomgun raised his hand, and malefic chi radiated from his palm. The man was lifted up. Yomgun squeezed Dongchen's throat. He felt insulted. Are you ordering me around? Dongchen obsequiously denied, no, my lord. How could I, a mere minion, dare? He begged, spare me. At that moment Huisal's voice rang out, that old man, where is my master? He threw Dongchen down, attention turned to her. That old man, this little wench is interesting. If you're talking about that old vixen, didn't you just see her? Huisal asked in righteous anger, were you acting on the Grand Tutor's orders? He retorted, orders? Do you think some lowly Grand Tutor has the right to command me? Munseong urged, girl, stop this. Huisal asked further, then why did you collude with the Grand Tutor's hound? Yomgun replied bluntly, this is crucial for the great plan. I'm here to ensure this dog doesn't ruin things. After all, he's the Imperial Duke and must be dealt with cleanly, right? She pressed her lips in anger and snapped, that Grand Tutor is insane to drag outside forces into court affairs, especially martial factions from the Jianghu. Do you think you can quietly retreat after committing treason and attempting to assassinate the Imperial Duke? Yomgun was nonchalant. Treason is laughable. Not only your lives, I could take the Emperor's whenever I want. I keep him alive only because I dislike the hassle. A voice nearby rang out, that goes for us too. It's the group Jin led here. Yomgun narrowed his eyes at them, thinking, they've closed in right up to here and I didn't notice. He asked, who are you? He accused, that's none of your business. Are you the old man who attacked the Shale and High monks? Yongun sneered, you saw it and still dare approach me, brave to court death truly. Jiaowu answered, let's see who ends up dead. Yongun's underlings surged forward. Audacious fools, you really are asking for death. He wanted to teach them a lesson. Weaklings often rush to their doom without realizing how pathetic they are. Jiaowu stepped up to taunt, aren't you the one clueless about the world? Is your eyesight failing? Yongun looked at him as one looks at the dead. You're truly insane. Jin exposed him, you're with Blood Axe, aren't you? You're the one who unleashed the H-1EA5P 10 great technique, right? The trio Joryong were surprised. Blood Axe, they should have been wiped out a century and a half ago. Who knew they still existed? Yongun asked curiously, how do you know that? Jin had an answer, see, I was right. He didn't care how I knew, it doesn't matter. But anyone who knows about our cult must die. Jiaowu stepped forward excitedly. That's exactly what I came to say. The Blood Axe mob all charged at once. He was ready to welcome a sumptuous feast today. Long time no see, you miserable insects, I'll avenge those children. Jiaowu was no longer restrained and could punch and strike freely. The blood cult throng behind kept charging. Jin's sword shot out to provide support. Jiaowu cried, one down, who's next? He turned and scolded, hey, why's that? I'm the one who should be crushing them. The opponents activated blood talismans to block them. Jiaowu gaped, sword mastery, not bad, but that's not nearly enough, is it? Blade light blazed through the Blood Axe ranks. Their bodies were burned. Fresh blood gushed out. Yongun thought in astonishment, sword mastery, he's not easy to deal with. He no longer underestimated them and ordered the deployment of the Death Soul Blood Wolf formation. Jin watched their formation, thinking it impressive. It's nearly on par with the coordinated assault formations trained in the demonic cult. They showed no hesitation even when 8 were killed at once, and immediately sealed the formation. They had either undergone brutal training or survived countless life and death battles, each man charging in from every direction. They intended to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. Jin raised his sword, thunder crackled outward. From afar a column of light could be seen shooting upward, accompanied by a concussive explosion. Around Jin lay scattered fragments of corpses. Huisal and Joryong were shocked. They were astonishing. Astonishing doesn't even begin to cover it. It was truly. Seeing Jin in danger, he shouted, careful. An attack came at him from behind. The strike rushed in like a wind blade. Jin leapt up and dodged. The attacker was Yongun himself, holding an iron spiked whip. Watching the spiked whip slam into the ground, he thought to himself, I figured it would at least leave a scratch, but he dodged it entirely. Jin exclaimed, a whip, interesting weapon. Yongun declared, from that sword technique earlier to this move, kid, you're far deadlier than you look. However, it ends here. Once our cult is mentioned, don't expect anyone to leave here alive. Dongchen stood frozen, staring at the scene before him. He thought privately, I knew they weren't righteous sect folk, but I didn't expect them to be Blood Axe. Jiaowu asked, judging by your face, you had no idea that old man was from Blood Axe, did you? Dongchen pondered, Blood Axe involved in the Emperor assassination. What on earth is the Grand Tutor thinking? Yongun, irritated by the man's stupidity, snapped, why let the enemy's words rile you? Dongchen explained, I only. He pressed, do you really think the Grand Tutor is unaware of our sect's existence? Those words left Dongchen speechless. Yongun hardened his killing intent, kill them. The lethal whip shot toward Jin. He nimbly retreated to evade the strike. He charged forward menacingly, the spike tip closing in on Jin's face. He leaned aside to avoid it. Yongun hadn't expected Jin's agility to be so quick. Jin grabbed the iron whip with his bare hands. Yongun laughed, you fool, those chains are laced with deadly poison, you'll surely die. Jin replied nonchalantly, you have an interesting toy there. Seeing he was unharmed, how could Yongun not be shocked? His feet were gradually being pulled forward. He thought inwardly, I don't know how he caught those barehanded, but unless he's forged like diamond, even a scratch would be fatal. Jin pondered, thinking the poison must have taken effect, and looked for an opening. Is this the vengeful chi of those devoured by the H-1EA5P 10 great technique? How many have you killed? He activated the 3 honors single mind fist. A red light flashed from his eyes. Vital energies flowed along the whip toward Yongun. Yongun was stunned. My internal skill of over 180 years is being forced back. Even the vital breath fused with the thick death chi of those who died in terror. He gradually bowed his head in submission. His hand had to release the lethal whip. Damn it. Veins bulged on Yongun's head. Blood spurted from his mouth. He collapsed to the ground in agonizing pain, unable to get up. The heavy lethal whip thudded against Yongun's head. His head was dripping fresh blood. Yongun gripped the whip's handle and stubbornly stood up. Cut to Green Forest. Jingang concluded, handle it that way. Going worried, will that really be okay? He replied, if it's not okay, so what? The inner circle's already unsettled. Do you want me to declare all-out war on those damned Yangtze River people? Just after taking the throne as chief, he'd been pressured by those water rat scum. Damn it. Sajin stepped forward to report, it's me, father. Gang asked what was the matter. He presented the letter. Haemon had already sent the investigation results. He opened it to read an investigation about the youngest elder and the elders. The contents inside shocked Gang. What on earth is this? He crumpled the letter up, then asked, have you read it too? Sajin admitted, yes. Gang, you wanted opinions. What do you think? He answered honestly, I can't be certain either. He turned to ask Goong, Lord of Flying Bird, you previously said you suspected those butchers killed the youngest elder, right? The man confirmed. Yes, although subordinates eventually reported it might not have been them. Gang handed the letter for him to read. Haemon said more than 90% that those bastards were the culprits. They leveled Golden Tiger Stronghold, clashed evenly with the Qingtian Ancient Sword, won in Haho Clan's martial contest, and even allied with the Sword Demon. And now they've massacred Green Forest's elders and our youngest elder too. Who would have thought such monsters were merely ordinary butchers? Goong opened it and read each line. Sajin reminded, Father, what do you plan to do? It was said that the Sword Demon is guarding that slaughterhouse. Goong exclaimed, there's a way. Gang glanced at him quietly and listened to the idea. He revealed he had a younger sister suffering from a disease called Heavenly Sound Severed Veins. It's a rare ailment similar to the 9-sound severed veins, a marvel every collector in this world would crave. We already disclosed information about that brat to Hongik. He was surprised to have told those slave traders. Weren't they the ones who split from the Yangtze River water route? Goong explained, outwardly they split, but who doesn't know Yangtze River water route backs Hongik? If things go according to plan, we can make the butchers and those water rats tear each other apart. Gang liked the plan. You mean use the sword of the man who lost his sister directed at the Yangtze River water route? This plan is better than I thought. Prepare a perfect strategy. Cut to an inn in town. Jialu is walking while yawning. He shuffled over to where you were sitting, exhausted. Jin continued, you've slept so much and you're still sleepy. Xiaolu replied, probably the aftershocks from that damn monk's blow, and then fighting those bloody blood axe bastards right after. Jin recounted that while you slept, he heard the capital was in chaos, blood flowing like rivers every day. Xiaolu wondered, in the capital? After all that, staying put would be foolish. If it were me, I'd wipe them out. You guess that now that they've learned blood axe exists, they'll become even more reckless. Xiaolu remembered and thought it over. Didn't those blood sects defend Miss Qingran Thieu instead of the crown prince? Jin answered, that's possible. Princess Qingran we saw isn't just a clever little girl. It's unbelievable that the royal family discovered us so easily. I hope no trouble comes of it later. Xiaolu found this far-fetched. Big brother, do you really think this makes sense? At the next table, some people were gossiping. Don't get too worked up. It's not just us here. It's just frustrating. What kind of conspiracy is this? A plot? Watch your words, kid. Someone reminded them that the junior made a fair point. The Imperial is in trouble, yet Mulim remains silent. Another poured wine and said, if silence were all, that be lucky. Rumor has it the ones blocking the sects and righteous are Mulim and the 5 great houses backing them. But on what grounds can we intervene? They keep gossiping. What does no standing even mean? They've surrounded the Imperial and are threatening them. I don't know, is it really a threat? As I recall, that demonic cult has camped there for almost a month, yet no serious incident has occurred so far. Someone added, normally I'd say the junior is right, but this time it's strange. I hear the demonic cult is returning treasures and manuals they seized over centuries of fighting. They claim they'll withdraw peacefully as long as the traitor who stole their sacred relic is handed over. Another elder asked, then why not just hand him over directly? Why make such a fuss? That opinion was immediately refuted. The Imperial would never accept that. Everyone knows what that place is like. They never turned away any patient. Letting a patient leave only to die isn't the Imperial style. They decided we should go. Damn it, I'm annoyed the demonic cult is involved, but we can't stand by while the Imperial is harassed. Yes, let's go together. Xiaolu, having heard that, asked, this seems more complicated than expected. What do you plan to do? Jin brooded for a moment. He guessed rebellion and the sacred relic. Given the stakes, our people have surely already moved. He thought, I want to hand the Great Restoration pill to Chan right now, but I can't abandon the Imperial when my brother owes them so much. Should I give it to Qiaolu? No way, it'll surely get lost along the way. But even imagining my brother going to the Imperial alone and encountering the demonic sect terrifies me. Jin decided I'll keep them at a distance. Why see letter when ED1C will understand. Qiaolu looked puzzled. What are you saying? He explained, it's awkward to block them blindly. We've withdrawn from the Jianghu, but we can't let the Imperial's face be tarnished. Let's try to stop them. Qiaolu smirked with excitement. It's been ages since I've run into these bastards. Cut to the Imperial. Nojian was recuperating inside a room. He sat up, suspiciously scanning his surroundings. Thinking to himself, I should have woken at dawn when I first stirred. I've overslept beyond what I planned. Nojian was preparing to get out of bed. He muttered, has everything already begun? He muttered, has everything already begun? The physician outside entered and asked, you're awake, you must be exhausted. You slept a very long time. And why are you dressed like that? Where are you going? Nojian expressed gratitude to him for everything. The physician pleaded earnestly, no, you can't. Your wounds haven't fully healed. You've only just regained the ability to move. Where do you think you can go? Nojian replied, I'm sick of lying around. Now I can walk again. I have a responsibility. I won't let this place share my fate. The physician reminded him, many heroes have already gathered to help our infirmary. If you look down on us just because this is an infirmary, our martial skill isn't as weak as you think. Nojian patted the man's shoulder. I'm very grateful, but... His two hands squeezed the man's shoulders, and the physician's body went rigid. Nojian muttered, it seems not only you but everyone knows nothing. How terrifying are those bastards in the heaven demonic cult, really? He laid the physician back on the bed. This stiff body of mine will loosen up soon. After all, you've worked hard caring for someone who couldn't even walk on their own. Up until now. I will repay this kindness by ensuring the Imperial's safety. The physician could only stare in stunned silence.